What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 4 Su Chapter 76 Impure World Reincarnation. 2 Coffins. Obtain the Curse Seal, Kabuto. Kawasaki didn't know how to describe it. Thinking of Orochimaru's performance at Naruto's wedding, he gestured twice. That kind of lunatic who is not mentally normal. Orochimaru's face was livid. He was very proud of his wisdom and talent, and his self-esteem came from self-confidence. Therefore, he was dissatisfied with not being selected as the 4th Hokage. If he became a lunatic, he might as well die directly. Orochimaru secretly made up his mind to solve the soul problem. Even if he died, he could not split his soul in this life. Seeing Orochimaru's face change, Kawasaki roughly guessed his thoughts. The early Orochimaru and the later Orochimaru were simply two different people, both in terms of thoughts and personality charm. The core issue is soul division and living corpse reincarnation. There was also a person in the neighboring village who was keen on soul division, but in the end, he became unwilling. The discussion with Orochimaru came to an end for the time being, and Kawasaki realized that he had not seen anyone else in the Sound Village for so long. Where did Yakushi Kabuto, Orochimaru's little follower, go? Where did Yakushi Kabuto go? Orochimaru said, all the affairs of Oto Village are handed over to him. I haven't seen him for several days. He will only be called back when the experiment needs an assistant. Kawasaki nodded. Oh, did I mention that Kabuto is very suitable for learning immortal arts? Very suitable? How suitable? Orochimaru didn't expect Kabuto to have a talent for immortal arts. The more he studied Jugo, the more he felt that learning immortal arts was difficult. Kawasaki thought about it. Immortal arts require purity, a pure heart and soul. Yakushi Kabuto eventually lost himself, transplanted Orochimaru's limbs, and spliced himself into a stitched monster. Various gene fragments and soul fragments are mixed in his body. In this state, Yakushi Kabuto can still master immortal arts. This shows how high Kabuto's talent for immortal arts is. Second only to Hashirama, it can be said to be the first. This shocked Orochimaru, who knew more about Hashirama's magic than ordinary people. I didn't expect that Kabuto had such a high talent. It was really a waste of talent to let him handle government affairs. Kawasaki-kun, how much have you not told me? Orochimaru licked his lips with his tongue. Kawasaki was simply a treasure trove, and there would be new discoveries if you dug it casually. Kawasaki spread his hands, as if there was nothing else. Oh, yes, the Haku I brought back, in addition to having the ice release bloodline Genkei, is also a good seedling for practicing magic. Orochimaru nodded. Kawasaki brought back the best candidates. Then he ordered people to find Kabuto. As soon as Kabuto was seen, the expected prompt sounded. Ding! Successfully recruited Yakushi Kabuto. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Snake Immortal Art Matching. Kawasaki frowned slightly when he heard this. It turned out that Yakushi Kabuto was not matched with the immortal art, but with the snake immortal art of Ryuchi Cave. However, this thing is not very useful to me, Lord Orochimaru. This is Uchiha Kawasaki. Yakushi Kabuto saluted quickly, his face full of respect. This is Lord Orochimaru's most important partner. Since the arrival of the Uchiha clan, the entire Yin village has begun to develop rapidly. There are also huge changes in the catering industry. All this is thanks to Uchiha Kawasaki. Therefore, although there is no Kawasaki in Yin village, there is a lot of information about him. The legend of Kawasaki has long been spread. Kabuto has grown rapidly recently and handles village affairs every day. His mind has been greatly trained, and his previous frivolous behavior has disappeared. The Ōtsutsuki village has grown and become stronger. Are you interested in being the Ōtsutsuki? Orochimaru ordered. Lord Orochimaru, I am not interested in being a cage, I just want to follow you. Yakushi Kabuto is busy every day. Although he has handled a lot of government affairs and has grown as a person, it does not mean that he likes to do these things. He is happiest when he is always with Lord Orochimaru. Whether it was doing experiments or anything else, he was happy to do it. Kawasaki smiled softly on the side. The most important thing for a person is to be happy. Kabuto's eyes lit up when he heard this, and the words touched his heart. Orochimaru smiled and said, in this case, then you select some capable people, slowly delegate power, and then select a suitable leader as the village. You stay with me. Kabuto said very happily. Thank you, Lord Orochimaru. At this time, Kawasaki's thoughts drifted to his own power template, which should be the fastest way to solve the problem. Directly select talented people and let the right people do the right things. This is probably the real function of the template. At this time, Kawasaki whispered in Orochimaru's ear for a while. Orochimaru raised his eyebrows. Kabuto, follow me. Knowing that Orochimaru was going to use him again, Kabuto was very excited. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Orochimaru walked forward and introduced Kabuto. Your physique is very special, very suitable for practicing immortal arts. I will take you to Ryuchi Cave to try. Special physique. Immortal arts. Yakushi Kabuto was very surprised. He was originally a medical ninja. But he never expected that he had a talent for immortal arts. The word immortal arts was out of reach for him, but he knew how powerful immortal arts were. After knowing that he was suitable for practicing immortal arts, he was very excited. Orochimaru led Kabuto and Kawasaki through one room after another and came to a secret room. The secret room was empty, with nothing. Only a huge magic circle was spread on the ground. A layer of dust had accumulated on it, and it was obvious that no one had cared about it for a long time. Orochimaru quickly formed a seal with his fingers, opened his mouth and blew, and a breeze blew out. All the dust on the ground was rolled into the corner, but no dust was raised at all. Kawasaki was stunned by the precise operation of the wind style. This was much more difficult than condensing a wind blade to attack the enemy. Advertisement Orochimaru asked them to stay where they were, and he stood in the center of the magic circle. Orochimaru bit his fingertips and drew a line in the magic circle on the ground. The whole magic circle suddenly lit up. He opened his hands and began to form a seal. Summoning technique. Orochimaru slapped the center of the magic circle with one palm. Boom! Smoke rose, and a beautiful little girl appeared in the magic circle. She had long dark blue hair, a golden crown with a golden ball on it, and dark vertical pupils. Red eyeshadow with black lines extending to the wings of her nose, pale skin, and earrings in the shape of blue jade. She wore a white robe, a green decoration of a single jade on her chest, sharp teeth and a pink tongue. A crisp female voice came. Orochimaru, you actually summoned me with this magic circle, you better have something important to do. Kawasaki narrowed his eyes slightly. Is this the person from Ryuchi Cave? Since she appeared, the concentration of natural energy in the air seems to have increased. It seems that Ryuchi Cave is indeed a place with abundant natural energy. Although the other party looks like a cute little girl, Orochimaru's expression seems quite fearful. He waved to Kabuto. Ichikashima-hime, I found an excellent seedling, very suitable for your Ryuchi Cave. Oh, Ichikashima-hime slowly floated closer. With her clothes, she really has a bit of the flavor of a fairy in the heavenly palace. Kabuto has never judged people by appearance. Just from the reaction of Lord Orochimaru, he realized that the other party is not easy to mess with. He walked over in an orderly manner. You Zanzi. The girl floated gracefully and looked up and down at Kabuto. The light in her eyes gradually brightened. Unbelievable, really unbelievable. As she spoke, her tongue forked and snake patterns appeared on her face. She looked at Kabuto as if she was examining a rare treasure. Kabuto was frightened, and a sense of fear surged in his heart as if he was targeted by his natural enemy. But he could only stand still and let the other party look him up and down. A ball of light lit up in the palm of Ichikashima-hime, and she gently put it on Kabuto's body. Kabuto trembled all over and felt an indescribable comfortable energy. It swooshed into his body, and all the cells in his body seemed to be jubilant and jumping. Ichikashima-hime saw that Kabuto absorbed the natural energy instantly, and his body did not have any discomfort. This guy's body is simply tailor-made for the snake fairy technique. I have to let the white snake immortal take a look. Ichikashima-hime grabbed Kabuto's shoulder. This kid is indeed a good seedling. I have to take him away immediately. Orochimaru, do you have any requests? Orochimaru smiled and said, it is Kabuto's luck to learn immortal arts. How dare he have other extravagant hopes? Kabuto, you must practice immortal arts well after you go there, don't embarrass me. Kabuto instantly understood what Orochimaru meant, and responded respectfully. Don't worry, Lord Orochimaru, I will practice hard. Ichikashima-hime took a deep look at Orochimaru, then pulled Kabuto and, bang, and disappeared into a cloud of smoke. Orochimaru turned to Kawasaki. Kawasaki-kun, you are really insightful. Kawasaki could only laugh dryly. He didn't expect the people in Ryuchi Cave to be so excited and take people away directly. Now that Kabuto is gone in Ōtsutsuki village, we have to find a new person to take over the affairs. Fortunately, Kabuto often went out before, and everyone was used to it. After coming out of Orochimaru's laboratory, Orochimaru asked Kawasaki to meet his confidants. As expected, except for a few people with names in the previous world, no information was given about the others. But when he saw the remaining 4 of the sound 5, Kawasaki heard a reminder sound in his ears. Ding, congratulations host for greatly changing the life trajectory of the sound 4. Congratulations host for obtaining Curse Seal X4. Ding, successfully recruited the sound 4. Congratulations host for obtaining Earth Attribute Affinity, Grandmaster of Music, Grandmaster of Archery, and Dual Use of Sun and Heart. So, don't these 4 deserve names? Earth Attribute Affinity is good, but what the hell is Grandmaster of Music and Grandmaster of Archery? I'm not the Hyuga electromagnetic cannon next door. Doing 2 things at the same time, is it treating Sakin and Yukon as one person? Kawasaki shook his head. In this life, Orochimaru's subordinates all look normal, and few of them were transformed. But the ninjutsu of these 4 people are all curse seals, and it is estimated that the best one is the curse seal. In addition to what he got from Jugo, Kawasaki can now use the curse seal 5 times. The large conference room of Ōtsutsuki was full of people. Kawasaki came out from Orochimaru and summoned all the Uchiha tribe members. All the Uchiha who were still in the village and had not yet gone on a mission were present. Kawasaki sat in the first seat, followed by the 3rd elders Takuya, Itachi and Shisui. In the past few years, the third elder Takuya has fulfilled his lifelong wish. From a few dozen people in Ōtōgakure to thousands of people now, he has witnessed every step of the growth of Ōtōgakure. Please give flowers. When Yakushi Kabuto is not around, he takes full charge of the leadership work. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the assistant of Ōtōgakure. Time changes temperament, and the environment shapes the body and mind. The third elder now has the style of a leader. Kawasaki checked the faction panel and found that the attributes of the third elder Takuya had changed. The original specialty column only had management, but now there was an additional leadership attribute. Advertisement. I have to sigh that it was the right decision to let this group of Uchiha come out to venture. You have been out for more than 4 years. Thank you for your hard work. Kawasaki stood up and bowed to everyone to express his gratitude. After all, although these people have changed their radical ideas under the influence of distinguished heavenly gods, they are also flesh and blood people. The Yin village was almost a wasteland back then. From a few dozen people to the present, the Uchiha people have made great contributions. Lord Kawasaki is too polite. Lord Kawasaki, this is all our own will. Lord Kawasaki, everything is for the family. The Uchiha responded one after another. The scene was a little lively, but there was indeed no estrangement in everyone's hearts. Although life was hard when they first came out, at least there was no strange look. The land of Tianjiguo is also remote and poor, and the tasks are simple but numerous. The surrounding small countries heard that hundreds of Uchiha had joined Ōtōgakure, and many tasks were handed over to Ōtōgakure. This made the Uchiha go through the most difficult days. When the daimyo of the land of fields and Ōtōgakure jointly developed the food industry, life became much better. Everyone's response was sincere and earnest, and Kawasaki was also deeply gratified. After wandering outside for so long, some of the tribe members must be homesick. Everyone looked at each other, and no one spoke first. Kawasaki waved his hand. It's okay, just say it boldly, there are no outsiders here. Uchiha Gui scratched his head embarrassedly. My mother gave birth to a younger brother, who should be 2 years old now, and I want to go back to see him. Gui started, and his teammate Hiwei continued. My wife hasn't seen me for a long time, I want to go home to see her. My mother hasn't seen me for 4 years, and I also want to go back to see her. One person took the lead, and everyone talked at once. Most of those who had relatives said they missed home. Those who had no relatives at home also wanted to go back to the village to see what Uchiha was like now. Kawasaki raised his hand to signal, and everyone quieted down. Kawasaki turned to the third elder Uchiha Takuya, who had not spoken just now. Seeing Kawasaki looking at him, Takuya spoke. I have no relatives in Konoha, but I also want to go back and see them. Kawasaki nodded. Do you know who founded the Ōtōgakure village? Everyone looked at each other and shook their heads. The 3 high-level people knew but did not interrupt. Kawasaki said, Ōtōgakure village was founded by Orochimaru, but he usually does not show up. Yakushi Kabuto and Takuya led you. The Uchiha were a little agitated. After all, they were considered to have defected from the village. I didn't expect that when I arrived at the Ōtōgakure village, the actual leader here was also a Konoha defector. But soon everyone quieted down again. Kawasaki continued. Orochimaru was also harmed by Danzo and had to leave Kunza. He has actually always been our partner. Soon there will be an opportunity for all of us to return to Konoha. Those who are willing to stay in the village can stay, and those who are unwilling can also come back. Everyone was obviously excited. It would be a lie to say that they didn't miss home after wandering for many years, but they left home for the family. I heard that the family has completely gotten rid of Konoha's control and is living a comfortable life. Although it is very convenient to use summoning beasts to send messages now, everyone wants to go back and see for themselves. Kawasaki clapped his hands. Okay, pass this message to the clan members who didn't come today. Everyone is waiting for orders. The message is confidential. Third brother, Itachi, Shisui, you stay, and the others can leave. Everyone stood up with hope for the future, bowed to Kawasaki, and left the meeting room in an orderly manner. Only Itachi, Shisui and the third brother Takuya were left in the room. Seeing the 3 people looking at him, Kawasaki said, I will take over the position of clan leader after I go back this time. The 3 were shocked when they heard this. Although they had a premonition, they didn't expect it to be so fast. Everyone had no objection to Kawasaki's succession as clan leader, and waited for Kawasaki to continue speaking. The third Hokage already knows that Danzo framed Orochimaru for defecting and wanted him to return to Konoha. If Orochimaru returns, I want to support him to become the 5th Hokage. The 3 of them foresaw the future disaster and didn't care about the position of Hokage at the moment. Itachi and Shisui knew that Orochimaru was actually their brother. Takuya knew Shisui's distinguished heavenly gods, and vaguely guessed that Orochimaru should be one of their own. He didn't ask for details and believed Itachi and Shisui. After us, dream space. Each dream training consumes a lot of energy, and Kawasaki is always on the go. To prevent accidents, the training in the dream is always a brief taste. Finally, Kimimaro and Shira were brought back to the Hidden Sound Village, and Kawasaki could practice in his dreams with peace of mind. Especially after gaining new abilities, Kawasaki was impatient and entered the dream space at nightfall. This time Kawasaki chose to fight in real combat. The strongest sparring partner on the current power panel is still Orochimaru. Entering the space, Orochimaru remained silent. Reanimation Jutsu. Gugugugu, two coffins rose from the ground. Guang. Chapter 77 Kawasaki vs Itachi. Golden Susanoo, Monthly, Amaterasu. The coffin lid opened, and the familiar figures of the first generation and the second generation appeared. Perhaps because Orochimaru did not hang around during his lifetime, impure world reincarnation often summoned the two. The bodies of the first generation and the second generation were provided by Danzo, which was incredible. The two walked out of the coffin and rushed straight towards Kawasaki. Fortunately, this was a dream, and the opponents were all phantoms, otherwise Tobirama would have had to mock him, the little brat of the Uchiha family. Orochimaru followed closely behind, and rushed forward with the two Hokage. The first generation Hashirama clapped his hands. Darkness. A dark sky spread rapidly, and it was pitch black. Kawasaki opened his eyes. The golden Susanoo instantly broke through the restraints of the darkness technique. The second generation Tobirama who was close to him was bounced away, and Orochimaru's shadow snake hand also returned in vain. The first generation Hashirama clasped his hands together. The tree world is coming. Boom boom boom. The earth trembles, countless trees break out of the ground, thick tree roots twist and stretch, branches intertwine and entwine. The second generation Tobirama on the side quickly forms a seal. Water style, water severing wave. The water style, like a high-pressure water gun, cuts towards Susanoo and directly cuts a hole on its surface. Orochimaru forms a seal with both hands and spits on the ground, and countless snakes crawl out. The 10,000 snakes formation. Kawasaki's pupil power drives Susanoo to grow flesh and blood, and its body grows to 70 meters. The cut caused by the crystal space heals instantly. Kawasaki struggles hard, and all the trees wrapped around his feet break. Kawasaki draws out Susanoo's weapon and slashes at the first generation, who jumps up with a kick. Kawasaki throws the chakra weapon in his hand, and the huge chakra blade turns the first generation Hashirama into a sky full of talisman paper. Amid the flying debris, the first generation slowly recovers from the feat. At this time, the second generation Tobirama has cast water style, Osamu. A huge amount of water gushed out of its mouth, like a flood that broke through the dam, flooding the entire venue. But it was useless. Although there was a lot of water, it could only submerge the soles of Susanoo's feet. Kawasaki's pupil power was urged again. Susanoo was 100 meters tall, covered with armor, and was more powerful than when he confronted Obito. The weapon condensed into a more vivid, 893. Orochimaru always guarded the side of the second generation Tobirama and attacked together. Orochimaru used instant body to get to Susanoo's side and swung down the Kusanagi sword. Dang! The Kusanagi sword was sharp, and the armor-covered Susanoo was extremely hard, so Orochimaru was shocked back. The second generation Tobirama pulled his hands together, and many ninjutsu talismans flew in his hands and lit up. Tandem paper bombs. Boom 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 boom. The explosions continued, and detonating talismans continued to appear in the sky, and they would explode when attached to Susanoo. The explosions were concentrated in one place and continued. Kawasaki's pupil power and chakra were rapidly consumed. Although the second generation Kai was affected as a body of the filthy earth, he was reborn in the smoke and dust and flying talisman paper. After Tobirama was blown to pieces, the tandem paper bombs stopped exploding. Kawasaki cancelled Susanoo and fell from the sky. Orochimaru had been waiting below for a long time, rushing towards him with the Kusanagi sword in hand. Kawasaki drew out the Kusanagi sword that he wanted to give to Sasuke to resist. With a clang, the two swords intersected, and they were evenly matched. Kawasaki's strength seemed to be slightly better. As the sword lights crossed, Kawasaki stretched out his left hand, just like Orochimaru's winding left hand. Orochimaru turned around and drew out the sword in a strange posture. The body twisted and deformed, extending and slashing down sideways. Kawasaki was unable to dodge and was cut open on his body. He kicked out to stop Orochimaru's attack and retreated. While moving, he bit his wrist. The healing power spread, and the wound quickly stopped bleeding and healed. At this time, the first generation Hashirama had recovered. Seal with both hands. The flower tree world is coming. Boom 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 boom. The previously crushed tree roots absorbed nutrients and grew rapidly on the ground, twisting and growing, and rising above the surface. Wherever the tree passed, the ground split, piercing through rocks and cracking rocks, quickly covering the entire field. The thick branches twisted and stretched upward, and many branches twisted and grew huge buds. In a few breaths, the buds bloomed, and then sprayed a large amount of pollen. Orochimaru took the opportunity to hide in the darkness. Kawasaki restarted his pupil power, the Eye of Susanoo. Kawasaki's Mangekyō kept turning, and finally found Orochimaru in an inconspicuous corner. In the dream, Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation needed him to control it, in the previous few battles. He controlled the first generation second generation because he didn't move much. It has been a long time since I fought with Orochimaru, and I didn't expect that he has improved and can cooperate with the first generation second Hokage. But this flower tree world is the first time I have seen it. For such advanced ninjutsu, Orochimaru cannot move flexibly, so he can only hide in the dark and focus on controlling Hashirama. The arrival of the flower tree world is extremely powerful, but this time the impure world Hashirama summoned seems to be a simplified version. It lacks the shocking momentum of the first generation Hashirama during the Fourth War. However, the powder sprayed by the flowers also has a paralyzing effect. Kawasaki held his breath, thinking about whether the one-time ninjutsu can be used in a dream. He subconsciously tried the magic mirror ice crystal. Then, nothing happened. Kawasaki couldn't help but take a breath, and his eyes went dark, returning to the real world. Looking at Orochimaru in the power template, Kawasaki felt that not only he was making progress, but even busy people like Orochimaru were becoming stronger day by day. Now the first generation summoned has mastered the flower tree world advent, and Orochimaru still has the 8-head technique hidden. Perhaps it is because it is difficult to use two dirty bodies at the same time. Kawasaki was defeated but still honorable, and he didn't care. After all, there was not much to learn. Since killing Obito for the first time in the Land of Water, Kawasaki has been using the dream space to hone his swordsmanship. In order to avoid the failure of the aim no kume slash in the future, he can also teach Sasuke a few tricks. Fortunately, there are many swordsmanship masters in the Uchiha family in the power template, which allowed Kawasaki to quickly master the essentials. Advertisement Kawasaki arrived at the Hidden Sound Village. Although he had obtained several talents, the ones that could be used immediately were not yet sorted out. He was quite satisfied with the Earth attribute enhancement, but there was a problem. The Earth style in the Konoha Shinobi technique collection was mostly ordinary moves. And there were no advanced ones, especially the flying skill that he had been dreaming of day and night. The super light heavy rock technique was not included. As for the precious flying thunder god technique, sorry, that requires a specific talent. Without talent in this area, no matter how hard you try, you can't learn it. Just like Orochimaru, when Sarutobi Hiruzen taught him ninjutsu, he almost understood it at once. But in the end, Orochimaru still failed to learn flying thunder god. Therefore, even if Kawasaki has the Orochimaru-style talent of analyzing ninjutsu, he can quickly master other ninjutsu, but flying thunder god is still a mystery. Although the eye of Susanoo Uzumaki can see through the coordinates of time and space, it consumes a lot of pupil power. You can't use flying thunder god with your eyes open. After a few nights of experimentation, Kawasaki had no choice but to suspend his research on spacetime ninjutsu. During a battle one night, he suddenly had an idea. Can I use the newly acquired ninjutsu in my dreams? The answer is no. In the following days, Kawasaki discussed strategies with Orochimaru during the day, and returned to his room at night, closed his eyes and entered the dream to practice. Although several new talents were added, the only one that could immediately enhance combat effectiveness was Kimamero's combat intuition. This talent allowed Kawasaki to accurately predict the enemy's next move in close combat, and his swordsmanship improved significantly. As for Earth attribute affinity, since he could not find a suitable Earth-style ninjutsu to learn for the time being, he put it aside for the time being. Regarding natural affinity, Kawasaki was thinking hard about how to obtain the sage mode of the 3 holy places. Yakushi Kabuto had just left, and there would be no news for a while. As for Mount Myoboku, it depends on who can introduce it, or ask Tsunade's summoning beast Katsuyu. The sage mode plan can only be put aside for the time being. Although Kawasaki has the chakra of the Uzumaki family, he still uses it more for Susanoo. Kawasaki tried to divide a large number of shadow clone like Naruto. But the shadow clone exploded, and almost crashed his brain in the dream space. This made him more convinced that only Naruto could use shadow clones so recklessly. And when he imagined using shadow clone to open Susanoo like Madara, he realized Madara is really god tier. Theoretically, Susanoo should be able to be dispersed to shadow clone like Nine-Tails chakra. But in reality, in addition to chakra, pupil strength must also be dispersed. Insufficient chakra can't be opened. Insufficient pupil strength, there is no solution. If shadow clone is defeated when opening Susanoo, the loss will be huge and it will be a losing business. Of course, if you can use wood clone, the situation will be better. After all, wood clone is not easy to collapse. Kawasaki can only operate as Susanoo steadily now. After all, he doesn't know wood style. At this time, Kawasaki deeply felt the gap between himself and Madara. Even wood clone needs strong pupil power and chakra to differentiate and open Susanoo. Fortunately, Uchiha Madara is still lying in the coffin, so he has plenty of time to surpass him. The remaining music grandmaster and archery grandmaster talents are useless to Kawasaki. He has no intention of changing his fighting style, so he puts them aside for the time being. However, Saken and Yukon's two-handedness brought Kawasaki a huge surprise. Uchiha people usually do not use other ninjutsu when using Susanoo. Susanoo consumes too much energy, and performing additional ninjutsu will consume more energy and chakra, and it is not convenient to control Susanoo. Conventional ninjutsu is not as good as Susanoo's attack and kick. So when using Susanoo, ninjutsu is usually not used together. Of course, Madara and Susanoo are used to release Tengai Shinsei at the same time, which is another matter. Kawasaki accidentally discovered that even when he was activating Susanoo, his mind could still freely perform other ninjutsu without affecting the use of Susanoo. This is the so-called two-handedness. The more Kawasaki tried, the more he realized that this talent was not trivial. In the dream space, this time the opponent was Uchiha Fugaku. Susanoo. After a few moves with Kawasaki, Fugaku summoned his own Susanoo. Perhaps Kawasaki's pupil power was sealed in Fugaku's eyes. Fugaku has been able to open his Susanoo to the third stage and put on armor. And Fugaku's Susanoo weapon is also the first time Kawasaki has seen it. Strengthen the Susanoo's hand and turn it into a giant chakra claw. Susanoo's form is really colorful 8-gate, with swords the most common. Sasuke's is a bow, Shisui's is a spiral sword, and I didn't expect Fugaku's as a claw. Boom. If they fight head-on, every attack of Susanoo will make the earth tremble. But Fugaku rarely fights Kawasaki head-on. In terms of Susanoo use, Kawasaki is far inferior to Fugaku. Fugaku only uses Susanoo to ultimate when necessary. And usually opens and closes it instantly, and puts it away immediately after blocking the attack, which is much more flexible than Kawasaki's control. This makes Kawasaki realize that he is not good at controlling Susanoo. After settling down in the Hidden Sound Village, Kawasaki finally had time to sort out his abilities in detail. He constantly optimized his combat system in the dream space every day. Haku's body gradually recovered, and he was able to start basic chakra refining exercises. Haku was very focused when studying, his mind was pure, and there was no distraction at all. When learning theory, he could always remember the key points quickly. If it weren't for his physical condition, he could start learning ninjutsu now. Teaching 1 is also teaching, and teaching 2 is not too much. After Orochimaru learned about Haku's talent, he simply taught them together. In the Hidden Sound Village, Kawasaki experienced high-intensity fighting every day, and his control over his own abilities became more and more handy. His practical experience and combat skills grew rapidly, and gradually formed a unique combat style. In the dream space, Balsamic Claw Red, the flames from Itachi's mouth ignited the flying shuriken. They fell like flowers scattered by a fairy, and the huge flames hit the ground, leaving countless pits. Advertisement. Kawasaki flexibly moved left and right, dodging easily on the ground. With a wave of his hand, the Kusanagi sword was unsheathed, and the sharp sword sounded. Ding dong. Ding dong. Kawasaki blocked Itachi's shuriken, and then the two began a close-range fierce battle. Itachi held a kunai in his left hand and wielded a long sword in his right hand, attacking freely and unrestrainedly. Turning around, he tried to stab Kawasaki's head with a kunai, but was gently blocked by the Kusanagi sword. Then, Itachi flipped in the air and chopped back with the long sword. Kawasaki used his free left hand to make a seal with one hand. Water style, water barrier. Boom. A huge wave surged from the ground, knocking Itachi's weapon away and obscuring his vision at the same time. Before the water receded, the Kusanagi sword passed through the water and pierced through Itachi's ribs. Susanoo. Red bone-like armor covered Itachi's body. Clang. The Naginata sword made a crisp sound. Kawasaki smiled. Finally forced you to deploy Susanoo. Itachi's Susanoo blocked the attack and then immediately released it. Taking advantage of Kawasaki's slight slackness, Itachi raised his head and the Mangekyō Sharingan spun rapidly. Tsukuyomi. The powerful eye power instantly invaded Kawasaki's consciousness. Kawasaki was just slightly stunned, and was not sucked into the Tsukuyomi world when the Mangekyō spun. Kawasaki's eye power far exceeded Itachi's, and Tsukuyomi could not work. Itachi in the dream lacked memory and emotion. So Tsukuyomi was ineffective, and Itachi had no expression on his face. The speed of the seal was so fast that Kawasaki could hardly see it clearly. Fire style, great fireball technique. A ball of flame erupted from Itachi's mouth, and quickly expanded towards Kawasaki. Kawasaki flashed and dodged to the left. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The shurikens flew across each other, making it hard to predict where they would land. Kawasaki drew out the Kusanagi sword, and the Sharingan spun rapidly. Ding dong, ding ding, ding ding. Each kunai was precisely chopped off. While wielding the Kusanagi sword, Kawasaki used his free left hand to perform two tasks, forming a seal with one hand. Water style, water severing wave. Kawasaki sprayed a stream of water from his mouth, forming a high-pressure water blade that went straight for Itachi. Sizzle. The water-severing wave swept across Itachi's body at lightning speed. Pa pa. Itachi's body slowly split apart. Ah, ah. Itachi's body shattered into a flock of crows, crow's body replacement technique. Instantly, Itachi disappeared from Kawasaki's sight. Kawasaki's eyes narrowed, and the Mangekyō Sharingan spun wildly. 1.1 opened the eye of Susanoo. Kawasaki's eyes flickered, and instantly locked onto a crow. Body flicker technique. With a flicker of his body, Kawasaki stabbed the crow with the Kusanagi sword in his hand. Bang. The crow turned into Itachi's true form. Susanoo. Bang. The Kusanagi sword was blocked by Susanoo again. Before Kawasaki could retract the Kusanagi sword, Itachi's right eye suddenly opened. Amaterasu. Black flames instantly enveloped Kawasaki. Susanoo. The golden Susanoo emerged from Kawasaki's body, blocking Amaterasu while helping him escape. Tisk. I was thinking of defeating Itachi without the help of Susanoo. Amaterasu can only be defended, but difficult to dodge. Itachi used Amaterasu easily when fighting Sasuke, which shows how perfunctory he was. It took such a long chase to burn Sasuke. Could Sasuke's movement speed be faster than Itachi's vision? Amaterasu was blocked, and the opponent Itachi paused for a moment, seemingly consuming a lot of energy. Then, Itachi's Susanoo appeared instantly. Itachi's state in the dream was consistent with reality. Over the years, Orochimaru's medicine suppressed Itachi's pupil power. Therefore, Itachi's red Susanoo only evolved to the second stage. And he still hadn't put on the armor of Crow Tengu. Itachi's Susanoo flashed in his hand, and the red light of Yasaka no Magatama flew out. The speed was so fast that Kawasaki, who hadn't opened Susanoo, dodged to the right by instinct. Kawasaki opened Susanoo. The golden Susanoo appeared instantly. Boom! It collided violently with Itachi's Susanoo. During the confrontation, Kawasaki was still able to distract himself and perform other ninjutsu. Kawasaki stretched out his hand and made a seal. Water style. Water severing wave. Poof! Driven by the powerful chakra, the high-pressure water blade cut instantly. Itachi's Susanoo was instantly cut open, and the Susanoo was briefly buffered. Itachi leaned over to avoid the impact of the water blade. Kawasaki's Susanoo took advantage of the situation and hit it hard, causing Itachi's Susanoo to stagger back. Kawasaki's Susanoo stretched out his hand to capture Itachi's Susanoo. Chapter 78. Crush Itachi. Kawasaki's terrifying strength. Cheating and flying. However, Itachi closed his Susanoo in time and avoided the attack. But just as Itachi's Susanoo disappeared, Kawasaki stretched out his left hand from his golden Susanoo. His hand was covered with sealing charms and slapped directly on Itachi's body. The sealing charms spread rapidly, sealing Itachi's chakra. Kawasaki also released his Susanoo, drew out the Kusanagi sword, and started a physical contest with Itachi. Although the chakra seal could only last for a moment, it was enough for Kawasaki to successfully subdue Itachi. Finally, Kawasaki fended off Itachi's attack, grabbed him with his other hand and threw him to the ground, and stabbed him with a knife, nailing Itachi to the ground. Kawasaki slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a breath of foul air. The training during this period made Kawasaki's combat system more and more perfect. Now he can defeat Itachi without relying on the power of the pupil or the power of Susanoo. Kawasaki became more and more proficient in his new abilities, and the strongest of them was the multitasking he learned from Zojin and Yujin. Now, Kawasaki can not only cast ninjutsu with one hand in close combat, but also use the Kusanagi sword with the right hand, and conceal with the left hand. When facing summoning beasts, he can seal quickly. When casting Susanoo, he can use Tobirama's water-severing wave to enhance the attack power. The advantage of water-severing wave is that it starts quickly and cuts for days. It is especially useful in medium-distance fighting. Karen's ability to recover is also top-notch, and Kawasaki can always maintain a good fighting state. Minor injuries and pains have no effect at all, and his fighting power is very stable. He is simply a perpetual motion machine in the fighting world. As his fighting skills become more and more sophisticated, Kawasaki, who used to only know how to use the power of the Eternal Eye, is now able to fight carefully and accurately, and is no longer the man he used to be. As time goes by, 3 months have passed in the blink of an eye. In Konoha village, there is a Hachigai. Hachigai was originally the territory of Uchiha. There are few other shops except Uchiha's own family. However, when Kawasaki offered a bounty, some people went home to have children, leaving many empty shops. After Uchiha's shop became popular, the whole street was bustling, and these empty shops were rented out by various ninja clans at high prices. Sure enough, Uchiha restaurants brought a lot of business, and they could make a lot of money in any business. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. Once Danzo and the third generation took notice, Uchiha started the withdrawal plan. Today's Hachime is no longer prosperous. There are many empty shops on the streets and alleys, and the old signs seem to be covered with dust. These are all traces of Uchiha. The shop owners who still have 28 guards are all other ninja clans who took over at high prices before. When they saw people from other villages coming, their eyes were full of desire. But most people just passed by this street, went straight to the north gate of Konoha, got on the Uchiha sightseeing bus, and went to the snack street. Or they looked at the deserted streets and had no mood to spend money, so they went to other commercial streets. Unlike ordinary people, the various ninja clans knew why the Uchiha moved. The bigwigs of their clans recognized the figure when they were meeting in Konoha, Danzo. In addition, a certain Byakugan clan who didn't want to take the blame secretly spread the news. Danzo now made a new enemy. Danzo took the 30% secret recipe to the Fire Country daimyo, who was angry but couldn't do anything about Danzo. If the daimyo was willing to invest, everyone would be happy. Now that the negotiations were not concluded, it would be good if they could give something. The Fire Country daimyo could only copy the gourd, add the imitations of his own team, and start catering promotion. In the Hokage building, in the conference room, the accompanying elders and advisory elders were seated. Even Akamaiki Kyufeng, who had been enjoying a good life at home all year round, rarely appeared in the conference room. Gathering once a month, they talked about the major events of Konoha. The honorary elders could only give suggestions, and the final decision still depended on the Hokage and the advisory elders. Although the Hokage is the boss, it is useless even if the advisory elders vote against it. But there has been no such commotion in recent years. In the past 2 or 3 years, the third Hokage has aged rapidly. The sharpness of the ninja hero in the past is gone, and only the decadence is left. Now it's free speech time. The third Hokage knocked on the table. With a creak, the chair made a sound. It turned out that Akamaiki Kyufeng stood up, and the chair he just sat on was severely deformed. He had not attended the meeting for too long and had no exclusive seat. I propose to buy back the shops on Uchiha Hachi Street, recruit new investors, and activate the business on Hachi Street. Akamaiki Kyufeng was reluctant to come, but the Akamaiki family was the most likely to buy the shops on Hachi Street. After all, the Akamaiki family sells barbecue, and being next to Uchiha can also increase the source of customers. Who would have thought that Danzo would want to steal their skills, and all Uchiha moved away. Uchiha's shops are empty, and the more empty shops there are, the fewer people flow, and other shops will suffer. The property rights of the shops belong to Uchiha, and they were originally centralized for easy management. Now that Uchiha has left, it cannot be used casually, after all, it is someone else's property. If it is not bought back from Uchiha, Hachi Street will always be depressed. Agree. Many honorary elders seconded the proposal. After all, the elders present were basically the heads of the big ninja clans, and they had a keen sense of smell. So they are the ones who suffered the most. The third generation looked around and found that 2/3 of the honorary elders agreed. Akamaiki was still the advisory elder in name. The third generation knocked on the table. Approved, who will talk to Uchiha? Everyone looked at the Hyuga family, where 2 people were sitting, one was Hyuga Hiyashi and the other was Hyuga Hazashi. Advertisement. Originally, only Hiyashi was the honorary elder, but this time Kato handed over the authorization letter to the clan after getting it. The clan was worried that Kawasaki would come back and settle accounts. The Hyuga branch house had a close relationship with Uchiha and had complaints about the main family. So Hiyashi decided to give the honorary elder position to Hyuga Hazashi, who was on good terms with Kawasaki. For so many years, no one from the Hyuga branch house had ever been in the decision-making level of Konoha. This move greatly won the hearts of the people in the Hyuga branch house. After Uchiha left, the Hyuga family spread the news that it was planned by Danzo. While calming down the discontent of the branch house, the message was also passed on to other ninja clans. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Hyuga Hazashi stood up. I'll do it. Seeing Hazashi volunteering, the third generation nodded with satisfaction. Hazashi, it's decided to be you. Then the third generation waved Hazashi to sit down. Next topic. The third generation said loudly. Danzo stood up. Konoha's monthly task completion is too low. I suggest rebuilding the route. The route can ensure that 1/5 of Konoha's tasks are completed. Akamaiki stood up with a gust of wind. I object. With a click, the chair under his butt was completely broken. Konoha's economy is in recession, and rebuilding the route will only increase unnecessary expenses. Danzo has been doing all kinds of things over the years. If he hadn't forced Uchiha away, he could still be happily counting money at home. There is no way to rebuild the route. I object too. The routes are useless. Objection. Text. Route base. HMPH. How dare these bastards oppose my proposal? Danzo returned to the base with a dark face. Except for the Shimura clan, the honorary elders of other ninja clans did not buy his proposal. They also said that the routes were useless, which made him very angry. Danzo understood that everyone blamed him for Uchiha's departure. But he had no choice. He had made a deal with Zetsu before to find Kato, but now Zetsu disappeared. The honorary elders were gone, and the capital chain was broken. He really lost a lot. The combat power of his roots was its strong point. Now it was a peaceful time, and all countries were quiet, and people gradually forgot the importance of the roots. Danzo walked back and forth. Zetsu's departure without saying goodbye made him feel uneasy. The new technology brought by Zetsu restored the freedom of his arms. He no longer needed the Mangekyō Sharingan to suppress Hashirama cells. So, Danzo reinstalled the Sharingan that he had removed before into his right eye, and it was more than enough. However, Danzo always had doubts about others except for his own faith. Now, Zetsu has mysteriously disappeared again. Send someone to call the medical team. Danzo gave an order, and soon the medical staff gathered. I'm worried that my right arm may have been tampered with. Set a seal on my arm. Yes, Lord Danzo. Kingdom of Wind, Sugakure Village. 3 months passed in a flash, and Kawasaki's progress was remarkable. Finally, he could easily defeat Fugaku and Orochimaru in the dream space, and he didn't have to practice so hard in the short term. On this day, Kawasaki and Orochimaru planned the follow-up actions, left a sum of money, and decided to leave. Although Kabuto did not return to Ōtsutsuki village in these 3 months. But through the summoning beast shared with Orochimaru, they can confirm the life and death of Ina. It is estimated that he is still practicing the fairy art and cannot return for the time being. Since Kabuto's snake fairy art cannot be obtained for a while, Kawasaki decided to find Tsunade first. Bring Tsunade back to Uchiha first, and at the same time promote the follow-up plan. The purpose of this trip is clear, and Kawasaki decided to go alone. Kimimaro, you stay in Otogakur for a while, let Orochimaru check your body. Just in case. Although Kimimaro was reluctant to let Kawasaki leave. But he understood that only with a healthy body can he better assist Lord Kawasaki. I understand, Lord Kawasaki. Kawasaki reached out and stroked Kimimaro's face. You must listen to Orochimaru. Kimimaro's cheeks flushed and nodded in agreement. During the time that Bai followed Kawasaki, he was well-fed and warmly dressed, and his figure was no longer so thin. He stood aside, his eyes full of timidity, and he was also reluctant to leave Kawasaki. Kawasaki also smiled and rubbed Bai's head. Learn ninjutsu well here. Orochimaru has a lot of ice escape secrets that he has collected. We will see each other again soon. Bai looked up and nodded firmly. Next time, I will definitely help Master Kawasaki. Okay, you can help me next time. The two of them were still young, and Ching felt that they were dependent on him. The time when Kawasaki brought them from the land of water to the land of fields made them deeply attached to Kawasaki. Advertisement. Fortunately, with the advancement of Kawasaki's plan, everyone will be able to get together again soon, and it won't be too long. After comforting Bai, Kawasaki looked up and said to Kisame and Kyoko, Kisame, you and Kyoko take a long vacation first, and your salary will be paid as usual. You stay in Otogakur for a while, and when the next stage of the plan begins, you and Orochimaru will come together. After arriving at Otogakur, Kisame found it very good. Shisui and Itachi are very skilled in martial arts, and there are fights every day. The food nearby is delicious, and there is no need to carry out the task of killing companions. He likes it very much. What's more, Kawasaki pays him even if he doesn't let him work. Such a boss is hard to find. No problem, boss, thank you for the paid vacation. Kisame grinned, and the smile on his face seemed to never fade. Karen, Jugo, you must listen to Orochimaru here. Karen and Jugo were both rescued by Kawasaki, although they didn't spend much time together. But they are closer to Orochimaru. Kawasaki didn't give any more instructions. Kawasaki nodded to Itachi and Shisui, saying that he had communicated with them before and that there was no need to make any special arrangements at this time. Orochimaru did not show up. He never wasted time on such matters. Then I'm leaving. Kawasaki turned his back to everyone and waved goodbye, leaving freely. Bai and Kimimaro watched Kawasaki for a long time, and only came back to their senses when he disappeared from their sight. After leaving the village, Kawasaki directly used the sand gold and sand mat obtained from Rasa. Kawasaki was afraid that he would not be able to continue to enjoy these skills in the dream space if the experiment failed. Therefore, he did not summon these things until he left the Sound Village. Although they can only be used once, the time limit is not specified. As long as chakra is continuously provided, can it be maintained forever? Kawasaki thought. A piece of golden sand appeared out of thin air in the air, and then gathered into a cotton candy-like mat. Kawasaki stepped on it and felt good, so he increased the chakra output. The area of the sand mat increased, and Kawasaki lay on it with his tongue. The sand mat flew forward with Kawasaki's thoughts. The feeling of flying is so wonderful. Although the sand mat did not fly high and the speed was not fast. But for him who has the chakra of the Uzumaki clan, this consumption is just a drop in the bucket. Many places in the land of fields are rarely visited, and Kawasaki stayed at the height of the treetops and flew straight to the direction of the land of iron. Although the sand mat is not fast, it does not mean that it can be accelerated by injecting more chakra. After the area is expanded, there may be a risk of collapse. However, under such conditions, Kawasaki is already very satisfied, thinking happily in his heart. Is this considered cheating? 333. Konoha Village, Uchiha Clan Land. Hazashi accepted the task for the first time at the Konoha meeting, and submitted a visiting post to Uchiha the next day. He was still wondering whether he would be rejected, but he didn't expect Uchiha Fugaku to agree quickly. And he was not received in the conference room, but in his own yard. After Hazashi arrived, the two sat opposite each other, and Fugaku only made tea and didn't say anything else. Hazashi couldn't help but say, Chief Fugaku, I'm here to apologize for the leak in the vacant shops on Hachime. Fugaku took a sip of tea and tapped the table. The leak has nothing to do with you. Your Hyuga family's apology is insincere. Hazashi's heart tightened. It was really not simple. He smiled bitterly and responded, Chief Fugaku, our clan leader has dismissed the fourth elder Kato from his post. He is now under house arrest and is waiting for your disposal. Fugaku laughed. Hazashi, look how anxious you are. You used to call me by my name. Why did you become Chief Fugaku now? When did we become so unfamiliar? Hazashi was stunned. As far as he knew, the Hyuga family did such a thing. Uchiha should be extremely resentful. Why didn't Fugaku have any anger at all? Seeing this, Fugaku shook his head. We have already made the independence plan for Uchiha, and it has nothing to do with this matter. Have you planned it long ago? Hazashi had a vague premonition in his heart. Even if this didn't happen, we would have taken advantage of other opportunities. This time it just happened. Fugaku was not shy about Hisashi, not because he trusted Hisashi's character, but because it was already the case, it didn't matter if he told him. Kawasaki said before he left that your main family would definitely restrict you. It's not easy for them to wait until now. Quote. Hisashi held the teacup, at a loss. Fugaku narrowed his eyes. What conditions did the third generation give you for the deal? Although Hisashi has been honored as an honorary elder, the notice has not been posted yet. After the Uchiha clan evacuated, their grasp of the village's information was also weakened a lot. Hisashi lowered his voice and said, the third generation has offered me an honorary elder position, and the family gave it to me. Fugaku thought about it and immediately understood the situation of the Hyuga family and why Hisashi got the honorary elder position. Fugaku saw that Hisashi still seemed a little uneasy. Don't worry, we will have other exchange conditions for your Hyuga family. As for how to deal with your fourth elder Kato, wait until Kawasaki comes back before making a decision. Hisashi was relieved when he heard that there was an exchange condition. If the Uchiha family let it go easily, Hisashi would be really hard to explain. As for those shops on Hachime, Fugaku thought for a while and said, we don't plan to sell them for the time being, but we can consider renting them out. Quote. I wonder how Chief Fugaku plans to rent it out. Since Uchiha is not for sale, renting it out is also a good option. Fugaku stood up, took a stack of deeds from the file rack next to him, and handed it to Hisashi. These shops are completely in your hands, you help me manage them. You can negotiate the rent yourself, and then just give it to me in total. Chapter 79 Kawasaki crushes Pain's 6 paths. Shinra Tensai. This guy is so strong. Konoha Shinobi Village. In the Hokage's office, Hisashi came back quickly to report. The information he brought was that the Uchiha clan was unwilling to sell, only willing to rent. The third generation took a puff of cigarette. Does Fugaku have any other explanation? Hisashi kept in mind the principle of saying more and making more mistakes, and shook his head. Who did the Uchiha send to handle these things? There are many shops, and the matter is more complicated. Hisashi replied. Fugaku didn't assign anyone else, he asked me to be responsible for this matter. The third generation was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Well, I know. Seeing that the third Hokage had no other instructions, Hisashi bowed and left. Only the third generation was left sitting alone in the office. The third Hokage took a puff of cigarette in annoyance. He didn't expect that the Hyuga clan was not blamed by the Uchiha. In this matter, he was the mastermind, Danzo was the pusher behind the scenes, and the Hyuga family was the executor. Unexpectedly, Uchiha didn't seem to care about this at all, or was it that Fugaku and Hisashi were too close? The third generation asked Hyuga to handle this matter, originally wanting to test the waters. If the relationship between Uchiha and Hyuga broke down, he could just win over Hyuga. Unexpectedly, Uchiha didn't pursue the past at all, and let Hisashi manage these shops. The third generation tapped their pipes anxiously. Uchiha has now become a huge potential threat, but the third generation has not found a way to deal with it. The Fire Country Daimyo has already started to promote a new catering project, and I wonder how it will develop in the future. XXX. Just as the third Hokage was thinking, there was a knock on the door. Come in. It was the Anbu members of the communication department who came in. These Anbu are usually responsible for delivering important secret letters or secret orders. Hokage-sama, Jiraiya has an urgent letter for someone. The Anbu presented a scroll of urgent message and then withdrew. Jiraiya rarely sent emergency messages, and the third Hokage felt nervous. He quickly unfolded the scroll and read it. After reading the content, the third Hokage showed a rare smile on his face. The third generation thought for a moment and wrote a letter. In the Kamui space, Obito was stepping on the stone platform and moving forward. He still hadn't figured out how many secrets the Kamui space was hiding. However, some areas of the Kamui space could correspond to certain places in reality. This allowed Obito to quickly travel a very long distance. Not long after, he appeared at the border of the Land of Fire. As soon as Obito came out of the space, he saw Zetsu coming out from under the ground. Why is the Land of Water out of control? Zetsu asked in confusion. Using the Mayfly technique, Zetsu can make his body blend with the land and plants and move quickly. And when using this technique, all breath will be completely cut off. Therefore, he is an excellent candidate for reconnaissance. Since Obito went to the Land of Water, he threw Zetsu to Konoha village. See if there is a chance to get some information about Konoha. When Danzo returns, cooperate with Danzo to get more information. But unexpectedly, something went wrong with Obito, and the water country lost control. Obito said in a heavy voice, I had found a candidate who was very suitable for the organization. But Uchiha Kawasaki suddenly appeared and interrupted my plan. The fourth Mizukage I controlled was no match for Kawasaki. Zetsu was a little surprised. Can't Yagura, who has transformed into a tailed beast, beat him? Obito snorted coldly. More than that, he tricked me. Is that Uchiha Kawasaki really that strong? Zetsu was a little unbelievable. Since Kawasaki entered the leadership of Uchiha, Obito's several actions have not been smooth. The failure to recruit Itachi also destroyed the plan of the water country. Many sources of funds have been lost for no reason, and it seems that the transaction with Danzo has to be suspended. Obito's face was gloomy. Don't underestimate him, his Mangekyō ability is particularly restrained against me. Obito has suffered 2 major losses at the hands of Kawasaki. Both times he survived with the help of Izanagi, and the Sharingan stock left by Madara is almost gone. Obito's face was as gloomy as water. These 2 failures not only lost control of the Water Kingdom. More importantly, a lot of his information was leaked, and he could no longer pretend to be Uchiha Madara. Especially Kawasaki actually knew that he was the mastermind behind the Nine Tails Rebellion. Then Obito revealed Kawasaki's Mangekyō Sharingan ability to Zetsu. FG. Black Zetsu knew that someone in the Uchiha clan had the Mangekyō skill Amaterasu. But he had no impression of another eye technique that could devour different spaces. Zetsu was thinking a lot, and Obito's Kamui space ability was actually cracked head-on. This was extremely unfavorable for the subsequent plans. Not to mention that in addition to Uchiha Kawasaki, there are Itachi and Fugaku, who also have Mangekyō. Itachi's technique also restrains Obito very much. Shisui is also a hidden danger, and it is very likely that he is also a Mangekyō holder. Uchiha actually has so many Mangekyō masters, and Obito's power seems a little insufficient. No, Obito must continue to use this chess piece. Z said meaningfully. Although there are Hashirama's cells, the power of the single-eyed Mangekyō is still a little powerless. Obito understood White Zetsu's meaning, but when he thought of Kakashi, he was silent for a while. I just don't want to have anything to do with the past. Obito's words were somewhat hypocritical. Z laughed sharply. In this situation, if you don't make up your mind, Project Tsuki no Mi will not be completed. You will never see your beloved Lin again. Advertisement. Shut up. You are not allowed to say her name. Obito was angry and his expression became a little ferocious. He closed his mouth at the right time, knowing that some words should be stopped at the right time. Then there was a silence. Obito gradually regained his composure. Let's go to Uchiha territory first, I need to replenish some Sharingan. Is Konoha village far from Uchiha territory? Oh, it's really several kilometers away. Ju had no intention of exposing Obito. Obito activated Kamui and disappeared with Ju. Above the border of the land of fields, Kawasaki was leisurely floating on the sand mat. Unexpectedly, a pleasant female voice came from behind. Mr. Kawasaki, please stay. Kawasaki turned his head and followed the airflow brought by the 2 huge wings. Conan landed quickly. Kawasaki stood up from the sand mat and raised his eyebrows. Why are you here to see me? Didn't you say Nagato came in person? Conan's face changed slightly. She didn't know how much Kawasaki knew about Nagato. So, she changed her answer strategy. When we went to the Sound Village to find you, Itachi told me that you had just left, so I hurried to catch up. Quote. Kawasaki suddenly realized that Nagato was unable to move now, and he had forgotten this. It turned out that the 2 sides missed each other. Conan glanced at the sand mat under Kawasaki's feet with a subtle look, but did not ask. Kawasaki said leisurely. Okay, I know. Where is Nagato now? Please follow me, Mr. Kawasaki. Quote. Conan flapped his wings and flew in one direction. But soon he found that Kawasaki had been left far behind. Conan hurriedly flew back and saw Kawasaki flying slowly. Kawasaki grinned and said, sorry, mine is not as fast as yours. Conan was speechless for a moment. This sand mat technique is indeed Sunagaku's, and the speed is indeed not fast. Conan had no choice but to not urge him, so he just accompanied Kawasaki slowly forward. On the border of the land of fields. Even if it flies slowly, it is in the sky, without the obstruction of the ground. About an hour later, they saw Tendo standing on the treetops in the distance. Kawasaki and Conan flew closer, and Kawasaki landed and put the sand mat aside, and said to Tendo. Uchiha Kawasaki, it took a lot of trouble to find you. Pain spoke in a calm tone, calm and confident. This is not the right attitude to ask for help. Kawasaki seemed a little lazy. Nagato has become more arrogant in recent years because of Rinnegan, and he regards him as a god. As expected, the classic line appeared. How dare you disrespect God? Pain's words were both confident and arrogant. But Kawasaki didn't buy it. He scratched his ear. I know this is your Tiandao body, call out the other 5 as well. Pain frowned, feeling that all his secrets were about to be exposed. Conan couldn't help but ask in surprise, how much do you know? Pain waved his hand. Swoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A series of figures fell, and Pain's 6 paths gathered. No matter how many secrets you know, I can find out everything. Kawasaki twisted his neck. I'll let you return to normal first, and then we can have a good chat. Quote. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. Pain had never been able to figure out Kawasaki's background. Kawasaki had the Mangekyō Sharingan, but he knew nothing else. In order to prevent any trouble, he decided to strike first. Suddenly, a suction force surged from the air. Kawasaki was instantly pulled towards Pain. Universal pull. The other paths jumped aside, and the animal path began to perform summoning. The Shura path's arms were changing their forms. The human path and the hungry Kido tried to intercept him midway. The hell path retreated further back, ready to watch. Kawasaki's expression did not change when he was pulled closer by the universal pull. He had long expected to fight with pain. Therefore, he was prepared to kill the healer first in the team battle. As soon as he saw Pain's position, Kawasaki knew that the other party was going to use the hungry Kido to suck out his chakra. Then the human path could read the memory. Kawasaki adjusted his posture in the air, and blocked Renjiandao's hand with his left hand. His right hand was covered with the lines of the four-symbol seal, and he pressed directly against Kido's hand. The seal spread along Kido's hand to his whole body. Kido instantly lost his energy absorption ability. Kawasaki kicked Kido. Then he blocked with his left hand, and drew out the Kusanagi sword with his right hand. This sword was originally intended for Sasuke, but he used it quite well. Clang. With a harsh sound, Renjiandao's hands were cut off. This series of actions was done in one go during the flight, as if they had been rehearsed many times. After a long period of dream training, Kawasaki was no longer the Wuxia of the past. Kawasaki swung the Kusanagi sword and swept it across. Nagato did not expect Kawasaki to act so quickly, and Kido was sealed. Renjiandao's hands were cut off. Kawasaki raised his sword and stabbed. Advertisement. Shinra Tensei. Kawasaki instantly recognized Shinra Tensei from the reversed airflow and quickly activated Susanoo. Even though he had anticipated it, Susanoo was hit by the repulsive force as soon as it appeared. Kawasaki was hit hard, and he and Susa were repelled by the repulsive force. Kawasaki put away Susanoo while flying backwards, stretched his body, and quickly formed a seal. Fire style. Great fireball technique. At the same time, the runes of the four symbols seal covered the Kusanagi sword. Doing two things at once. A huge fireball sprayed towards Pain, and Pain jumped sideways. The fireball passed by. However, as the fireball flew out, the Kusanagi sword escaped from the fireball. The sword was covered with seal techniques, and the sword pierced Jigokudo's face. Jigokudo fell on his back without a sound. Nagato immediately lost his sense of Jigokudo. Pain's face was stern. This Kawasaki, he knows the ability of the earth path. Bang, bang, bang. Three loud noises, three huge summoned beasts appeared on the battlefield. And Shirato's missiles were waiting at Kawasaki's landing point. The sky suddenly lit up. Boom, boom, boom. Shirato's missiles caused a huge explosion. In the thick smoke, a skull-shaped Susanoo protected Kawasaki tightly. Kawasaki quickly released the Susanoo and threw several shurikens, aiming directly at the earth path. Fire style. Fengxian fire flower. Flames spewed out of his mouth and instantly wrapped around the shuriken. The burning shuriken scattered like flowers from heaven, flying towards Tendo. Tendo raised his hand. Shinra Tensei. A repulsive force bounced all the shurikens away. Kawasaki was about to throw a kunai again. On one side, a huge multi-headed dog rushed out and bit Kawasaki. Kawasaki gave up the idea of stabbing the dog with a kunai, as it seemed to split. With a wave of his left hand, the seal of the contract was lifted. The palm covered with spells pressed against the dog's head. Bang! The summoning beast disappeared instantly. A woo! With a bird cry, Yataguchi came with strong wind pressure, and its sharp beak was like a drill, pressing directly against Kawasaki. The moment it touched Kawasaki. Susanoo. Bang! Susanoo turned into a huge skeleton and resisted the attack of Yataguchi. Susanoo punched down and knocked Yataguchi to the ground directly. The animal path formed a seal again, and it was a summoning technique. Bang! A giant centipede crawled out. The summoning king is indeed worthy of his name. Shira Path launched a second wave of missiles, and several missiles exploded on the Susanoo skeleton again. Kawasaki and Susanoo was unscathed and began to form seals again. Shira Path's energy cannon was already close to Susanoo's skeleton and began to accumulate power. Kawasaki opened his mouth and shouted out a move. Water style, water severing wave. The water flow shot out like a blade, cutting Shira Path's arm and the animal path's body next to him into two pieces. The animal path didn't even groan, and collapsed directly to the ground. A huge centipede came roaring, but it turned into a cloud of smoke on the road. Just when he was about to deal with Shirato, who was close at hand, a repulsive force suddenly attacked. It was Shinra Tensei again. But this time, Kawasaki decided to take it head on. With a loud bang, Susanoo instantly changed from a skeleton to a flesh and blood body. The surging repulsive force hit Susanoo, just like hitting an indestructible mountain. Susanoo punched down with a strong punch, and Shirato was completely ridden off, scattered into a pile of fragments. Kawasaki released the Susanoo form and stood still on the ground. Great, only the human Wei who lost his arms, the sealed Hell Wei, and the Heaven Wei Pain were left on the field. Pain had a blank expression on his face, and he clasped his hands together, and the human Wei fell down, and the sealed Hell Wei also fell down. When Nagato controlled Pain alone, his power control was more precise. Chakra became stronger, and the power of ninjutsu was also increased. Even if he was the only one left, he was full of confidence. Kawasaki chuckled and said, "Trademark. Are you serious?" Seeing Kawasaki and Nagato confront each other, Conan couldn't help but persuade them. "Stop. Don't fight, this is a meaningless fight." When Conan brought Kawasaki here, she imagined many situations, but the only thing she didn't expect was that Kawasaki was so powerful that he easily solved the other 5 of Nagato's 6 paths. If they continue to fight, regardless of the outcome, Nagato's lifespan will be greatly shortened. Kawasaki shrugged indifferently. Nagato, if you are willing to talk nicely, I have no intention of fighting with you. Quote. It has been proven that the right of the strong to speak cannot be ignored. If Kawasaki had not been strong enough, he would have been captured and his memory extracted. Pain's expression changed slightly, and his body relaxed a little. I thought it would be easy to deal with Kawasaki, and then I could check his memory. But I didn't expect Kawasaki to be so strong. Pain noticed from the beginning of the fight that Kawasaki's understanding of his abilities was almost impeccable. Otherwise, hell would not have been eliminated first. Pain frowned slightly. How do you know this information? I know far more than you can imagine. The Rinnegan you are so proud of is just a tool in my eyes. Quote. Kawasaki stated the facts, but Pain was furious. He regarded the Rinnegan as a gift from God and believed that he could bring peace to the world with it. Kawasaki added fuel to the fire when he noticed Pain's obvious anger. You regard the Rinnegan as a gift from God every day. Have you ever thought that the appearance of the Rinnegan on you might be a conspiracy? Chapter 80 Planetary Devastation. The Ōtsutsuki clan. Uchiha. Masked Man Obito. How could Pain, who had held on to his beliefs for many years, be easily shaken by a few words? But Pain was able to endure for several years after Yahiko was killed by Hanzo, so he was obviously not lacking in wisdom. Kawasaki's words must have a deep meaning. Kawasaki understood Nagato's reaction very well. If a few words could shake his beliefs, it would be impossible for Nagato to persist for many years for his goal. Don't fight anymore, Kawasaki asked casually. After dealing with Nagato and several Pains, it didn't seem to take him too much effort. After all, he knew the situation of 6 paths very well. Moreover, he had the eternal eye and the physique of the Uzumaki clan, which was definitely not comparable to Nagato's weak body. He had demonstrated overwhelming strength and knew all the information about Nagato. In contrast, although the heavenly path seemed calm on the surface. In fact, Pain's chakra consumption was quite large, and he still had to maintain the Gedo statue. Rinnegan was not used by himself, and chakra was insufficient, so he had to sacrifice his vitality to cast spells. Seeing Kawasaki calm and composed, Pain was unsure. Hearing Kawasaki's words, he lost face and the atmosphere froze. At this time, Conan, who had been watching the battle, stepped forward to mediate. Since Mr. Kawasaki expected us to come, there is really no point in fighting any further. Kawasaki nodded in agreement. Obito is a madman who destroys the world, and Nagato is a war maniac, but their goals are different. One is to destroy, and the other is to save. Now Obito is still needed to promote the development of the plot, and to some extent, Kawasaki agrees with some of Nagato's ideas. Kawasaki glanced at Conan, but did not respond. Instead, he walked to the side and stared at the pile of sand on the ground. My sand mat. Kawasaki wanted to cry but had no tears. He had just fought with Nagato and completely forgot about it. Of course, he no longer had the chakra needed to maintain the sand mat. At this time, he saw that the sand mat had fallen into a pile. I haven't flown today. Conan was a little embarrassed. Why is Kawasaki so nervous? Why not just create another one? Kawasaki sighed. Forget it. Just throw it away. Turning back to see Conan and Pain still waiting. He curled his lips. Let's talk. After getting Conan's nod, Kawasaki ignored Pain. He walked towards the Hell Road and drew out the Kusanagi sword. Nagato's body suddenly sensed the Hell Road again. Pain's eyes changed. It seemed that Kawasaki had already prepared to seal the Hell Road. I don't know how many cards Kawasaki has mastered, but he didn't plan to activate the resurrection ability of the Hell Road. Seeing that the Hell Road didn't get up for a long time, Kawasaki asked curiously, why? Use the Hell Road to revive them. Pain's face froze. Yamazaki really knew. Nagato reconnected to the Hell Road, and the Hell Road stood up to cast the resurrection technique. The image of the King of Hell appeared behind him, and the King of Hell opened his huge mouth. It spit out a purple tongue with hands, swallowing up all the broken bodies around it. Then, one after another, the repaired figures walked out. Kawasaki was amazed and watched with great interest. He took out the seal scroll from his body. With a bang, Kawasaki took out the items that Conan was familiar with. Umbrella, table, chair, kettle, cup. Kawasaki sat down leisurely. Conan and Pain also came over, and the other 5 were scattered around to guard. There were only 2 chairs and 2 cups. Pain didn't need to eat or rest anyway, so let him stand. Conan seemed to understand Kawasaki's thoughts, and sat down without objection. Pain stood behind her. Kawasaki poured 2 cups of cold tea, drank a sip of it first, and sighed with satisfaction. It was still hot in the land of fields, and it was indeed dry after the second battle. Seeing Conan and Yahiko looking at him, Kawasaki said calmly, how can we talk if we don't even drink tea? Before Pain spoke, Conan had already picked up the cup and drank it all. Conan? Pain asked. Conan shook his head. It's okay, Nagato, Mr. Kawasaki invited you to drink herbal tea before. Kawasaki nodded. This is more like a conversation. Where should I start? What abilities does Mr. Kawasaki know about Nagato? Kawasaki counted on his fingers. 6 paths are mechanical transformation, memory reading, soul extraction, infinite summoning, seal absorption, chakra swallowing, Hades rebirth, reincarnation. Conan and Pain were surprised. Mr. Kawasaki knows so much. Kawasaki shook his head. Oh, and there are also the all-encompassing attraction of the Heavenly Tao and the Shinra Sky Strike. By the way, have you learned planetary devastation? Pain was shocked. Planetary devastation has never been used in public, and even Conan doesn't know it. How does Kawasaki know? Pain couldn't hold it anymore. You also know planetary devastation. Kawasaki chuckled and said, I also know that your Shinra Sky Strike has a 5-second cooldown. Seeing the two people's faces change drastically, Kawasaki shook his head. Rinnegan still has undeveloped abilities. When Pain heard this, he was still shocked and curious. What else can Rinnegan do? Kawasaki touched his chin and recalled the incredible skills that Madara had used. Well, there is a man called Tengai Shinsei, who grabs meteorites from the void and smashes them. There is also a man called Lungyubianyu, who can separate his own shadow to help the main body block attacks or sneak attacks. Pain frowned and thought hard, but in terms of mastering Rinnegan, he was far less skilled than later generations, and at this moment he gained nothing. It is impossible to determine whether Kawasaki's words are true or false. I can only ask, how do you know so much? Kawasaki brought out another set of excuses. Rinnegan first appeared in our Uchiha clan. As the deputy clan leader, I naturally know the relevant knowledge. Impossible. Pain refuted without thinking. The Uchiha clan is the leading clan in the ninja world. Advertisement. If there is such a strong person as Rinnegan, how could there be no news at all? Kawasaki smiled. I know you don't believe it. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry, I'll tell you from the beginning. There is a clan called Ōtsutsuki. Konoha Village. Uchiha Snack Street. The access control at the entrance has been replaced with an electronic device. Everyone needs to swipe the card to pass. Students of the ninja school can enjoy a 20% discount by showing their student ID. There are tour buses circulating around to pick up and drop off passengers, and many of them are ninja school students. Beep. Student ID. Beep. Student ID. Naruto and Sasuke stepped into the food street together. Not far behind, several Anbu dressed in ordinary clothes followed quietly. There was no way. Uchiha Food Street did not allow people to enter in secret. You can't wear Anbu clothes. So everyone changed into casual clothes. Beep. The continuous beeping sound allowed people in front of the door to enter in an orderly manner. Crossing the huge archway at the gate, a row of neat restaurants came into view. Newcomers will be dazzled by all kinds of neon signs. Fortunately, there are signs on the roadside every few distances, guiding the direction of food. At this moment, Naruto and Sasuke are queuing in front of a stall of stinky tofu. This is a popular snack. Naruto and Sasuke are 11 years old and will graduate from the ninja school in a year. Naruto is still cheerful, but because he has a secret in his heart, he is no longer as outspoken as before. With long golden hair draped over his shoulders, he has a vague shadow of Namikaze Minato. Sasuke's face has clear outlines, and he has not experienced the night of genocide. He does not have that heavy aura, but only has some pride of a family member. Naruto gradually feels that he is being monitored at all times. Over the years, he has become accustomed to the existence of these Anbu, although Anbu members will rotate. But every time Naruto visits the snack street, there is always the same group of people entering together. Slowly, he also recognized these people. Naruto has been very hardworking these years, in order to get good grades before Kawasaki comes back. He would go to Sasuke to practice clone technique every day, until the night, when the clone disappeared and returned, he would always fall asleep exhausted. Now, he can already skillfully use multiple shadow clone techniques in A-level ninjutsu Rasengan. Sasuke opened Sharingan more than a year ago, and his qualities in all aspects have also improved rapidly. Not long ago, he also learned A-level ninjutsu Chidori. The strength of the two is already the top 2 in the same period in the ninja school, but neither of them revealed that they had mastered this level of ninjutsu in school. Even so, they have already far surpassed the 3rd and 4th place. It's just that the actual combat experience is still insufficient. Due to the characteristics of Naruto clone technique, he has made rapid progress, and now he feels that he can definitely beat Sasuke. But after winning Sasuke last time, Sasuke seemed to have changed. He worked hard to train himself and even refused to eat. Naruto was frightened by Sasuke's madness. In the subsequent sparring, Naruto always secretly showed mercy, and Sasuke was completely unaware. Just yesterday in the competition, Sasuke narrowly won, again. Today is a holiday, and the two of them just came to the snack street to relax. After queuing for a while, the two finally bought the stinky tofu they liked. Sasuke, when do you think Kawasaki Sr. will come back? Ah. Naruto picked up a piece of black stinky tofu wrapped in red oil and coriander and stuffed it into his mouth, while muttering. Who knows, Kawasaki teacher has been away for several years. He originally said that he would come back before we graduated. There is only 1 year left before graduation, it should be soon. Sasuke, CIAG, separated the stinky tofu with a fork and dipped it in the seasoning while responding to Naruto. The two ate and walked, and the stinky tofu in their hands exuded a fragrance. Among the Anbu behind, two of them were quite interested in the smell and walked in front, while the other two followed because they couldn't stand the smell. Their vigilance was not strict. After all, Naruto had become more and more sensible over the years and was no longer naughty in school. He didn't run around and didn't cause trouble on weekdays. Most of the time, he followed Sasuke, which saved the people who were monitoring him a lot of worry. But they didn't know that in the flower bed next to them, there was a figure blending with the green plants, with his eyes fixed on them. In the forest on the edge of the Uchiha territory. The space twisted and a vortex-shaped portal opened. Obito, wearing an Uzumaki mask, appeared here. Interesting, is this the new territory of Uchiha? As soon as Obito walked out of the space, he felt a chakra sweeping over his body. Is it a barrier similar to Konoha? Obito was waving proudly to the team walking in front. I wonder if there are any tribesmen with 3 Magatama in the team. Obito thought to himself. But he didn't realize that a ninja cat was hanging on a branch far behind him, watching him. From Obito's outfit to the mask, the ninja cat checked it in his mind, and immediately jumped down from the tree. Swish, swish, swish. 3 huge fireworks exploded behind Obito. The fireworks bloomed into a fiery red, and the sky seemed to be hung with a huge red cloud. Advertisement. Obito looked up in surprise. Is the Uchiha family so vigilant? After the ninja cat finished setting off the fireworks, it disappeared with a bang. Obito felt the fluctuation and turned his head sharply. The transmission fluctuation of the summoning technique came from behind, but there was nothing there. Waves of chakra swept across Obito's body. Obito chuckled. You really think highly of me. Obito was about to hide in the Kamui space. A white light spread from the Uchiha territory and instantly enveloped the edge of the territory. Obito was also wrapped in it. Obito's face changed. Time sealing barrier. How could Uchiha have a time sealing barrier? This is a large-scale sealing array that can completely block skills such as splitting void teleportation. Obito has already studied the method to restrain Kamui space. The most famous one is the time sealing barrier, but there are not many people who can use it. And this barrier has a big disadvantage, the time effect cannot last long. Obito tried to open the Kamui space, and the Uzumaki in the air twisted twice and dissipated. The dark talisman on the ground extended from a distance, and Obito completely lost the sense of Kamui space. It seems that the other party has been prepared, and there were indeed more information leaks last time. Obito's face was gloomy, and he fell into the trap again. With such a wide range, the time should not exceed 5 minutes. Obito sighed that Uchiha was rich, and began to move to the side. As long as he delayed time, he could get away. But the sense of the barrier kept sweeping over his body. No matter where he ran, he would be discovered. Obito simply stopped running. His face was gloomy. Even if Kamui was gone, you couldn't kill me. When the time-sealing barrier was lifted, he could leave at any time. Konoha Village, Uchiha Territory. The 3 Uchiha Kiming, Iji, and Daichi who were on the move saw the signal flare in the sky, and immediately stopped and evacuated in the opposite direction. In a secret room in the Uchiha Territory, when the signal fireworks were launched into the sky, 2 tribesmen here had received the information. He pressed the magic weapon in front of him. A white light lit up, and the Kagura bell floated into the air. Another Uchiha tribe member quickly injected chakra, and the white light spread instantly. The tribe set off warning fireworks in succession, reflecting the sky of the entire Uchiha territory red. The territory is not far from the newly developed snack street, and the fireworks exploding in the sky can be seen by people on the street. Many people don't understand what this means, but they feel uneasy in their hearts. The 2 Uchiha elite Jonin dropped what they were holding and rushed back to the tribe immediately. All the Uchiha store owners changed their faces, but they were trained. If it is a signal flare of the number 3 hypothetical enemy, non-3 Magatama tribesmen are prohibited from returning to support. Can't cause a riot, which will easily put ordinary people in danger. They only said that there were enemies in the clan and the store was temporarily closed. Let the villagers evacuate in an orderly manner. The villagers didn't know why, but the signal flares fired by the Uchiha territory seemed to indicate that things were not simple. As villagers of Konoha village, they all had a certain sense of crisis and began to evacuate the snack street in an orderly manner. The moment Sasuke saw the signal flare, he stood up suddenly. Something happened. Naruto, go. Sasuke ran to Konoha village as soon as possible. Fugaku once told him that if such fireworks appeared in the clan, he must not return to the clan, and if Naruto was around, he must take Naruto away. Because the person who came must be here to catch Naruto. They should not return to the clan because they would be easily captured by the enemy or taken hostage if they went back. The biggest growth of Sasuke in these years is that he never forced himself to hold the scene. He has been taught many times in these years. Naruto's heart tightened when the fireworks were launched. This was the alarm fireworks of Uchiha, but Naruto didn't know the specific meaning. He had to follow Sasuke to Konoha. Several Anbu behind him quickly surrounded Naruto. Sasuke and Naruto glanced at them, and the leader immediately explained. Naruto, Sasuke, don't be afraid, we are sent by the third Hokage to protect you. The moment he saw the fireworks, Fugaku immediately stood up and rushed out the door. He headed towards the fireworks launch site as soon as possible. He met Kimming and others who had turned back. At this time, a white light had swept over everyone and spread outward. Kimming shouted as soon as he saw Fugaku. Chief, the enemy is confirmed to be the number 3 hypothetical enemy, the clothing is completely consistent, and it suddenly appeared in the territory, which meets the characteristics of time and space ninjutsu. Fugaku passed through Kimming's team. Execute plan number 3. Kimming, you go to confirm the location of Sasuke and Naruto, and then assemble the medical team. Iori, you go to the summoning station, the magic circle time is over, follow the signal to act. Daichi, follow the plan, gather the tribe members and come over again. Quote. Yes. Several people responded and immediately split up. Fugaku's Mangekyō Sharingan was activated, and he ran towards the outskirts of the territory first. Currently stopped moving. Fugaku walked through the woods and saw a man wearing a fire cloud robe and an Uzumaki mask from a distance. Obito. Chapter 81 Kawasaki's remaining eye power. Kamui. Obito. Confrontation. Fugaku waved his hand, and the barrier squad behind him retreated immediately. Obito teased. I didn't expect that Chief Fugaku would prepare such a great gift for me. Fugaku's face was solemn. He knew that this guy was the culprit of the Nine Tails Rebellion, but he was not in a hurry and was still waiting for reinforcements. Seeing Fugaku silent, Obito shrugged. He had to delay time anyway, and it would be better if Fugaku didn't move. In less than 30 seconds, whoosh whoosh whoosh, more than a dozen elite Jonin arrived at the scene. They were all elites with 3 Magatama. Those who were slightly weaker were asked by Fugaku to stay in the territory for safety. After everyone arrived, Fugaku rushed to Obito without a word. He had just arrived not long ago, and the time he had been waiting for his teammates had exceeded 1 minute. There are more than 3 minutes left. If Obito cannot be kept, Kawasaki can only be recalled. Swish, swish, swish. Before the Uchiha people get close, the shuriken-like raindrops whizzes at them. Obito dodges left and right, in a mess, with a few more bloodstains on his body. Obito looks panicked, hiding here and there, the enemy is getting closer and closer. Wait until you get closer. Fugaku's eyes tightened, and suddenly waved his hand and shouted, retreat. The Uchiha retreated without hesitation upon hearing the order. Obito's eyes condensed, and his hands shook his sleeves and pointed them forward. He knew that this was the only time to inject chakra with all his strength. But sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. With the sound of cloth tearing, countless branches shot out from Obito's palm. The branches quickly expanded and thickened in the air, and penetrated into the Uchiha crowd like lightning. So fast. Fugaku's face darkened. Although he knew Obito mastered wood style, he didn't expect it to be so fast. Fugaku swung his sword like the wind, cutting off the branches that were coming at him. The rest of the Uchiha tribe didn't get caught because of Fugaku's warning, but the branches were too fast and they could only barely avoid the vital parts. Boom. The branches fell to the ground, shaking the whole area. Painful groans came one after another. Many people were hit by wood style, some of them had their legs and arms pierced, and blood gushed out like a fountain. Raikuto. Aura. Yangshu called out sadly. A deep groove was cut on Raikuto's back, and white bones were visible. One of Aura's legs was seriously injured, and the bones were obviously broken. On the Uchiha side, only 6 people were left standing, except Fugaku. After performing wood style, Obito also panted. This move consumed a lot of chakra, and he couldn't bear it. Damn, if there was Kamui's help, there wouldn't be 6 left. Seeing Fugaku blocking the attack, Obito knew something was wrong and hurriedly fled sideways. Inside Konoha village, as soon as Naruto and his party left the snack street, they saw several cars parked in front of the door. Another Uchiha member was guiding the crowd, and a wide road was left on one side leading directly to Muto. People evacuated in an orderly manner under the command of the Uchiha. Anbu was simple-minded. If the enemy targeted Naruto, mixing in the crowd would easily cause the war to affect innocent people. They moved faster. Anbu even fired a flare to summon his companions for reinforcement. The Uchiha tribe members who were still commanding breathed a sigh of relief when they saw this, and also fired a flare to warn. Anbu led Naruto and Sasuke to move along the predetermined route. Not far away, and Anbu suddenly shouted, "Be careful. There is something strange ahead." 2 aloe leaves suddenly appeared on the ground, and there was a yin-yang face in the leaves. The 4 Anbu and the 2 boys were alert instantly, and the Anbu took out their kunai. The 2 regretted in their hearts, but they had no ninja weapons in their hands at this moment. Zetsu poked his head out, ignoring everyone's reaction, and pointed his eyes directly at the Uchiha territory. Time seal array. Uchiha was so well prepared. Definitely Obito was not worried. After all, Obito had wood style and Izanagi, and the time seal would not last long. At most, a Sharingan could be sacrificed. Obito failed many times, making Black Zetsu anxious. This chess piece is crucial. Obito's strength must be improved. Who are you? Anbu asked harshly. The black and white weirdo in front of him was not a good person at first glance. Oh my, isn't this Nine Tails Jinchuriki? When White Zetsu said this, everyone's faces changed drastically. Sasuke's heart trembled. As expected, he was coming for Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes. As expected, he was looking for money. The four Anbu were sweating. Others were fine on duty, but they were on duty. How could they be so unlucky? I just hope that Konoha's reinforcements will come soon. White Zetsu stamped his feet, and more than a dozen white humanoid monsters suddenly jumped out from the ground, with different shapes and incomplete. Some had big holes in their bodies, one eye and crooked faces, and their whole bodies were pale, as if they were made of inferior plasticine, rough and unbearable. This group of monsters broke out of the ground and rushed straight to Naruto and Sasuke. The four Anbu shouted and stepped forward. Naruto, Sasuke, go. Before he finished speaking, White Zetsu's clones were already fighting with the four Anbu. Although White Zetsu's clones were not strong, they firmly restrained the four people. Sasuke exchanged glances with Naruto and nodded heavily. Sasuke made a seal and said to Naruto, there are too many monsters. Let's help Yami reduce the burden. Okay, Naruto responded. Multiple shadow clone technique. Bang 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 bang. A series of explosions, dozens of Naruto clones appeared. The four Anbu who were fighting with the White Zetsu clone were shocked. When did Naruto learn multiple shadow clone? Everyone, go. Saving people is important. Okay. Advertisement. Go. The Naruto army launched a counterattack against the White Zetsu clone. If you don't see it with your own eyes, who can believe that one person can divide so many clones? The Naruto clone rushed forward and hugged the White Zetsu clone tightly. Anbu breathed a sigh of relief, and the knife flashed, and the White Zetsu clone slowly fell down. With the clones to contain, the pressure on Anbu was reduced. But Naruto's clones were also rapidly consumed. With the sound of bang, 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 Naruto's clones gradually decreased. The airflow swayed, and the real Naruto suddenly rushed out, holding the Rasengan. His target was Zetsu, and seeing Anbu's condition improved, Naruto had the idea of Zetsu. With a wave of Zetsu's hand, a thick tree stump rose from the ground. Bang! Naruto's Rasengan hit the tree stump hard, leaving a dent. However, it was useless. The tree stump rebounded violently. Naruto felt a tightness in his chest and fell to the ground, spitting blood. Chidori! Sasuke roared, blue light flashed, and the electric current was like a flock of birds singing. Sasuke Sharingan rotated rapidly, bearing the huge load brought by Chidori, and went straight for Black White Zetsu. His goal has always been Zetsu, and Yan's clone. When Naruto flew out, Sasuke had completed the acceleration sprint. Naruto looked at Sasuke with expectation. Chidori whistled, closer, closer. Sasuke was excited. Success was in sight. Just when Chidori was about to hit Zetsu, Z turned to the side and hooked out with a foot. Sasuke stumbled and flew out. Sasuke was startled. The Chidori in his hand fell away, and his palm slapped the ground directly. Crack, crack, it was as if he could hear the crisp sound of his finger bones. Woo-ah! Sasuke let out a heart-wrenching scream. The severe pain spread all over his body in an instant. Sasuke's tears and snot burst out, and he almost fainted from the pain. Sasuke! Naruto yelled. Damn it! The two clones behind him immediately helped him rub the Rasengan again, and Zetsu stretched out his hand suddenly, and the thick branch shot out of his palm like an arrow. Naruto narrowly avoided the attack of the branch. But then the sound of puff puff of flesh piercing made Naruto turn his head stiffly. Those Anbu members who were fighting with White Zetsu had been pierced in the abdomen by the branches, and were obviously unable to revolving heaven. An evil chakra rose up. Boom. A huge heartbeat suddenly sounded in everyone's heart. Naruto's face became extremely hideous, and his eyes seemed to be stained with a touch of red. With the help of Naruto's clone, Naruto finally formed another Rasengan in his hand. Naruto was wrapped in red chakra and rushed towards Zetsu. Desperately, the red chakra overflowing from Naruto's body seemed to see the huge and hideous head of 9 tails, floating behind Naruto. Interesting. Zetsu exclaimed. Then, he reached out and grabbed Naruto's wrist, and pushed away the Rasengan in Naruto's hand. At the moment when Naruto lost his balance and flew backwards, his left hand grew sharp claws, leaving scars on Zetsu's arm. Bang! Naruto also fell to the ground. The Rasengan in his hand hit the ground, leaving a hole. Naruto. Sasuke endured the piercing pain in his right arm. But the huge chakra released by Chidori and the severe pain of broken finger bones made Sasuke's body weak. Seeing Naruto being knocked to the ground and unable to move, Sasuke's eyes almost popped out. Suddenly, Sasuke's mind cleared, a chill surged, and the pain in his finger bones was greatly reduced. The Sharingan in his eyes changed from a single Magatama to a double Magatama. Sasuke suddenly felt a surge of strength in his body, gritted his teeth, and stood up. However, all this was in vain. Zetsu stepped on Sasuke and made him fall to the ground. DX. A mouthful of blood splattered on the ground. Sasuke refused to give up, endured the severe pain all over his body, and struggled desperately. Zetsu frowned, and a wooden stick appeared in his hand and pierced straight into the ground. Sasuke saw the wooden stick fall from the corner of his eye, and was horrified. He twisted his body with all his strength, but the wooden stick went straight through his shoulder blade. Ah! Sasuke screamed and then fainted. Zetsu ignored Sasuke. Anyway, Anbu had been dealt with, and taking Nine Tails away was also a good choice. He reached out to Naruto, who had just stood up. Thinner branches shot out from his hands, tightly wrapping around Naruto's body. Instantly, Naruto was tied up like a dumpling. Naruto looked at Sasuke, his eyes suddenly widened, his pupils erected, boom. Red chakra, as violent as a raging fire, surged out. The gushing chakra formed a layer of flame-colored chakra coat on Naruto's body. A fiery red tail stretched out from behind. The branches on his body were instantly shattered by this force. He frowned slightly, out of control. Naruto pounced suddenly, as fast as a cheetah, with a whistling sound, and went down to Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu jumped back and avoided the attack. Naruto stretched out his tail in the air and pulled hard to pull the branches off Sasuke's body. Sasuke, who was in a coma, trembled all over and groaned in pain. Advertisement. After Naruto landed, he immediately picked up Sasuke and ran towards Konoha village. He didn't look out of control. Zetsu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Naruto to be unaffected by Nine Tails. Sensing that Anbu personnel were approaching in the distance, Zetsu narrowed his eyes and slowly dived underground. Please give me flowers. Konoha village. The edge of the clan's territory. Due to Obito's wood-style sneak attack with a large amount of chakra, many Uchiha lay on the ground groaning in pain. Fugaku witnessed the miserable scene of the clan members, with anger burning in his eyes. Yangshu, take care of the clan members and wait for reinforcements. The others will follow me. After saying that, he hurriedly chased after Yangshu without allowing Yangshu to answer. Yangshu saw the wounded on the ground, and continued to fire flares into the sky. While taking out the emergency medical supplies he carried with him to stop the bleeding for everyone first. After receiving the signal, the family medical team quickly came to help. Fugaku was furious and followed Obito closely. He didn't expect the other party to be so well prepared. He was tricked by Obito again, and so many people were injured. If he had known this, he should have summoned Kawasaki back directly. Fugaku put more force on his feet, and the trees around him quickly retreated. Second plan. Fugaku saw Obito's right arm hanging, and guessed that the blow was a heavy burden on his right hand. Many Uchiha showed their arms, all of which were tied with sealing magic circles. Whoosh, 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 countless shurikens flew out. Obito could not open the Kamui space, and he did not have the habit of carrying a ninja tool bag. So he had to consume chakra, use yin-yang escape to condense a black stick, and waved it to resist. There was a continuous ding-ling-dang-dang sound, and all the shurikens and kunai were blocked by Obito's black stick. But it was useless. Fugaku and other Uchiha had already prepared hidden weapons and kept taking them out and throwing them at Obito. Obito fled and blocked, and soon got injured. There were too many hidden weapons, and he could only try his best to protect his vital parts. He was hit by 3 shurikens and 2 kunai on his feet and shoulders respectively. Although he pulled them out quickly, the wounds were not deep. Oh, but every time he moved, blood would seep out. And the black stick he made temporarily was far less tough than the later ones. Although the black stick was strong, it could not withstand the advantage of numbers. During the chase and escape, Obito was wounded in many places. If it weren't for his modified body being extremely resistant to blows, he would have fallen down by now. All the Uchiha kept a distance from Fugaku, fearing that he would use the wood style again. The sealing arrays in their hands were all top-grade goods, hiding a large number of hidden weapons, which Fugaku prepared specifically to deal with Daijun. If Obito hadn't been attacked by Obito's wood style just now, Obito would have fallen down by now. Many Uchiha didn't use ninjutsu, and Obito was too slippery to catch. It would be even worse if he used the fire style and blocked his companion's sight. Unfortunately, everyone underestimated Obito's body's resistance to blows. Although Obito was hit by hidden weapons from time to time, he didn't fall down even if he was bleeding all over the ground. Fugaku calculated the time in his mind. There were only 2 minutes left, and the fixed time world would be finished. Fugaku was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. The ninja tools he threw out were too weak to deal a fatal blow. There was no time to talk, since throwing ninja tools didn't work. Boom. Come out, Susanoo. A huge purple-black figure whizzed down from the sky. It was Susanoo. Obito turned around in a hurry, and his heart suddenly tightened. Fugaku's Susanoo was still evolving and upgrading. Fugaku borrowed the pupil power left by Kawasaki and directly activated the higher-level Susanoo. Hey! Fugaku's Susanoo grew flesh and blood, and this second-stage Susanoo could launch long-range attacks. Susanoo's hand conjured up a Yata mirror jade out of thin air and flew straight towards Obito. DSOS is. The sharp sound of the wind, wrapped in a strong murderous aura, locked Obito's entire body. The moment the purple-black Yata mirror jade approached, Obito's first thought was to dodge with Kamui. But Kamui was sealed, and in poor physical condition, he was a beat late in dodging. Yata mirror jade instantly hit Obito's right side. DB. With a muffled groan from Obito, he fell to the ground in a somewhat embarrassed manner. His right arm and shoulder were gone. The cut surface revealed pale tissue, which was not the color of human flesh. Obito covered his shoulder and barely stood up, with an amazing light flashing in his eyes. Time is almost up. The fixed time world is about to be unlocked. Obito's eyes condensed, and his only remaining left hand slapped the ground. The ground suddenly glowed red. Fugaku's Susanoo soared into the air with a wild breath, and Susanoo's hand gradually enlarged and turned into a giant claw. Susanoo accompanied the whistling wind, and the giant claw condensed by pure chakra, like a mountain pressing down on the top, enveloped Obito's head. A flash of red light. Uchiha flame array. Fugaku swung his claws down. Boom. A red wall of fire appeared in front of Obito, and red light flashed on the wall of fire. Boom. Another loud noise. Flames erupted, and Fugaku's Susanoo claws were burned red and bounced high. Fugaku's weapon and the wall of fire raised by the flame array hit the fixed time realm above his head. The fixed time realm flickered. Fugaku's face changed. No, time is running out. He was shocked and retreated repeatedly, his eyes were in unbearable pain, and Susanoo also flickered. Obito also saw the flickering fixed time realm. The corner of his mouth curled up. Let's see how you can break my flame array barrier. Chapter 82 This Madman. Body Replacement Technique. Fugaku no Yuzen. Mangekyō. Swish, swish, swish. Clang, clang, clang. The hidden weapons thrown by the other 5 Uchiha tribesmen were easily deflected by the fire array. Damn it. The 5 people saw that the hidden weapons were useless. They immediately formed seals. All 5 of them used the same move. Fire style, fire dragon technique. Boom. 5 pillars of fire hit the fire wall of the fire array. The roar was huge. The fire wall flickered. Obito was covered in blood and increased his chakra output, and the fire wall of the fire array soared into the sky. The white light flickered in the space. Time was running out. Fugaku's heart tightened, his face showed fierceness, and he endured the output of his pupil power. His Susanoo shook violently and became solid again. The explosion of chakra and pupil power made the air sticky, and the huge pressure made the entire fixed time world flicker continuously. Seeing this, Obito injected more chakra into the fire array, just to resist Fugaku's killing move. Fugaku desperately urged his pupil power, his face twisted, and blood flowed from his eyes. His Susanoo finally entered the third form. Susanoo was wearing armor, the texture was clearer, and her face was as majestic as a door god. A purple-black flame rose from Fugaku's Susanoo's giant claw. The flame exploded. The power knocked several Uchiha people around to the ground. Burned to ashes. Fugaku roared. A crazy claw whizzed towards Obito's fire formation. The purple-black flame on the giant claw rushed towards the fire wall of the fire formation. Kaka. Hue. The purple-black flame was extremely destructive, and after a moment of stalemate. With a click, the fire formation was like broken glass, and the giant claw broke through the fire wall and fell heavily. Damn. Obito's mouth was bleeding, and his face under the mask was twisted. Looking at the falling giant claw, the left eye Mangekyō Sharingan emits a dazzling red light. Izanagi. Who? 997. Kai. Obito's body was crushed like plasticine and scattered. White, red, dark red flesh and blood were scattered all over the ground. Da. Ka. Fugaku stood unsteadily and fell to the ground, and the Susanoo on his body quickly dissipated. At this time, the space shook, and countless rune arrays emerged and retracted into the distance. The white light shield also changed from invisible to visible, appearing from the edge of the clan land and then withdrawing to the center of the clan land. The fixed time boundary was lifted. Obito's body became illusory, and disappeared from real to virtual. The void behind Fugaku twisted. A figure changed from virtual to real, and Obito grabbed Fugaku with hatred. Patriarch, be careful, Patriarch. Several Uchiha immediately warned. At the moment when Fugaku was caught. Bang. Fugaku instantly turned into a pile of wood. Obito was stunned. It was body replacement technique. When did it happen? Did he know about Izanagi? Obito was panicked. My secret. Did the Uchiha clan know it all? Obito was scared, and a Uzumaki rose in the space. He wanted to escape from here. But the speed of opening the Uzumaki was much slower than usual. Oh no. Too much pupil power and chakra consumption, or the influence of the fixed time circle. Swish, swish, swish. We've been waiting for this moment. The Uchiha next to him seemed to have rehearsed, and the hidden weapons flew together, shuriken and kunai, attacking one after another. 2 Uchiha raised their swords and slashed. Obito had to give up entering the Kamui space. The shuriken passed through Obito and nailed him behind. One of the pursuers took a look at the current position and fired a flare into the sky. The Uchiha Iji in the clan saw this and temporarily stopped the reverse summoning of Kawasaki. Because the flare indicated that the range of the magic circle had been reached. The enemy has space-time ninjutsu and may escape at any time. Now we must try our best to capture him alive. Notify the barrier team. The enemy has left the range of the barrier. Don't risk activating the second fixed time circle. The 2 Uchiha with knives had expected to penetrate Obito, so they left room for attack and defense. Obito was almost exhausted, and his eyes were black. Fugaku appeared on the tree next to him, panting and exhausted. He was unable to fight again, so he made a gesture and replaced the remaining Uchiha with hidden weapons tied with silk threads and threw them again. These hidden weapons can be retrieved after passing through Obito, and they are more powerful and cannot be resisted. In addition to the two Uchiha with knives, everyone took turns to attack, not giving Obito any chance to breathe. While Obito was running away, he always wanted to open Uzumaki and escape into Kamui space. Advertisement. But Fugaku and the people of the Uchiha family followed closely behind him, pressing step by step, and Obito could only repeatedly endure the pain of hidden weapons piercing his body. Facing the two Uchiha close to him, he didn't even dare to fight back, and the other party cooperated perfectly. As long as he dared to show up physically, he would undoubtedly be courting death and would be chopped into pieces in an instant. Obito knew clearly in his heart that Fugaku had mastered all his secrets. The time to enter and exit the Kamui space is much longer than the time to capture someone in, and the other party has a special tactical team to cooperate with the operation. Obito has no intention of fighting anymore. His Sharingan intelligence has been completely exposed. Without Izanagi, he dare not continue to resist. His pupil power has been consumed greatly, and his right arm and hand have disappeared. His body is full of hidden weapons, and he has lost too much blood. The world is spinning, and his condition is extremely bad. The ceiling array has been unlocked. The first task is to escape from their attack range and then find an opportunity to enter the Kamui space. Obito kicked the ground hard and ran out. Snap. Several Uchiha followed closely behind him, constantly throwing hidden weapons and cooperating with swordsmanship to try to stop Obito from moving forward. Although Fugaku gradually fell behind, he gritted his teeth and persisted, vowing to kill Obito. Obito's eyes were dark and his physical strength was almost exhausted. Is this the end? He. You seem to be in a mess. A light and sarcastic voice sounded. The tone that was usually annoying made Obito's spirits rise at this moment. Zaitu is coming. Sure enough, on the branch of a tree, Zaitu slowly appeared. The Uchiha behind immediately stopped when he saw this. Watching the half-black and half-white enemy vigilantly, Obito took the opportunity to distance himself. The white part of Zaitu's body separated and flew onto Obito's shoulder. Obito's shoulder squirmed and gradually turned into a white arm. He gently squeezed it. Finally, he had a hand to use, and he also added some chakra. Obito turned around suddenly, and countless branches flew out of his arms. No one expected Obito to recover suddenly, and the 5 Uchiha were unable to dodge and were hit hard by the branches. All 5 were stabbed by the branches. Fortunately, Obito's chakra was insufficient, otherwise he would be more seriously injured. Fugaku, who was chasing after him, saw this scene and sighed repeatedly. It seemed that the plan had failed. Unexpectedly, there was an extra opponent. Now Dai Wang could easily escape with the help of the Kamui space. 13,213. Obito coughed up blood. Chakra was exhausted, and the wood-style effect disappeared. Although Ju was beside him, it was not realistic to kill him directly. Retreat first. Obito endured the weakness and prepared to open the Kamui space while bleeding. As soon as the Uzumaki was formed, the shuriken and kunai flew again, with full accuracy and strength. The target was directly aimed at Obito's head, heart, neck and other vital parts. Chief. A call. It was Uchiha Kiming who came with Yangshu to support. Obito's heart trembled. Uchiha really refused to give up. Fugaku was also in a bad state at this time. His pupil power was overconsumed and his eyes were full of blood and tears. If he hadn't sealed part of his pupil power before, he was probably blind. His vision was blurred, and he could no longer use hidden weapons. Susanoo consumed a lot of chakra, and he was exhausted physically and mentally. He only relied on his obsession to hold on to Obito's belief to support him until now. Fortunately, 2 tribesmen had arrived, and Yangshu and Kiming dealt with Black Zetsu and Dai Wang separately. Although Ju was a grandmaster wood style, after the fierce battle, his chakra was very little, and he used some of it to heal Obito. Therefore, he could only deal with Yangshu. Obito saw Kiming's immature face and was furious. What Gyuki snake god came to bully me? Kiming swung his sword to attack, but Obito did not dodge, and the blade passed by in an instant. Obito stretched out his hand to capture Kiming, and Kiming stared at Sharingan, only to see that the hand was getting closer and closer. Kiming suddenly pulled back the sword. Obito resisted the urge to attack because Fugaku also drew his sword to join the battle. Obito could only keep hollow. Let Kiming's attack miss, and his own attack was also ineffective. Kiming was on guard, and each time he drew his sword, he cooperated with Fugaku tacitly. After practicing the tactics many times, 2 gave up the attack many times. Obito moved while looking for the flaws of the 2. He didn't believe how long Fugaku could hold on. Obito guessed correctly. Fugaku was already at the end of his strength. After 2 rounds of attacks, Fugaku also felt that it was difficult to support. No, you can't give up like this. Obito must die. Finally, Fugaku was exhausted, and there was a gap in his attack. He swung his sword slowly and failed to connect with Kiming's attack. Obito seized the opportunity and kicked Kiming when his sword was weakening. At the same time, he pressed down Fugaku's sword. Obito was secretly proud of himself, but saw Fugaku raised his head resolutely. Mangekyō Sharingan spinning wildly. Illusion. Obito was shocked. Oh no. Fugaku still has the power of eyes to cast illusions. The surrounding scene seemed to begin to distort. Obito understood that this was an illusion invading his mind. Without thinking too much, Obito's only Sharingan also began to spin wildly. Boom. A loud sound like thunder. The two eyes collided violently, launching the most primitive and dangerous eye-power duel. Obito was angry. I don't believe your eyes can beat me. Fugaku's face was hideous. He pushed Mangekyō with all his strength. Blood and tears kept flowing out of his eyes. Fugaku's face was distorted, his whole body was trembling, and he gritted his teeth to maintain the output of Mangekyō. For this enemy who almost wiped out the Uchiha clan, Fugaku gave everything. Die. Fugaku let out an indistinct roar, like an evil spirit. Under Fugaku's desperate drive, he bled from all 7 orifices. Mangekyō spun wildly, and a terrifying and tragic atmosphere came to his face. Patriarch. Yangshu saw the Patriarch fighting so hard, and was distracted for a moment, and was brushed by Ju's wooden stake, and his finger accidentally touched the detonating talisman. Ju did not dare to neglect it and immediately rushed towards Obito. Advertisement. Patriarch. Kiming rushed forward and slashed with a knife. But it went through Obito's body. Fugaku and Obito groaned together and retreated. Fugaku's face was covered with blood, and he staggered back a few steps, and each step became weaker and weaker. He thrust the knife into the ground with force. Clang. Relying on the knife to support himself, he did not fall down. Blood continued to seep from under Obito's mask, and he retreated step by step, each step was heavy, and finally, Obito barely stood firm. Madman. 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 This Fugaku is simply crazy. He is so crazy about extracting Sharingan that he doesn't even care about his life. Obito gushed out another mouthful of blood, his brain was like being stirred by a blender, and the pain came in waves, endlessly. Every feeling made him feel so painful. Not to mention maintaining the divine. Even standing was shaky. Z pulled Obito's clothes and dragged him back. Kiming didn't dare to chase and quickly stood by Fugaku. Fugaku stood with his sword, his eyes were blind and his face was covered with blood. He endured the severe pain, a low gasp came from his throat, the corners of his mouth trembled, and he said with difficulty. Quote. Before he finished speaking, he fainted. Chief. Kiming hurriedly supported the crumbling chief. Yangshu's hand was always pressed tightly on the artifact egg on his body, and his eyes were fixed on Z and Dai Wang who were getting farther and farther away. On the other side, he cut off the branch stuck in his leg with force. And limped towards Kiming's direction with difficulty. He didn't slowly exhale the breath he had been holding until Obito and the other person completely disappeared from his sight. At this moment, he took out another artifact egg and fired it into the sky. Whoosh! Blue fireworks rose into the sky. It means the enemy is retreating. Madman. Another madman. Is there no one normal in the Uchiha family? Eye-power confrontation. Spiritual power collision. The most dangerous contest. There are countless examples of becoming an idiot or dying on the spot. Uchiha Fugaku, aren't you the head of the family? To such an extent, he would take Obito's life even if both of them die together. Fortunately, Obito had transplanted first-generation cells, and his condition was slightly better. When dragging Obito away, he found that Obito's other Sharingan was blind. That is to say, Obito's Izanagi had been used up. Obito almost died. As a key chess piece in Zetsu's plan, Obito must not die here at this moment. Zetsu was full of fear in addition to fear. If Obito really died, how would the subsequent plan proceed? Originally, he just wanted to come to Uchiha to fish in troubled waters. Dig a few Sharingan and leave, but he didn't expect to encounter an unprecedented setback. Obito not only had the power of Sharingan sealed by the time seal formation, but was also severely injured by Fugaku with Sharingan with the mentality of destroying both sides. This damn place, Zetsu never wants to set foot in it again. With the support of Hashirama's cells, Obito slightly recovered some strength and found that he and Zetsu were still in the forest outside Konoha village. Zetsu remained alert. Fortunately, Uchiha Fugaku was more seriously injured, and the Uchiha tribe did not chase him. How is your eye? Black Zetsu asked. White Zetsu stopped laughing. Obito panted and said, it's better. Let's go quickly. It's not safe here. In the air, a vortex appeared at a very slow speed. Obito endured the severe pain and took Zetsu into the Kamui space. Finally entered the Kamui space. Obito relaxed and then fainted. Uchiha tribe land. On the summoning platform, Iji was about to start the reverse summoning technique. Seeing the blue smoke in the air, she breathed a sigh of relief, arranged for people to continue to be on guard, and jumped off the summoning platform. In the secret room, the tribesmen who were preparing to activate the second-time seal array relaxed their tense mood a little at this time. In a house in the tribe, the tunnel opened, and the tribesmen stuck their heads out one after another. And the Uchiha elite who was taken away by Fugaku before has been carried back. Those who have the ability to treat immediately stepped forward to rescue. The thick branches pierced into the body, and many people lost too much blood and fell into a coma. Fortunately, the tribe prepared a large amount of precious medicinal materials. With financial support, every Uchiha tribe member received the best treatment and the bleeding stopped. After drinking the expensive soup, the tribesmen's vital signs gradually stabilized, and everyone saved their lives. Quick, come and treat the tribe leader. Amid Kiming's screams, Fugaku was carried in by the tribesmen on a stretcher. Fugaku's face was covered in blood, and blood was flowing from all his orifices. His life was like a candle in the wind, and could be extinguished at any time. Iji jumped down, her face full of horror. The chieftain was so seriously injured. Her hands flickered with light, and she began to treat Fugaku. Others also pried open Fugaku's mouth and fed him medicine to treat his internal injuries. But it was useless. Fugaku's injuries were not physical, but mental. Chakra was overdrawn, pupil power was overdrawn, and mental power was almost exhausted. Fugaku's mental fluctuations were disordered and gradually weakened. Iji shouted in pain. Chief, hold on. There was chaos all around. Chapter 83 Madara's Plan. Project Tsuki no Mi. Kawasaki's Tactics. Nagato. Uchiha clan land. After Uchiha Kiming brought the clan leader back, he was pushed aside by the medical staff. Kiming was not injured and could only stand there, watching the clan members busy. Injured clan members, dying clan leader. Everyone was protecting the family. Happiness is not easy to come by. The family in the past, the family now. The family finally got better, but suffered such a heavy blow again. Kiming's eyes were red, and tears could not help falling. Those two hateful invaders. Kiming gritted his teeth. Family. From now on, I will protect the family. A mournful call came from the side. Clan leader. Kiming looked over and saw that the clan leader's vital signs were declining across the board. The mental fluctuations were getting less and less. Every second was sliding towards the abyss of death. Clan leader, you must not die. The family has just started to improve, you can't just leave like this. Kiming cried out in grief, and the Sharingan in his eyes turned wildly like out of control. The three Magatama spun faster and faster, and finally connected head and tail, and the Magatama turned into three circular wreaths. A flash of inspiration. Kiming's eyes hurt, and a powerful pupil power burst out. The Uchiha tribesmen surrounding Fugaku felt a powerful pupil power pouring into Fugaku. Fugaku's disordered mental power stabilized in an instant. Everyone looked back in shock. Kiming you. The crowd was in an uproar. Kiming actually opened the Mangekyō Sharingan. Kiming's Mangekyō was spinning wildly at this time, and his pupil power was constantly released. Fugaku's mental state gradually recovered. God show. Kiming's Mangekyō can protect the soul, stabilize the spirit, and protect against soul attacks. Fugaku's condition was finally completely stable. When everyone breathed a sigh of relief, Kiming groaned and suddenly fell down. Kiming. Everyone hurriedly supported him. After checking, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Kiming seemed to have just consumed too much energy and was not in danger of life. Everyone looked at each other, surrounded by the core members of Uchiha. Yangshu said, the awakening of Mangekyō by Kiming must not be leaked. Everyone agreed that Mangekyō Sharingan is the biggest secret of Uchiha. The birth of each new Mangekyō 28 tube can greatly increase the strength of the family. The fourth elder, Yongping, walked in through the crowd. As soon as he confirmed Sasuke's whereabouts, he learned that Fugaku was dying and hurried over. God bless him, he was over 60 years old and exhausted his chakra along the way. When Yongping arrived in a hurry, Fugaku's vital signs had stabilized. After listening to everyone's narration, Yongping learned that Toiwei had brushed shoulders with Shinigami. At first, Yongping did not agree with Fugaku's proposal. But Fugaku said that he had not done anything for the clan in these years, and if there was a chance, he would definitely keep Obito. Although he was well prepared, the result was that he almost lost his life. If Kiming hadn't unexpectedly awakened Mangekyō, Fugaku would have probably been dead by now. While the heavy weight was lifted off his heart, he also felt genuine joy for Kiming, and the whole family got up excitedly. Elder Yangping finally showed a long-lost smile on his face. Although Fugaku is temporarily stable, the Uchiha clan cannot lack a backbone. Everyone's eyes naturally fell on Elder Yangping, who has the highest prestige and is highly respected. Elder Yangping pondered for a moment and said, although the clan leader is currently stable, it is difficult to predict whether the enemy will commit another offense. First, use the summoning technique to notify Uchiha Itachi, and then arrange a reverse summoning to recall him. In addition, everyone must keep it secret about Kiming opening Mangekyō. Our summoning beast comes from the Ninja Cat clan and uses the reverse summoning array to recall Yaoyu. Quote. I will personally convey the news to Kawasaki. Quote. The elite of the family have all been injured, and the current family is weak. All those who are performing tasks outside will stop and stay in the family. Wait for Itachi to return or the clan leader to wake up before discussing the follow-up. Quote. Everyone took the order and got busy. The first thing was to inform Uchiha Itachi through the summoning technique so that he could make adequate preparations. Find out which people can return immediately or whether they can bring back the healing medicine from Orochimaru. Fugaku had foreseen the worst possible situation, so he left a sufficient response plan. Yaoyu is Kiming's elder brother, and Kiming should know about such a big event as opening Mangekyō. What's more, Yaoyu's strength is among the elites in the clan. At this moment, the family's defense is empty, and it is time for him to return to protect the family. In the last contact with Kawasaki, the other party said that he would handle an important matter and then return. Therefore, this task was handed over to the fourth elder to preside over personally. Advertisement. Soon after Zetsu escaped, Kakashi led a large number of Anbu team members to quickly come to reinforce. 5 years have passed, and Kakashi has grown into a top elite Jonin. Not only is he extraordinary, but he is also loyal to the third Hokage and has become his right-hand man. As soon as the intelligence of the Uchiha clan was spread, the third Hokage immediately assigned Kakashi to go to meet him. He dispatched other Anbu members to investigate the details of what happened in Uchiha. Seeing the red chakra shell covering Naruto's body, Kakashi and others were shocked and almost thought that Naruto was out of control. When Naruto saw the familiar Kakashi, he immediately shouted, "Brother Kakashi, come and help, Sasuke is injured." Kakashi immediately pushed up the forehead protector and exposed the Sharingan to observe carefully. Fortunately, in addition to wearing red chakra, Naruto was conscious and spoke with full breath. It seems that Naruto is fine and has not lost control. While feeling relieved, looking at Sasuke in Naruto's arms, his situation is far less optimistic than Naruto. Sasuke is not only in a deep coma, but also has a penetrating wound on his shoulder and his hands are full of bloodline. When Naruto handed Sasuke to Anbu, the chakra shell on his body gradually disappeared, and the weight caused Naruto to stagger and fall heavily into Kakashi's arms. Kakashi was startled. Naruto must not make any mistakes, hurriedly checked. Naruto's breathing was even. This guy actually fell asleep. Kakashi was speechless for a moment. Looking around at the chaotic scene, Kakashi ordered the Anbu to split up. One team went to the snack street to investigate, and the other team confirmed the situation of the 4 sacrificed Anbu. Kakashi took Sasuke and Naruto to the hospital for a comprehensive examination. The Anbu surrounded Naruto and Sasuke and arrived at the hospital. The medical ninjas here were already on standby and immediately started emergency treatment. The third Hokage also hurried over and had received intelligence on the way. He was the first to pay attention to Naruto. Hearing that the tailed beast chakra in Naruto's body had leaked, the third generation, who had personally experienced the Battle of Nine Tails, felt a tightness in his heart. He checked Naruto's seal first, and only felt a little relieved after ensuring that it was safe. As for Sasuke, although he suffered several injuries, they were not fatal, although the puncture wound on his shoulder looked shocking. Konoha village has a complete medical team left by Tsunade, which is enough to properly handle such complex situations. After Sasuke was properly placed and treated, Kakashi learned the preliminary investigation results. In Konoha village, in the office of the hospital, Kakashi is reporting the progress of the Anbu investigation to the third Hokage. This afternoon, the Uchiha territory suddenly sounded an alarm. Then all the Uchiha elites rushed back to their families. The Uchiha shop owner in the snack street claimed that there was an enemy invasion in the tribe, so the shop was suspended and the villagers were organized to evacuate in an orderly manner. Although the vehicles in front of the Uchiha snack street were stopped, under the guidance of the Uchiha members, the villagers evacuated safely without casualties. Naruto and Sasuke were attacked on the way back to the village, and all the Anbu responsible for protecting Naruto were killed. Only a few white bodies similar to human shapes were found at the scene. These bodies will quickly turn into wood materials, which are suspected to be related to wood style. The third generation frowned as soon as they heard the word, wood style. Quickly order Tenzo to find out whether it was indeed the work of wood style. In today's Konoha, Tenzo knows more about wood style. I have sent Tenzo over. Kakashi responded. The third generation nodded with satisfaction. Kakashi has gradually emerged. He has transferred Kakashi from Anbu and started to focus on training. When we arrived, we saw Naruto with the unconscious Sasuke. Naruto himself was fine, but he was wrapped in the Nine Tails chakra coat, but he was conscious. Please notify me immediately once Naruto and Sasuke wake up. At the same time, recall the sealing team and check Naruto's seal again. Be sure to find out the specific reason for the leakage of Nine Tails chakra. Yes. In the Yinyan village, Uchiha Itachi, who had just completed a series of examinations, stood up on the operating table. When Orochimaru was immersed in various data, Shisui rushed into the room. Itachi, something happened to the family. Itachi and Shisui's summoning beasts are both ninja crows. In order to prevent information blockage, they often summon them in rotation. Itachi's heart tightened. If it were not a major matter, Shisui would not come to inform him. Obito sneaked into the family to investigate and accidentally fell into the trap set by the clan leader, but the clan leader underestimated Obito's strength, resulting in many people in the clan being seriously injured. The clan leader and Obito fought with their eyes, and both were seriously injured. Shisui did not hide anything from Orochimaru. After years of getting along, they have established a deep trust with each other. Orochimaru was silent on the side, looking quite surprised. Fugaku has always been indecisive, and it is rare for him to have a pupil duel with Obito. How is father? Itachi looked anxious, and the eye power duel was extremely dangerous. This is almost equivalent to fighting with the spirit, and the slightest mistake can be the difference between life and death. Shisui hurriedly comforted. Don't worry, Kiming has awakened Mangekyō, and his power has stabilized the clan leader's state. Itachi was very surprised. Although there are many elites in the family, Kiming is not conspicuous in the strongest echelon. Kiming's talent is not in fighting, because he is good at sealing techniques. He opened the 3 Magatama and experienced flying. Unexpectedly, he actually opened the Mangekyō Sharingan. Sasuke was also injured, but it's okay. He is now in the hospital in Konoha. In order to prevent the family from being attacked again, the clan plans to use the reverse summoning technique to send you back and bring more people to stabilize the situation. If necessary, I will return with you. Itachi turned to Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, I have to go home. In fact, Itachi and Shisui were both subjects of Orochimaru's experiments, but after years of getting along, they also established a lot of friendship. Orochimaru was very satisfied with Itachi's attitude of asking for his opinion, and his tongue gently licked his lips. Of course, he was more interested in Uchiha Kiming's newly obtained Mangekyō Sharingan. Itachi, when you go back, remember to help me collect some cell samples of Kiming so that I can study them after I come back. Quote. Your current body can basically bear the burden of the Mangekyō Sharingan, but remember not to overconsume your pupil energy. Orochimaru said as he picked up a bottle of medicine from the side and handed it to Itachi. Advertisement. Just in case, take this if you overuse Mangekyō, the latest inhibitor. Shisui stays here for now, and I'll call him back when needed. Itachi took the medicine. Thank you, Lord Orochimaru, I'll remember it. Afterwards, Itachi went to the Otogakur village to see which clan members were available so that he could bring them back. Uchiha family platform. Seeing that the agreed time had come, Iori placed the crow on the summoning formation. Summoning beasts that cannot speak or cast seals can also be reverse summoned. Simply draw the summoning formation and use it as a medium to complete the summoning. Of course, there are only a few people who can draw this kind of summoning formation. This is also because Kawasaki is good at sealing techniques, so he was able to leave the summoning formation. Reverse summoning technique. Ah! The crow cried twice. The summoning formation on the ground flashed with light. Bang! Itachi, wearing a battle uniform, was summoned back. Young clan leader, welcome back. Iori greeted. Itachi looked around and saw that the clan had changed a lot. He asked, what's the current situation? How is father? Where is Sasuke? Have you informed Senior Kawasaki? Young clan leader, please follow me. Iori led the way while explaining to Itachi. The clan leader and the number 3 imaginary enemy were both injured and were already in critical condition. Fortunately, Kiming used the Mangekyō Sharingan to save him. Kawasaki did not reveal Obito's identity to ordinary clan members, and only called him the number 3 imaginary enemy. Sasuke and Naruto were also attacked in the snack street, but the main target of the opponent was Naruto. Sasuke was only slightly injured and is now in Konoha Hospital. The Konoha Anbu has tried to investigate many times, but we stopped them all. At present, Kiming is in a coma, many people are injured, the barrier team cannot operate, and there are Anbu spying nearby. We have no way to stop them. The deputy clan leader Kawasaki is responsible for notifying the elders of the Hinata, and I believe there will be a reply soon. Quote. Yori walked quickly and soon brought Itachi to a secret room. It was equipped with a complete set of vital signs monitoring equipment, and there were several Uchiha medical ninjas around. However, the strength of Uchiha's medical ninjas was limited, and Fugaku's condition could only maintain life monitoring. It was more dependent on Kiming's Mangekyō that Fugaku could save his life. Itachi went forward to check. The blood stains on Fugaku's face had been cleaned up. Except for his pale face, there was nothing abnormal. The vital signs were also very stable. At this moment, on the family summoning platform, a ninja cat stepped on the platform and slapped the ground with its little paws. Bang! A person appeared on the summoning platform. Where is Kiming? As soon as the man appeared, he shouted anxiously. The one who was reversed summoning was Kiming's brother, Uchiha Yaoyu. The tribe members led him to the Kiming lounge, and Kun had expected Itachi to be there. Yaoyu was out on a mission, and Itachi returned first because he failed to meet him in the Yinyan village. However, there was a ninja cat summoning beast of the same lineage as Yaoyu here, so he could directly reverse summon it. Hey, young clan leader, you are here too. Yaoyu's voice was loud, and then he thought of his brother who was still resting, and hurriedly covered his mouth. At this time, Kiming frowned and slowly opened his eyes. The border of the land of fields. Kawasaki took a sip of tea and moistened his throat. Madara thought he knew the truth, and for his rebirth plan, he chose a person with a special physique as a container to nourish the Rinnegan, and that was you, Nagato. Kawasaki clearly felt that Nagato's spirits were lifted, but there was no change under the mask of pain. Kawasaki ignored it and continued. He had the life of implanting the Rinnegan in you when you were young. Quote. And at the right time, arrange for your parents' tragic death to prompt your Rinnegan to awaken. When you come of age, Madara has passed away, and Obito becomes the executor of his will. So, Obito pretends to be Uchiha Madara and comes to deceive you. Because of Yahiko's existence, you rejected Obito. Therefore, Obito and Weisai designed to kill Yahiko and let you sink into the abyss. Pain suddenly interrupted Kawasaki. Impossible. Pain's face was ferocious, full of understanding. He didn't believe it. He didn't believe that he had been manipulated all his life, and his life and ideals were controlled by others. Even the eyes that looked at the world did not belong to him. How could he accept this? What he always believed in was his own Rinnegan. The awakening of Rinnegan was regarded as a treasure given by God by him. Before his death, Yahiko said to him, "You are the savior of the world." Nagato took Yahiko's ideals as his own and was determined to do so. Now someone told him that all this was an illusion. The ideals he had been fighting for years were fictitious. How could Nagato accept it? How could he accept it? Uchiha Madara's identity was fake, and Obito was actually going to carry out Project Tsuki no Mi. How do you know this? How can you prove that what you said is true? Pain's face was distorted, full of disbelief, and a hint of imperceptible panic. Kawasaki thought for a moment, and Nagato's Rinnegan was his only hope. Even if he used illusion to play the real scene, he would probably think it was fake. Chapter 84 Kawasaki gets reward. Sage Mode. Outer Rinne Tensai Technique. If you can foresee the future, it probably won't work. After all, Nagato has made up his mind not to turn back until he hits the wall. Kawasaki spread his hands. I won't go into detail about how I know this, but you can verify it yourself. I believe you have seen Hodosuke and know that Yahiko's death is closely related to Obito. At least, Hodosuke Daibutsu and others all died at the hands of Madara and Zetsu. Pain's expression was unpredictable. Kawasaki's words brought him a huge shock. For a moment, he was unwilling to believe it, and he didn't dare to believe it. But all signs show that what Kawasaki said is very likely to be the truth. Konan looked at Pain worriedly. She was also shocked, and Konan had dealt with Kawasaki before. She felt that Kawasaki's words were very likely to be true. We have seen the pigeon. Quote. Konan replied softly. At this time, Pain gradually calmed down. Why do you tell us this? Although Pain will definitely verify it later, he is still confused about Kawasaki's disclosure of this information for no reason. Kawasaki touched his chin. I have to admit that I actually admire you. Appreciate me. Pain thought about it, but he did not expect the answer to be like this, and he was a little surprised. Kawasaki nodded. Yes, I agree with your ideal. Pain suddenly widened his eyes. You know. At this time, the Akatsuki Organization was still in the latent stage. In addition to Obito's actions in the Land of Water, the organization was recruiting soldiers and accumulating funds. In essence, it was a powerful bounty group. No one knew what Pain's ideal was, even most of the members of Rao did not understand. Peace does need sacrifice as a cornerstone. When Kawasaki said this, Konan was shocked. Mutual understanding between people cannot bring true peace. This is idealism that cannot keep up with the times and is far from reality. Pain's face changed. Isn't this what he was thinking? Whether the pain you endure is caused by human factors or not. There will always be such things in this world. You are not the only one who suffers. Thinking of his deceased parents, Yahiko, pigeons, Buddha, and little ones. Pain's face twisted. Yes, that's right. Too few people feel pain, so let more people feel pain. Only in this way can we get true peace. I want to be the god of this world. Kawasaki looked at the emotional pain and sighed deeply. Nagato's life was full of tragedy. His parents died early, he was displaced since childhood, and his best friend died in his arms. That's why he said in the duel with Naruto, my pain is greater than yours. Quote. And the source of all this pain was originally a conspiracy. Kawasaki never thought of keeping this secret forever. Since he has come to this world and has the help of the system, he should make up for some regrets in his previous life. Nagato's previous life was too miserable, and he didn't even know the truth when he died. Rinnegan is so precious. Could Madara impress Nagato with just ideals? Kawasaki didn't believe it. He guessed that Nagato might also have been under some kind of control curse. But he was powerless to remove it. But he would never let Obito have an easy time. Reveal Obito's identity and tear Obito's disguise to pieces. Let Nagato fight Obito in advance, or delay their time to capture the tailed beasts, so as to gain room for growth for the outstanding talents of his own forces. When Madara appears, drown him with a bunch of Susanoo. Pain walked out of the memories of the past and looked at Kawasaki expectantly. Since you agree with my ideals, then join us, Kawasaki. Quote. Kawasaki did not answer directly, but reiterated, I emphasize again that your Rinnegan cannot make you a god. Pain paused. Kawasaki continued. In my opinion, both your Rinnegan and my Mangekyō are just tools. Tools cannot surpass the user themselves. Even the idea that Obito instilled in you is nothing more than standing at the top of the world, using tailed beasts to make war machines, and destroying any country that has any abnormality. There is a huge problem with this idea. Pain couldn't help asking, what's the problem? Kawasaki raised a finger. Let's not talk about whether your Rinnegan is the product of a conspiracy. Even if you successfully capture the tailed beast and eventually make a war machine, you still have an obstacle that you can't get around. You will die. After you die, the world will return to its original state. Everything you have done will be in vain. Pain thought about this question and replied, I can find a new successor. Kawasaki shook his head. After you die, nothing will be known. How can you ensure that the successor will keep the same original intention as you? What was Yahiko's original intention, and what is your mentality now? Pain stretched out his hand and pressed his chest. There was a scar there, which was the mark left when Yahiko committed suicide. People who have experienced pain may not be able to really treat others well. People grow up after experiencing pain, but they don't necessarily grow in the way you expect. Pain's eyes flickered, as if he was thinking. Conan asked. Then Mr. Kawasaki, how do you think peace should be achieved? Advertisement. Border of the land of fields. Hearing Conan's question, Kawasaki smiled gently. There are many answers to this question, but I am willing to choose one that you can accept and tell you. Conan and Pain both looked like they were listening. Nagato, your so-called way of peace is actually a theory of intimidation. According to your plan, if it succeeds in the end, you can threaten all countries and destroy anyone who is not peaceful. This idea is theoretically feasible. But this threat should not be you. Conan and Pain didn't understand what he meant. Kawasaki poured a cup of herbal tea and sipped it gently. I just introduced you to the Ōtsutsuki clan, but what I didn't say is that the Ōtsutsuki will continue to invade this planet in the future. Quote. Ōtsutsuki is the biggest threat. With such a being in the sky constantly threatening the Earth, who would have the heart to start a war? Conan and Pain were silent. If what Kawasaki said was true, the creator god of the ninja world, the ancestor of Chakra, is just a member of Ōtsutsuki. If Ōtsutsuki really continues to invade this planet, then all current wars will seem extremely ridiculous. I don't believe it, Pain said. Kawasaki understood what he meant. I know, you don't believe it, and no one else does. Before Ōtsutsuki came, everyone thought it was just a legend. Quote. Therefore, Ōtsutsuki must come to make the world feel pain. Quote. Kawasaki's words returned to the starting point, coinciding with Nagato's original idea. It's just that the person who caused the pain became someone else, and himself. As for me, Kawasaki tapped his fingers lightly on the table. I plan to create the most powerful organization and become the most powerful force in order to resist the constant invasion of Ōtsutsuki. If I die, my successor will continue to fight, no matter what his selfish desires are. Because the destruction of Ōtsutsuki is inevitable, only by uniting all forces can the group resist the Big Bad. Before Ōtsutsuki arrived, we were the strongest force and could intervene in any conflict in any country. When Ōtsutsuki came, we became the frontline fighters. Quote. When people feel the threat of Ōtsutsuki, there will be a steady stream of people joining to enrich our forces. Because only in this way can the whole world continue. Even if I die, my power will be passed down from generation to generation. Kawasaki's words deeply shocked Conan and Pain. If what Kawasaki said is true, then, maybe it is really feasible. Although Pain is a corpse, his words at this moment are a little trembling. How do you know that Ōtsutsuki will come to invade, and how can you prove that you are telling the truth? Kawasaki shook his head. I understand that you don't want to believe it now, and you dare not believe it. But you can slow down the expansion of Akatsuki and hold back Obito. Obito must be more anxious than you. Anyway, your two ideologies are not in line, and there will be a war sooner or later. You can deal with Obito first, and then verify the truth of what I said. It's just to suppress Obito. When I return to the clan, I will reveal Obito's identity, and you and Conan will be in great danger. Obito intends to use the tailed beasts to complete Project Tsuki no Mi, while Nagato wants to use the tailed beasts to make nuclear weapons. The two are destined to be incompatible. This nuclear weapons plan was also instilled in Nagato by Obito. In fact, Nagato didn't know much about the real purpose of the Gedo statue in the past. At this point, Nagato and Conan have largely believed Kawasaki's words. But Nagato still has a glimmer of hope in his heart, hoping that Kawasaki's words are not true. However, Akatsuki is indeed not suitable to show up now, and there is nothing wrong with continuing to develop in a low-key manner. Speaking of danger, which corner of the ninja world is absolutely safe? If what Kawasaki said is true, even Rinnegan has a backup plan, how can he have a real hiding place? Nagato and Conan were silent. Today's events had a great impact on them. Nagato was even a little confused. If all this is a conspiracy, what is the point of his efforts? Although your six paths are powerful, Obito's Mangekyō just restrains you. He doesn't fight you head on, but he can drag you down. There is also a Zetsu, who can easily find your true body. You may still have a backup plan set by Madara back then. I just hope you can be confident enough to fight Obito again. Pain was silent, recalling that when Yahiko died, he suffered too much pain. He was once confused by Obito's instigation, and even Obito and Zetsu knew the whole process of creating six paths. His true body was also seen by Obito and the others. But later Nagato began to be wary of Obito and doubted Madara's identity. However, Nagato has become more and more confident in his Rinnegan over the years. He believes that in the end, even Madara will not be his opponent. Now it seems that if what Kawasaki said is true, Rinnegan was left by Madara, Then Madara must have a backup plan, otherwise how can he revive him in the end? The victory or defeat in a battle with Obito is unpredictable. I understand. Advertisement. Pain looked at Kawasaki deeply and prepared to leave. Nagato did not know his final victory or defeat, but this did not mean that he would let go of the hatred in the past. On the contrary, if the future is uncertain, at least, he will first retaliate against those who have hurt him. One of the masterminds, Hanzo, has passed away, but the other mastermind is still safe and sound. Please wait a moment. Kawasaki noticed that the two were leaving and spoke quickly. Pain turned back. Kawasaki continued. Jiraiya is your master. His philosophy may not be entirely correct, but he will never hinder your path. At least before you and Obito decide who is better, I don't want to see you have a conflict. Konan glanced at Pain. They had already considered this matter. According to the original idea, it is likely that they will confront Jiraiya in the end. But if what Kawasaki said is true, Nagato is no different from teacher Jiraiya, and his philosophy is also wrong. Pain did not speak, and Konan answered for him. As long as what you said is true, we will not have a conflict with teacher Jiraiya. However, we must get rid of Danzo, and then maybe teacher Jiraiya will not tolerate us. Quote. Danzo is a high-ranking official in Konoha. If he died in their hands, Jiraiya might come to arrest him. But they obviously don't understand Jiraiya's character. Jiraiya has no good feelings towards Danzo and even hates him. Even if Danzo died because of them, Jiraiya would not intervene. In his previous life, Danzo lived in seclusion in Konoha and rarely went out, let alone left the village. Unless Konoha was attacked by force, Nagato would not find a chance to take revenge. Although Konan and Nagato are committed to revenge, they are more concerned about their own ideals, so they prioritize capturing Nine Tails. Therefore, even if Jiraiya does not go to Rain Shinobi Village to investigate, Nagato will have to confront Jiraiya in order to capture Naruto. Unexpectedly, he fell into Naruto's trap and eventually died after using the Rinne Tensei. In Kawasaki's view, Nagato's adoption of Naruto's ideas was a helpless move. After all, he couldn't beat him, so he had to try Naruto's ideas. In the end, Danzo was still at large, and it was still relying on Sasuke to get rid of Danzo. The situation in this life is different. As long as the Uchiha clan is not destroyed, Sasuke will not kill Danzo again. Nagato and Obito broke up in advance. If Nagato failed to deal with Obito, he would probably not catch Nine Tails. Nine Tails can be left alone, but Danzo's head must be taken first. Kawasaki laughed. We Uchiha happen to have a grudge against Danzo. I wonder if the two of you are willing to cooperate. The border of the land of fields. Kawasaki said that there was a way to solve Danzo without bloodshed, and Konan directly agreed to cooperate with Kawasaki. Nagato gave Kawasaki the slideshow technique, which he could use to contact her if needed. To be on the safe side, Konan also left Kawasaki a paper crane. As long as he was in the land of rain, Kawasaki could find her with the help of this paper crane. Kawasaki also handed Konan a scroll, which detailed the past of Obito, Kakashi and Rin. It was considered as a supplement to the information about Obito given to Konan and others last time. Konan and Pain left, along with the other 5 paths. When Kawasaki turned around, he heard the system prompt. Ding. Congratulations host for greatly changing Nagato's life trajectory. Closing square bracket. Congratulations host for obtaining outer path, Rinne Tensei Technique X1. Oh my, awesome. Kawasaki was overjoyed, a resurrection technique that can be performed without cost. De Li Hao, let me think, who should I resurrect? There are too many strong people, I have to think carefully. Well, it seems that there are still several people who can be wooled. To be fleeced. I only thought of Chio before, who else would come to see me? Ding. Another crisp sound interrupted Kawasaki's thoughts. Ding. Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Jiraiya's life trajectory. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Sage Mode X1. It seems that Jiraiya will not die at the hands of Nagato. Sage Mode, regardless of the immortal technique, right? Kawasaki touched his chin. Anyway, Nagato was just a deceived person, so there was no need for the master and apprentice to kill each other. Since he has never died, he will also be a powerful force in the future 4 wars. Since the trajectory of life can be changed in a chain. Kawasaki suddenly had a new idea. He looked at the sky and was so excited chatting with Konan Nagato that he forgot to check if there was any news today. Kawasaki did not summon the summoning beast at any time when he was outside. After all, the summoning beast would return by itself at that time. Summoning technique. Bang. Ah. A series of crow calls. Kawasaki frowned. Multiple messages. Quickly untied the letter on the crow's leg. Kawasaki checked the message, and then realized that Obito went to the Uchiha family to cause trouble, but was set up by Fugaku. But Fugaku seemed to underestimate Obito's wood-style ability, causing many elites in the clan to die. What's worse is that 2 of them were seriously injured and had to bid farewell to the battlefield temporarily. Kawasaki was a little speechless. He had said that Obito would use wood style, and Fugaku probably didn't know how powerful Obito's wood style was. Looking down, Fugaku actually competed with Obito in pupil power, and in the end both of them were seriously injured. If Kiming hadn't awakened the Mangekyō Sharingan, the consequences would be disastrous. Shaking his head, he put these messy thoughts behind him. Fugaku is such an indecisive person, but he can be so cruel. He must have a deep hatred for the king. The eye technique is a head-on collision. Fugaku is really powerful. Naruto and Sasuke's injuries are a small matter. Now that the Sage of Six Paths protects the prince and the second pillar, they will not die. Chapter 85 Wood-Style Ninjutsu. Storm. Konoha's shock. Thank you, Nine Tails. This time, such a big thing happened in the clan. Itachi wrote to ask how to deal with Konoha. We have to think of a posture. After thinking for a while, Kawasaki wrote a reply, agreed on the next contact time, and released the crow. After thinking for a while, he sent another letter to Shisui and asked him to pass it to Orochimaru. Without the sand mat, he had to go on his own. Kawasaki took out the compass to determine the direction and set off towards the Iron Kingdom. In Konoha village, the turmoil of the Uchiha clan calmed down. People were sent out of the territory to negotiate. The Konoha shinobi who came to inquire about the situation received a reply that Uchiha was attacked by unknown people, but the enemies were repelled. Only some people were injured. On the commercial street, the driver of the sightseeing bus was changed, and there was no other change. Fugaku and Obito fought fiercely. But the distance was far, so there was no big noise on the snack street. The snack street soon returned to normal. When the old customers asked about it, the Uchiha tribe members calmly said that it was only a small group of enemies that had invaded and had been repelled. Seeing that Uchiha was doing fine, everyone stopped asking questions. But the reactions of the major ninja clans were unusual. Their vision was not comparable to that of ordinary villagers. Uchiha was the largest family in the ninja world. Who dared to provoke them? Besides, Uchiha also opened a large-scale defensive barrier when fighting the enemy. Regardless of the type of barrier, the cost of such a scale is at least tens of millions. If the enemy was not strong, how could it be used to end? For a time, the major families sent out spies. After an investigation, they found a terrible truth: Fugaku had not shown up. At this time, if Fugaku was fine, he should have stood up to stabilize people's hearts. Fugaku's failure to show up probably meant that he was seriously injured. The other ninja clans were afraid of offending Uchiha, so they quickly withdrew some information. And Anbu was wandering outside, unwilling to leave. Then, Itachi, inadvertently, appeared in Anbu's sight. Itachi has Mangekyō, so crushing these Anbu is like crushing ants. The Anbu quickly retreated and went to report to the third generation. In the Konoha hospital, Naruto woke up the next day. Before Kakashi asked, Naruto was clamoring to find Sasuke. Kakashi had no choice but to take him there first. Sasuke was properly treated, and the horrible wound on his shoulder had been repaired by regeneration. Now it is not obvious that Sasuke was injured. But he is still in a coma, and the medical staff said that Sasuke will wake up soon. There are always Uchiha people guarding outside Sasuke's door, and they will send him home after he wakes up. After confirming that Sasuke is safe, Naruto is relieved. The third generation also received the news. Although the sealing team checked Naruto's seal yesterday to make sure there was no problem, he still came in person to confirm Naruto's condition. Third Hokage Grandpa, you are here. Naruto greeted the third Hokage when he saw him enter the door. His voice was still full of energy. Hehe, Naruto, you look like you've recovered well. The third generation looked at Naruto with a smile. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, the future Hokage, this little injury is nothing. Naruto patted his chest, putting on an attitude of, I'm good at it. Okay, Naruto, tell me what happened yesterday. Yesterday, Naruto just sat down and jumped up again. Ah, those Anbu uncles. The third generation curled their lips, accustomed to Naruto's stupid look. I sent those Anbu to protect you, they died. Sacrificed. Naruto was silent, although he didn't like being monitored. He was kind-hearted. He was sad that others died because of him. The third generation had been paying attention to Naruto's reaction, seeing that he was angry and sad for these people. Nodding secretly in his heart, it seems that Naruto is kind-hearted. This is good, and it will be easier to control in the future. The third generation patted Naruto on the shoulder. It's not your fault, it's the fault of the invader. Naruto, if you recall what happened yesterday, it will help us find the invader faster. In Konoha village, in Konoha hospital. Sasuke and I saw a lot of signals in the sky, and we felt that there was danger, so we left the snack street quickly. Then those Anbu uncles appeared and said they were ordered to protect me. On the way back, we encountered an enemy. The man's face was half black and half white, and his hands could turn into branches. Several Anbu uncles were stabbed to death by these branches. Naruto said in a low tone. Then he said, I was knocked down by that guy. Sasuke used a very strong ninjutsu to save me, but he was still knocked down, and his shoulder was pierced. Later, I don't know why, I suddenly had new power in my body and saved Sasuke. I don't know anything after meeting brother Kakashi. Quote. The third generation frowned when they heard this. Anbu did find a strong lightning-style reaction during the investigation. According to Kakashi's experience, it is likely to be Chidori. I didn't expect that Sasuke had learned such a powerful ninjutsu before he graduated from the ninja school. Advertisement. But since the Uchiha family has Chidori, it is not surprising that Sasuke can do it. The enemy mentioned by Naruto is likely to use wood style. Tenzo also confirmed that there were traces of wood style at the scene. Speaking of the pits made by Naruto with Rasengan. Because the destructive power is not great and there are no traces of chakra on it, Anbu did not think about Rasengan. As for the last matter of the tailed beast's chakra coat, Naruto himself was also confused. Seeing that he could not get any information, the third Hokage left first. Naruto stayed in the hospital and refused to leave until Sasuke woke up. The hospital was full of third-generation spies, so Uchiha left with peace of mind. After everyone left, Naruto sat on the chair and silently said to Nine Tails in his heart, "Thank you, Nine Tails." Nine Tails' rough voice sounded in his heart. "Hey, don't think too much, I just feel that guy's breath has been seen somewhere, otherwise I would not bother to save you." "Nine Tails, do you know who that person is?" Naruto asked Nine Tails. Nine Tails snorted, and then ignored Naruto. Naruto didn't care much. When Nine Tails is in a good mood, he will chat with him for a few words, but when to end the chat depends on Nine Tails' mood. The third generation returned to the office and rubbed his eyebrows tiredly. After the Uchiha family visited Sasuke, they immediately went to Konoha Hospital to settle all the expenses. Soon, Anbu reported, "Hokage-sama, Uchiha Itachi is back." The third Hokage's eyes darkened. "What else?" Anbu continued. "Uchiha publicly said that the family was attacked by unknown people, and the enemy has been repelled. The family is basically fine. But judging from the mobilization of Uchiha members, many people in the family were injured, and the injured were all elite. In addition, Uchiha Fugaku has not shown up. Who attacked Uchiha? Uchiha Fugaku did not show up. It is likely that he was seriously injured, otherwise he would not be in a hurry to recall Itachi. Did Itachi bring anyone back? Who attacked Naruto? Who can do wood style? Is there a second experimental subject who survived besides Tenzo? Let Danzo come to see me." The third generation waved his hand. Soon, Danzo walked in, with layers of bandages wrapped around his right arm, but his hand was not hanging. The third Hokage frowned. "Your hand." Danzo looked calm. "I got a little hurt when I was testing ninjutsu." He shook his arm to show that it was nothing serious. The third Hokage just asked casually, "How was Danzo's arm?" He didn't care too much. What happened to Uchiha? Danzo knew it was about Uchiha when he received the news that the third Hokage summoned him. In fact, even if the third Hokage didn't look for him now, he would get the news sooner or later. After all, he has cooperated with Sarutobi Hiruzen for many years and has several people of his own in Anbu. The third generation took a puff of cigarette. Uchiha was attacked by unknown people, many people were injured, Fugaku might also be seriously injured. Itachi returned to the village. Itachi. Danzo snorted coldly. Itachi came to him and said he wanted to resolve the conflict between the family and the village, but he turned around and betrayed him. He resigned from the Anbu afterwards. The next time he heard about him was when Itachi left Konoha and took a group of Uchiha masters with him. It turned out to be a play between Itachi and Fugaku. But Itachi is a strong man of Mangekyō Sharingan. Even if Fugaku is injured now, Itachi can stabilize the situation. Are there any clues about the attacker? Danzo asked. Hokage shook his head. The Uchiha family is not cooperating. After the Uchiha was attacked, they neither asked Konoha for help nor asked Konoha to intervene in the investigation. It is obvious that they no longer consider themselves Konoha people. In addition to the attack on Uchiha, Naruto was also attacked. Third generation took a puff of cigarette. The attacker will use wood-style ninjutsu. Quote. Wood style. Danzo was shocked. Could it be Ju? The third generation looked Danzo in the eyes and asked, "Do you know who that person is?" Danzo avoided his gaze and said, "I don't know." Quote. The third generation and Danzo have worked together for so many years, and Danzo's reaction made the third generation know that he was lying. It seems that in addition to Tenzo, there were other experimental subjects alive in that experiment. Danzo thought to himself, Zetsu really had bad intentions. Could it be that he wanted to use him to obtain information about Ninetales Jinchuriki? In recent years, the prestige of the Hokage faction has gradually declined, and the third Hokage did not want to conflict with Danzo at this time. Seeing that Danzo had no intention of telling him, he did not investigate further. After that, the Hokage had a brief conversation with Danzo, and there was no valuable information, so he let Danzo leave. The third generation believed that Danzo had kept the wood style from him, and he had not told Danzo about Naruto's tailed beast chakra coat. Danzo returned to the base of the route. Not long after, his spies sent news about Naruto's chakra coat. Danzo was secretly annoyed. He had just gone to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Sarutobi Hiruzen did not mention this weight at all. What does this mean? It is obvious that he does not trust him. After all, Danzo advocated from the beginning that it is easier to control the power of the tailed beasts by locking up Naruto. In the years that followed, he also tried to get his hands on Naruto many times. Now the third Hokage doesn't even tell him such important news. You should know that the appearance of the tailed beast's chakra coat usually only occurs in two situations. Advertisement. One is that the seal of the Jinchuriki is leaked, and the other is that the tailed beasts and the Jinchuriki reach a reconciliation, and the Jinchuriki can control the chakra of the tailed beasts. In Danzo's opinion, Naruto is obviously the first case. But the third Hokage kept it from him. Recently, many families of the third generation are dissatisfied with the 8th Streets incident. Danzo's mind became active. Danzo waved his hand to let someone come over. Activate the third spy and pass on the news that Uchiha was attacked and Fugaku was seriously injured. Quote. Yes. Konoha Village, Leaf Hospital. Sasuke slowly opened his eyes. Before he could feel his physical condition, a familiar voice sounded in his ears. Sasuke, you're awake. Naruto was jumping with excitement. Sasuke felt sore all over, and he struggled to sit up. Naruto, how long have I slept? Naruto saw Sasuke sitting up, and couldn't help smiling. You've been sleeping for 2 days. Sasuke turned his head to look at Naruto. Naruto's face was a little tired. It seemed that Naruto had been guarding here. Sasuke whispered. Thank you, Naruto. At this time, Naruto was talking to the doctor at the door and didn't hear clearly. What did you say, Sasuke? Sasuke's face flushed slightly, and he coughed. I'll treat you next time you eat. Naruto said happily. Okay. Quote. The medical ninja came in and briefly checked Sasuke's body. Your shoulder injury is fine, but your finger bone is broken. Don't touch it recently and let it heal naturally. Everything else is fine. Sasuke can be discharged from the hospital and go home to recuperate. After the medical ninja of Konoha left, it was Uchiha Iori's turn to pick up Sasuke. Sasuke was full of questions, but he still greeted Naruto first. Naruto, go back and rest first. When I get better, we'll go eat together. Naruto nodded, yawned and said, okay, Sasuke, get well soon. After Naruto left, Sasuke followed Iori and hurried home. Iori, how is our clan? Sasuke couldn't help asking when he saw that there was no one else around. Iori's face didn't look good when she came over. Sasuke guessed that something might have happened in the clan. At this time, they had left Konoha village and entered the territory of the Uchiha family. Iori noticed the uneasiness in Sasuke's eyes and comforted him, saying, the clan is fine, but some people are injured. What about Dad? In the past few years, Fugaku has been particularly concerned about Sasuke, and Sasuke respects and loves his father. Iori paused for a moment and replied, the clan leader was also injured, but it's not serious. You'll know when you go back. Quote. As he spoke, Sasuke had entered the clan territory, and felt that there were a few more faces here that were both unfamiliar and somewhat familiar. But Sasuke was concerned about his father's condition and didn't think much about anything else. He followed Iori's instructions and came to Fugaku's bedside. The first person he saw was his haggard mother, Uchiha Makoto. Fugaku had arranged for Makoto to take refuge before, and no one dared to tell Fugaku that he was seriously injured. Until Fugaku's vital signs stabilized, the group told Makoto. Makoto was worried and had been guarding Fugaku's bedside for 2 days. Fortunately, Makoto was not confused, and he ate as needed, but he didn't sleep much, and came to accompany Fugaku when he woke up. Although the doctor said that Chief Fugaku was fine and would wake up after a few days of rest, Makoto still stayed by the bed every day. Mom. Quote. Sasuke saw his father lying on the bed with a pale face, and his mother standing by with a tired face. His heart seemed to be tightly grasped, and tears could not stop falling. Makoto did not say much, but just hugged Sasuke and comforted him. It's okay, Sasuke, your father will wake up soon. Quote. Hearing his mother's words, Sasuke was slightly relieved, and shyly withdrew from his mother's arms. Sasuke, wipe your tears. Quote. A voice came from the side. Then, a warm big hand gently patted Sasuke's head. Sasuke looked up in disbelief. Brother. Along the way, Iori only talked about Fugaku's injury, did not mention Itachi's return. Sasuke was surprised and happy by Itachi's appearance. Itachi rubbed Sasuke's head. You have grown taller, Sasuke. Quote. Sasuke had just cried, and there were traces of tears on his face, which made him look a little embarrassed in front of Itachi. He wiped his face. Brother, how could Dad be so badly injured? Itachi tapped Sasuke's forehead with 2 fingers. I'll tell you later. Sasuke pouted and rubbed his forehead in dissatisfaction. My brother is always like this, always treating me like a child. Humph, I have to practice harder. Next time, I will protect Dad. Sasuke secretly cheered himself up in his heart. Itachi said to Makoto. Mom, you hardly slept last night, you go and rest for a while, Sasuke and I are here. Makoto felt relieved to see the 2 brothers reunited, and she felt sleepy after relaxing. She nodded. Then I'll sleep for a while, Fugaku wakes up and call me. After Makoto went out, Itachi and Sasuke sat down. Tell me about the attack on you and Naruto. Quote. Kiming woke up yesterday, and Itachi already understood the ins and outs of Obito's attack. Sasuke only knew the general idea, and the details were not clear. He suddenly fell silent halfway through. What's wrong, Sasuke? Itachi was puzzled as to why Sasuke suddenly stopped. Sasuke suddenly said, Naruto used 2 Rasengan and a multiple shadow clone technique, and he was still able to move freely. I only used Chidori once and my chakra was gone. Am I not as good as Naruto? Itachi felt angry and funny. Sasuke wanted to compete with Naruto in everything, and he also wanted to compete with the Uzumaki clan in chakra. Chapter 86 Master Kawasaki. Tsunade, Uchiha, Kamui Space, Obito, Black Zetsu. Itachi shook his head. You are here again, you want to compete with Naruto in everything, fighting has nothing to do with the amount of chakra. If you can win with chakra alone, then why do you practice taijutsu and genjutsu? Sasuke curled his lips and reluctantly accepted Itachi's statement. Then, Sasuke told Itachi everything that happened later. After listening to Sasuke's story, Itachi's heart moved. Sasuke, open the Sharingan. Sasuke was a little confused, but he still opened the Sharingan. Itachi couldn't help laughing twice when he saw this. Not bad, you are worthy of being my brother, you have 2 Magatama at such a young age. Sasuke was shocked and hurried to the side to find a mirror. Seeing the 2 Tomo Sharingan in the mirror, he was very happy. The evolution of Sharingan is very important to Uchiha. If he already has 2 Magatama, he will soon catch up with Naruto and never let his father get hurt again. You are worthy of being my son. Quote. A weak voice came. Sasuke and Itachi were full of surprise. Father. Fugaku smiled, but his eyes were not open. It was obvious that he heard Itachi's praise for Sasuke. Sasuke, go call Kiming and the 4 elders first, and your mother, let her sleep a little longer. Itachi looked at his father with his eyes closed, and had a guess in his mind, so he deliberately sent Sasuke away. Okay. Sasuke saw his father wake up, and obediently went out to call for help. Dad, your eyes. After Sasuke went out, Itachi asked in a low voice. Yeah, quote. Fugaku responded and opened his eyes. The irises were already gray. We let him get away after all. Fugaku's voice was filled with regret. When he was unconscious, he vaguely felt that Obito had escaped. In the territory of the Iron Country, Kawasaki headed west and finally stepped into the Iron Country. These days, he used the summoning beast to communicate with the tribe every day and learned that Fugaku had woken up. Kawasaki finally breathed a sigh of relief. It would be a pity if Fugaku was really gone. He also heard from Itachi that Fugaku's eyes were almost blind and now he had difficulty seeing things and could hardly see anything clearly. However, Fugaku was a strong man in Mangekyō Sharingan after all, and his daily life was still acceptable. The problem now is that Itachi's physical condition has just stabilized, and now it is afraid that Itachi's body cannot withstand the transplant of Fugaku's eyes. In addition, the process of fusing Mangekyō Sharingan into Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan is very valuable. For Orochimaru, this is a great opportunity to directly observe the details of Sharingan's evolution. Therefore, Orochimaru must be present. It seems that Fugaku will have to suffer for a while. After entering the Iron Country, Kawasaki found that the environment here is extremely harsh. The temperature is unusually cold, and snow falls all year round. Although most of the country is close to the sea, the fishing industry is not prosperous due to the low temperature. Mineral resources are only slightly rich. No wonder no other country has taken a fancy to this place and left it neutral. There are no ninjas in the Iron Country, all of them are warriors. The warriors here wear layers of silver armor and usually carry 2 weapons on each side. The weapons in their hands can be infused with a kind of energy called chakra, which is quite powerful. Kawasaki is really confused. Why did Tsunade come to this corner? The weather in any country is better than here. There is no way, this is the information received. Kawasaki followed the trail and finally found the thread element in a small town in the Iron Country. Recently, there is a big shot in Iwaku Street. She often goes to the casino there and seems to have never won. People call her a big fat sheep. Oh, thank you very much. Kawasaki chewed the barbecue and spoke incoherently. The shopkeeper was very kind. Seeing Kawasaki eating happily, he smiled and walked away. Although it was still early, the weather had darkened early. After finishing his meal, Kawasaki hurried to Iwaku Street. He thought the casino was hard to find. Unexpectedly, he found it right away, because there was only one casino on this street. Unfortunately, Kawasaki came up empty-handed. You mean that big fat sheep? She lost all her money here the day before yesterday, and I didn't see her yesterday. And a few gamblers wanted to take advantage of her, but they threw her directly against the wall. It was impossible to distinguish them. If the casino owner hadn't seen that she had attracted a lot of business, she would have had to pay to repair the wall. There are few immigrants in the Iron Country, and Tsunade's appearance, figure, and the characteristic of losing every time she gambles, the gamblers here all remember her. It was late, and Kawasaki's stomach was growling again. When the weather was cold, it was easy to get hungry. He planned to find a place to fill his stomach and search around tomorrow. Kawasaki picked a hotel at random and entered. He ate on the first floor and rested upstairs. This place seemed to be quite famous, and it was still very lively in the middle of the night. Boss, burp, another bottle. As soon as Kawasaki entered the building, he saw a woman with long blonde hair and big breasts asking for wine. There was nothing he could do. She was the only one who was shirtless in such a cold day. The female ninja next to him, wearing black clothes, was holding a small fragrant pig in her arms. Both the man and the pig looked sad. Poochie. Kawasaki couldn't help laughing, not because he found Tsunade. Anyway, this place is not big, and he can find it tomorrow if he can't find it today. But the pig's expression was too funny, like an old father with a sad face, and all the worries were written on his face. Advertisement. In the noisy crowd, Sho and Shizune didn't notice Kawasaki. Kawasaki also wanted to observe the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama quietly. Unfortunately, there were too many people and he couldn't find a suitable angle. Kawasaki had to sit at the next table with only a fence between him and Tsunade. He could only hear the voice but couldn't see the person. After sitting down and ordering some food, I heard Shizune trying to dissuade Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, stop drinking. If you drink more, you won't have money to stay in the hotel. Tsunade made a dissatisfied voice. What? I'm so unlucky. I will definitely win it back next time. The speech was unclear and inconsistent. It was obvious that he was drunk. Tsunade-sama, I only heard Tsunade humming drunkenly. Didn't I just make a fortune? How come I spent it all again? Shizune said helplessly. The princess's medical expenses were gambled away by you the day before yesterday. I paid for the wine you are drinking now. Hiccup. It's okay, I'll pay you back next time I make money. Quote. Next time we go to Daimyofu. Hiccup. I will pay you back. Where is the next stop? Where is there someone seeking medical treatment? Hiccup. Kawasaki heard intermittently. After all, the Nanshu was not very sober. I said that Tsunade was running around the world, gambling everywhere and still able to make a living. It turns out that he still has to do business. But it is true, it is a waste if he doesn't use such good medical skills to make money. After listening for a long time, Kawasaki realized that every time Tsunade and Shizune arrived in a country, they would check whether the government has a need to recruit doctors to treat diseases or solve difficult and complicated diseases. If there is, Shizune will negotiate the price, and Tsunade is only responsible for seeing the doctor and getting the money. I have to admit that the name of the first Hokage's granddaughter is very loud. And with Tsunade's level of medical ninjutsu, it is easy to cure ordinary people's diseases. It makes money quickly, so Tsunade travels around the world, and she is there wherever there is a need. However, although it makes money quickly, Tsunade spends money faster, and soon after she gets her money, she gambles it all away. Tsunade likes gambling very much, but her luck is terrible. Except for gambling with her life, she has basically never won. No matter how much money she has, it is not enough for her to lose. It is not Tsunade's fault. She lost 2 loved ones in a row and also suffered from hemophobia. She can only numb herself with gambling and alcohol. The so-called drunken life and dream of death is probably what Tsunade looks like. Kawasaki is very curious. How can Tsunade treat people with such a fear of blood? Does she not treat it? Or does she not treat bleeding? From their conversation, I heard that Tsunade turned down many patients because of hemophobia. Or, are there few diseases that do not cause bleeding? No wonder Tsunade travels around the world. I wonder if Tsunade is borrowing usury now. Kawasaki still remembers that she turned back into a little girl and teased the loan shark, saying that she had found a gold mine and cheated the loan shark again. I understand it almost. Kawasaki called the waiter. Bring a bowl of hangover soup to the next table, and a few side dishes. Put it on my account. Quote. The waiter glanced at the hot Tsunade and the quiet Shizune next to him, with a puzzled look on his face. After all, shouldn't you serve wine to these two beauties? In Kamui space, Obito has been unconscious for 3 days. Z didn't care about him, and the body of the Willing King and Hashirama cells have been merging. The half-body plant can still provide energy, as long as the person is not dead, he will always recover. Obito snorted and slowly opened his eyes. Finding himself in Kamui space, he felt peaceful. Here is the safest place. His spiritual haven. Obito was in a daze for a while with one eye blank. He stood up. Seeing Z next to him, Z looked up at the sky, and it seemed that he was in a daze longer than Obito. How long have I been unconscious? Obito asked hoarsely. His eyes were still aching, and his mind was a little confused. This was the first time he fell so hard. Fugaku was too well prepared. If it weren't for Z, he would have really fallen. Uchiha territory. 3 days. If you don't wake up, I'll starve to death here. A frivolous voice sounded. Obito ignored him. Not to mention that there are supplies in Kamui space, even if you starve for 10 days, you will never starve to death. White Zetsu doesn't need to eat, drink, defecate or urinate, so how can you say you starve to death? Next, what are your plans? Black Zetsu whispered. Black Zetsu understood that people like Obito would never give up after suffering such a big loss. Obito covered his aching right eye. First heal the wound, then go to the tribe to see. Fugaku is useless this time. Uchiha without Mangekyō, why are you surrounding me? Obito's eyes were bloodshot. Black Zetsu's eyes were full of mixed emotions, but he said nothing. In the Uchiha territory, soon, The news of Fugaku's awakening spread throughout the tribe. Sasuke led the 4 elders and Kimming to come. Itachi nodded to the 2 elders at the door, and then stopped Sasuke, who was in a hurry to enter. Advertisement. Sasuke, Dad is fine now. They have something to discuss, don't go in yet. Sasuke pouted unhappily. I'm not a child anymore. Itachi smiled gently and rubbed Sasuke's head. Get ready, go to the training ground and wait for me, I'll be there soon. See how much you have improved over the years. If you perform well, maybe you can do something big. Sasuke's eyes lit up. His family always treated him as a child, which gave him the most headache. ... Asterisk. Don't tell him anything, keep everything from him. Itachi left like this, the family moved like this, and even this time the enemy invaded like this. Sasuke really hopes to contribute to the family. Now with such an opportunity, Sasuke is very happy and can't wait to prepare the ninja bag. Yaoyu wanted to go in, but was blocked by Kimming. Brother, the clan leader must have something to summon us first, please wait a moment. Yaoyu scratched his head. Okay then. He just stood outside like a door god. Kimming had no choice but to go into the house with the 4 elders. Seeing Yaoyu's door god-like appearance, Itachi went into the room without saying anything. Fugaku had already sat up, leaning against the cushion behind him. His expression was calm, suppressing the regret that Obito had escaped. Chief. Dad. Fugaku did not open his eyes, but turned his head in the direction of the voice. He was too familiar with the voices of the 3 people, and he would never have heard them wrong. Sit down. After everyone sat down, Fugaku first asked Yongping, 4th elder, what are the casualties in the tribe? After this attack, regardless of success or failure, Fugaku arranged for the 4th elder to be responsible for the follow-up, and the 4th elder knew the situation best. The 4th elder saw that Fugaku had never opened his eyes, and thought that the chief's eyes might have problems. But he did not ask more. Chief, the 14 people you took away are all the top warriors in the tribe. Even though the enemy's wood style was fast, everyone avoided it. Thanks to the medicine prepared in advance, no one died, but 7 people were seriously injured and needed to rest for at least half a year. The 4th elder hesitated. Lu Ren and Aura, both of them were seriously injured, and their nervous systems were also damaged. I'm afraid they have to withdraw from the battle sequence. After hearing this, Fugaku was silent for a moment. It would be best if there were no deaths, but if they were seriously injured and had to withdraw from the battle, this would also be a huge loss for Uchiha. Fugaku remembered that Lu Ren and Aura were members of the Yangshu team, and both were good at using the 3-tomo Sharingan. They have made a lot of contributions to the clan over the years. I didn't expect that because of a decision I made, they would have to withdraw from the battle sequence. To withdraw from the battle sequence sounds good, but in fact it means being disabled. Everyone knew it well, and no one spoke. At this time, Kimming was not in a good mood either. If he could open Mangekyō earlier, could he protect the tribe members? Fugaku sighed. Have you reported the situation to Kawasaki? The 4th elder responded. I have told Kawasaki, he said he would go to Tsunade to see if Tsunade has a solution. Fugaku nodded. If it was Tsunade, maybe there was a way. Kimming. Fugaku stretched out his hands and explored gently, obviously he was looking for Kimming's figure. Kimming hurriedly stepped forward and stood beside Fugaku. Fugaku held Kimming's hand tightly. My life was saved thanks to your Mangekyō, it's really hard for you. Kimming seemed a little flustered. You are too polite, clan leader, this is what I should do. Fugaku smiled. Kimming grew up in the tribe since he was a child, both in character and ability, he is a leader. Now he has Mangekyō Sharingan, which is a rare talent. Fugaku warned Kimming. You have just opened Mangekyō, you may not understand it yet, using Mangekyō is risky. The power of Mangekyō is limited, using it will cause vision loss and eventually blindness. You must cherish this power, the burden of the family in the future will fall on your generation. Kimming nodded vigorously. Don't worry, clan leader, we will definitely protect the family. Fugaku encouraged a few more words, and then let Kimming go to work. Now the family's seal investigation barrier affairs are all managed by Kimming. In the room, Fugaku asked. Did Kawasaki say when he would be back? The 4th elder nodded, and then realized that the clan leader was currently blind. He quickly responded. Master Kawasaki said that he will not come back for the time being after Itachi returns, and he will return immediately once he has reached an agreement with Tsunade. Fugaku nodded, and 2 of the tribesmen were seriously injured and difficult to recover. Kawasaki had planned to contact Tsunade to form a medical team before. The medical team trained by Tsunade is completely on a different level from ordinary teams. If Uchiha can have such a medical team at this time, the recovery speed of all the tribesmen will be greatly accelerated. But will Tsunade really be willing to come? Itachi, how is your body? Can you use Mangekyō? Recalling Itachi urgently, Fugaku was worried about Itachi's physical condition and whether he could use Mangekyō Sharingan. Don't worry, father, Master Orochimaru has prepared the medicine for me, and there is no big problem at the moment. Quote. Fugaku nodded gently. Iron Country. Tsunade was already drunk. At this time, the waiter brought a hangover soup. Shizune seemed a little sleepy and asked in a daze, "Do I have this?" At the waiter's reminder, Shizune found Kawasaki B. Chapter 87 Tsunade Heim. Kawasaki. Battle. Sasuke. Itachi. He looked to be in his 20s, good-looking, and gentle. Kawasaki said, "Let Tsunade wake up first, I have something to ask her." Shizune immediately became alert. He was short of money, so what could be a commission? Shizune secretly checked the hangover soup, and after confirming that it was correct, he fed Tsunade. At this time, the waiter brought the side dishes, and Kawasaki ate while waiting for Tsunade to sober up. "Sir, what do you want to ask Tsunade to do?" Seeing that Kawasaki had no intention of speaking, Shizune took the initiative to ask. Kawasaki answered while eating, "You can't make the decision, so let's wait until Tsunade wakes up." The atmosphere was silent for a while, but Kawasaki seemed relaxed. About a quarter of an hour later, Tsunade gradually sobered up, not knowing whether it was because of her good physique or the hangover soup. Although she still looked a little drunk, she was completely sober. "Who are you? Why are you eating at my table?" Tsunade just woke up and didn't understand why. She slapped the table with her palm, and the dishes jumped up. Now, the food was gone. At this time, Yin whispered in Tsunade's ear. Tsunade realized that the person in front of her was the client. She laughed quickly. "Ah, that, whatever disease you have, leave it to me." The voice next to her suddenly disappeared, and the man looked at Kawasaki with interest. "So, what disease did this man have?" Kawasaki looked helpless. "Let's go to another place to talk in detail." Tsunade felt a little embarrassed as soon as he said this. Shizune, Tsunade and Kawasaki went up to the second floor together. There was a room specifically for negotiations there. "Tsunade-sama, let me introduce myself. I am Uchiha Kawasaki." Kawasaki had just finished speaking, and Tsunade hadn't responded yet, but Shizune behind him was excited. Uchiha Kawasaki, the deputy chief of the Uchiha clan, the mastermind behind Chinese cuisine. Shizune followed Tsunade in and out of the mansions of dignitaries in various countries, and heard a lot of news. They talked more about the rising catering industry in Tianji, 183, country in recent years. Tianji country has greatly increased its national strength due to this trend. Whenever a caravan passes through Tianji country, it will definitely go to taste the new things, which has become a major signboard of Tianji country. Shizune was impressed by Kawasaki because Kawasaki's label was very simple. Rich. Very rich. Super rich. Shizune immediately became excited. "What wind blew Mr. Kawasaki, the deputy chief of the Uchiha clan?" At this time, Shizune whispered to Tsunade, "Tsunade-sama, this person is super rich." Tsunade didn't care about the title of Uchiha deputy chief, nor did he care much. But when Shizune said Kawasaki was rich, Tsunade immediately became excited. Kawasaki was puzzled by Shizune's move to bypass Tsunade, but it didn't matter. "I came here specifically for Master Tsunade, hoping to hire Tsunade as our medical consultant to help train medical ninjas." Tsunade frowned. She waved her hand. "Do you know what you are talking about? Training medical ninjas requires a lot of manpower and financial resources." Quote. When Tsunade was forming a medical unit in Konoha, she was often harassed by Uchiha Kaharu. He accused her medical unit of being useless and advocated that Konoha's funds should be used elsewhere. It was not until the medical unit was formed and the casualty rate of Konoha shinobi was significantly reduced that the old monster Uchiha Kaharu shut up. Now Uchiha Kawasaki actually told her that the Uchiha clan wanted to train medical ninjas. Oh no, Shizune just said that the Uchiha clan was rich. Kawasaki nodded seriously. "I know, how long does it take to train a medical ninja? How much money is needed?" Seeing that Kawasaki didn't seem to be joking, Tsunade estimated in his mind and replied. "It takes 1 to 3 years for medical personnel to mature, and the annual training cost for each medical personnel is about 5 million. Tsunade was not talking nonsense. Medical personnel need a lot of money to invest in every step, from technical learning, practical operation to medicinal material supply. Although many medical technologies are created by Tsunade, she can't sell them at a low price. After all, Tsunade also needs to make a living gamble." Kawasaki was prepared in his heart and did not change his face when he heard it. "Okay, Lord Tsunade, we Uchiha need to train 20 people. In addition, we Uchiha were attacked and there are 2 wounded who need your treatment. When do you think we will leave to return to Konoha?" "It's decided." Tsunade's face was stern, and he was a little unbelievable. 20 people, are you sure? 20 people a year means 100 million. If learning for 1 year is not enough, it will be 200 million for another year. Is the Uchiha family so rich? Kawasaki directly took out the sealing scroll. The scroll was opened with a bang, and there were 3 boxes inside. Kawasaki opened the boxes one by one, and Tsunade's eyes instantly lit up green. "It's all money. How long will this bet last? 1 box is 40 million, and 3 are 120 million. Tsunade-sama, if you agree, I can pay you half of it now. The extra 20 million will be used as teaching and treatment fees." Tsunade held his forehead, and the amount he just mentioned included teaching fees. It's not very authentic to charge teaching fees and sell ninjutsu. Tsunade thought for 0.01 seconds and put these methods behind her. Okay, I can do it right away. Tsunade stopped talking halfway, and suddenly remembered that the Uchiha family was in Konoha. She didn't want to go back. Tsunade was depressed. Forget it, I don't want to go back to Konoha. Quote. Shizune was so anxious that the cooked duck was about to fly away. But forcing Tsunade to return to Konoha was indeed too much to ask. Advertisement. Kawasaki frowned when he heard the first half of the sentence, but laughed when he heard the second half. Tsunade may not know that our Uchiha clan has moved out of Konoha village and is now 5 kilometers outside Konoha. Single quote. Tsunade was surprised to hear this. She really didn't know that the Uchiha moved out. 5 kilometers away, isn't that out of Konoha's surveillance range? Is it true? Kawasaki smiled and said, of course it's true, and I have something else to ask you to go back. What is it? Tsunade was puzzled. Kawasaki did not answer, but took out a stack of money from the box and put it in Shizune's hand. Please arrange a place for tonight, Miss Shizune. Tsunade raised her eyebrows and actually sent Shizune away first. However, although Shizune has been following Tsunade for many years, Kawasaki is now the financial sponsor and he has the final say. Shizune is fine, Kawasaki's money came just in time, and tonight's accommodation has not been settled yet. Iron Country. After Shizune left, Mr. Kawasaki, you can talk now. Kawasaki organized his words. Tsunade-sama knows about Konoha's wood-style experiment, right? Tsunade nodded. Of course I know, hasn't the wood-style experiment been terminated? Kawasaki shook his head. It seems that Tsunade knows nothing. Konoha has been secretly conducting wood-style experiments for many years, and it is an extremely cruel human experiment. Human experiment. Tsunade's brows were twisted into a ball. As a medical ninja, she hated such acts of killing lives. Kawasaki added fuel to the fire. Orochimaru betrayed because Konoha lost 60 babies, and those babies were used as wood-style test subjects. Tsunade slapped the table with his palm, and with a bang, the table broke into pieces. Orochimaru actually conducted human experiments. Kawasaki shrugged. Tsunade-sama misunderstood, it was Danzo who did it. He wanted to get the power of wood-style and planned the baby kidnapping case. Orochimaru was only responsible for the experiment, and he didn't know the source of the test subjects, but in the end, Orochimaru took all the blame. Quote. Tsunade looked solemn, and he was completely different from the alcoholic and gambling person before. Is there any solid evidence? Kawasaki took out a secret letter from his body and handed it to Tsunade. I have some connections with Lord Orochimaru, and this is his handwritten letter to you. Tsunade frowned even more tightly. How could Kawasaki be involved with Orochimaru? Let's see what's going on first. Tsunade took the secret letter and saw that there was indeed a secret code between them. The content of the letter confirmed that what Kawasaki said was true. Orochimaru and Danzo cooperated. Danzo also found part of the remains of the first Hokage for Orochimaru to experiment, and someone actually survived the experiment. How dare you destroy my grandfather's remains? Someone survived the experiment. Tsunade was angry and shocked. She knew very well how high the mortality rate of human experiments was. Kawasaki nodded. Not only did he survive, but he also inherited some of the abilities of the first Hokage. Quote. Oh, Tsunade was intrigued. Grandpa's strength was beyond doubt, and now someone who inherited the wood style appeared. Kawasaki continued. This person was previously hidden in the root by Danzo, and was later rescued by Kakashi. He is now in Anbu. His name is Tenzo. Danzo also had a conflict with the third generation because of this. In the end, the third generation took that person away. According to Danzo, he is the only survivor. The only survivor that Danzo mentioned. Tsunade immediately grasped the key. That's right, Master Tsunade. Our Uchiha was attacked a few days ago, and 2 of them know wood style. No wood style. How is it possible? Kawasaki shrugged. That's the truth. My Uchiha is lying in bed now because of wood style injuries. I suspect Danzo has been studying wood style with others for a long time. Tsunade's face was gloomy. Tenzo was Danzo's work, and now there are 2 more. What do they think of their grandfather's body? It's sad, Konoha, there are always people who do bad things in secret, and there are people who clean up their asses. That's why I came to pull Master Tsunade into the game. Kawasaki said helplessly. Danzo did so much. Tsunade's impression of Danzo is still stuck in the past. Danzo is a typical fighter who will do anything to achieve his goals. For the sake of the goal, regardless of the consequences. After the Nine Tails Rebellion, we Uchiha have been targeted by Danzo because he suspected that we Uchiha were the culprits of the Nine Tails Rebellion. Kawasaki changed the subject. But there is a loophole here, which can prove that the Nine Tails Rebellion has nothing to do with us Uchiha. Tsunade still knew about the Nine Tails Rebellion. She happened to be away at that time, and this incident almost made her return to Konoha afterwards. Because of the Nine Tails Rebellion, Konoha was severely damaged, and Uchiha was also excluded. Tsunade vaguely heard about it. Unexpectedly, Kawasaki said that there was a loophole today. Tsunade motioned Kawasaki to continue. Everyone knows that Uchiha Sharingan can control the tailed beasts, so Danzo targeted as Uchiha and suspected that Uchiha was behind the Nine Tails rebellion. But few people know that ordinary Sharingan cannot control Nine Tails, only Mangekyō Sharingan can do it. Quote. Tsunade-sama, as the granddaughter of Senju Hashirama, you know that Uchiha Madara has this ability, but he left. During the Nine Tails rebellion, only the Fugaku clan leader possessed the Mangekyō Sharingan, and all of the Fugaku clan leader's actions were under the eyes of the Konoha high-level officials. Therefore, the Nine Tails rebellion has nothing to do with the Uchiha of our Konoha. As the granddaughter of Hashirama, Lady Tsunade should know Madara very well. Besides Madara, which other Uchiha has controlled the Nine Tails? Tsunade raised her eyebrows, surprised that Kawasaki used this trick to prove the innocence of the Uchiha. Advertisement. No one would believe what Uchiha said, but when Lady Tsunade opened her mouth. During the Nine Tails rebellion, Obito easily put the blame on the Uchiha, making the clan bear the false accusation. You know, Madara has been missing for many years. The villagers only know that the Uchiha can use illusions to control the Nine Tails. But they don't know that it can only be done by the strong of Mangekyō Sharingan. When Madara left the clan, she took away a lot of books. Many things are unknown even to the younger generations in the clan, let alone outsiders. But Tsunade is still there. Her grandfather is Senju Hashirama, who has fought against the Uchiha all his life. Controlling the Nine Tails needs Mangekyō, Tsunade should be able to confirm this. Saying Itachi, Kawasaki, and Shisui all have Mangekyō. Itachi was only a few years old at the time, and Shisui was not much older. Although Kawasaki is older, he has been under Konoha's surveillance and assisted in the evacuation of non-combatants. The Uchiha have been drifting away from Konoha. If Tsunade speaks for the Uchiha, it will be more beneficial to Kawasaki's next plan. It was this Uchiha and Nine Tails Jinchuriki who attacked a few days ago. The other party dared to touch Konoha's Nine Tails, what else would they not dare to do? Uchiha suffered heavy casualties, many tribesmen were seriously injured and difficult to recover, and those too seriously injured were among them. So we want to form a medical team. After all, in the ninja world, the most powerful medical skills are those of the national masters. Kawasaki did not forget to say a few good words to Tsunade. If Lord Tsunade can be our Uchiha medical consultant, with a stable salary, and can also investigate Danzo, why not? Tsunade tapped the table with his fingers. If you say so, how can I not go back? Kawasaki shrugged. It all depends on Lord Tsunade. Tsunade closed her eyes, and the shadow of the Senju pillar appeared in her mind, recalling the time when she was taken to the palace. She opened her eyes and glanced at Kawasaki's cash box. Kawasaki pushed half of the money in front of Tsunade smartly. Master Tsunade, if you agree, these will be yours immediately. 20 million tuition for 1 year, and another 20 million every year thereafter. Tsunade felt the generosity of the Uchiha tribe and finally nodded. Okay, but I can't guarantee how much you Uchiha can learn. Learning medical ninjutsu is not easy. Many people have spent decades without getting started. In addition to learning from a teacher, talent is also required. Kawasaki looked up the specialties of his subordinates and smiled. Let's not talk about the 100 healings and immortal arts for now. The time is not right. Let's get familiar with them first, and then speak. When Danzo falls into a desperate situation, he will be blamed for the deaths of Naoki and Dan, and see how many lives he can lose. In Konoha village, on the Uchiha training ground. Sasuke didn't wait long before Itachi came to the field. Brother, how is father? Sasuke still misses his father. Itachi's face was calm. Father's eyes were injured and he has been cured. Blind. Father can't see. Sasuke wanted to go to Fugaku, but was stopped by Itachi. It's temporary. Mother just went there. Don't go yet. 3.2. Sasuke breathed a sigh of relief and clenched his fists. Brother. Tell me, who invaded Uchiha? Itachi rubbed Sasuke's head. You are still young. You can't get involved in the affairs of the clan. Sasuke shook off Itachi's hand and said dissatisfiedly, Brother. I'm not a child anymore. Itachi smiled. Okay, then let me see your progress over the years. Sasuke nodded seriously. Brother, you will see. Wherever Obito went, Kamui space had corresponding coordinates. He thought for a moment. Last time he was exposed, in addition to the barrier technique, Uchiha may have other means of investigation. This time he was more cautious. Before entering Uchiha, he asked Zetsu to calculate the barrier scanning time and planned the route. Zetsu warned that in addition to the barrier, the Uchiha clan territory is full of summoning beasts and has dense spies. Now Obito cannot stay for more than 5 seconds at a time, otherwise he will be captured by the barrier. In addition to avoiding the barrier, he also needs to be vigilant about whether there are creatures around. But Zetsu used Mayfly technique to scout and found that Uchiha is not only full of ninja crows and ninja cats, but also monitoring devices in the nearby clan territory. This information was not revealed to Obito. At present, most of the Uchiha elites are seriously injured, and the number of summoning beasts is less than expected. Obito spent a long time and carefully explored deep into the Uchiha clan territory. He no longer sneaked in recklessly, and it was unknown whether there was a time and space seal in the clan. The two confronted each other, and Itachi saw that Sasuke was young but had already opened the two-tomo Sharingan, and smiled with relief. Sasuke is indeed gifted. It seems that his father has put a lot of effort on Sasuke over the years. Sasuke opened the Sharingan, jumped behind him, and started running. He was not in a hurry to take action. Itachi stood still, looking at Sasuke, who was no longer immature, and was distracted for a moment. After Sasuke activated the Sharingan, he felt much lighter and more in control. Seeing that Itachi didn't care about him at all, he felt a little unhappy. Even if he couldn't beat his brother, he hoped that his brother would treat him with sincerity. Sasuke saw Itachi distracted, seized the opportunity immediately. Chapter 88 Kawasaki's Eye Technique. How can you wood style? Amaterasu, Izanagi, Kakashi. 5 shurikens flew at once. Itachi drew out his kunai, ding. He deflected one and approached Sasuke. The other 4 passed by. Sasuke raised his lips and pulled, and it turned out that the shuriken was tied with a thread. The shuriken spun rapidly. Itachi did not look back, but turned over lightly and dodged gracefully. Sasuke watched calmly. He formed a seal with his hands and predicted Itachi's evasive path. Fire style, because of the fireball's disgust. A huge great fireball spewed out of Sasuke's mouth. Itachi formed a seal faster and fought with the same technique. Fire style, great fireball technique. Boom. The 2 fireballs collided, and Sasuke knew that he was no match for the ninjutsu, so he took advantage of the fire to launch Chidori. The bird chirped, and the white of his eye condensed in his left hand. Sasuke accelerated, his eyes moved, trying to catch Itachi's reaction. But Itachi stood still, making Sasuke's expectation go wrong. Sasuke was full of doubts, and recalled the black and white man he had met before, who had broken Chidori with one blow. During the time he was thinking, Sasuke's movements were a little slow, and his edge was lost. Itachi seized the opportunity and quickly grabbed Sasuke's left wrist, gently lifting it. And the Reikiri in Sasuke's palm was immediately ineffective. How can you hesitate in a fight? Itachi scolded, crouched down, and punched Sasuke's chest with his fist holding a kunai. Sasuke stepped back in pain. When he looked up, he found that Itachi had not even opened the Sharingan. While he was surprised, Itachi had already retracted the kunai. He kicked Sasuke. Bang! Sasuke crossed his arms and resisted Itachi's kick, realizing that his performance displeased his brother. Then he was refreshed. Grabbing Itachi's legs with both hands and pulling them forward, Sasuke turned around, bent his elbows, and hit Itachi's side hard with his elbows. Itachi blocked Sasuke's elbow with his lowered arm, turned over and jumped back nimbly, grabbing Sasuke's collar in the air. With a circle of his arm, he threw Sasuke to the ground. Sasuke was thrown dizzy and tried to get up. Swoosh. A warning firework rose in the clan's territory, Itachi's eyes were stern, and 2 kunai shot out at an amazing speed. Sasuke was nailed to the ground in an instant. Itachi narrowed his eyes. Sasuke, you stay. In a flash, Itachi's figure disappeared in front of Sasuke. Sasuke looked confused. Where is Gao going? Another enemy. There were fireworks in front of him, and Obito's heart tightened. He was discovered. The 28 Uchiha in the past was like a back garden to him, but now he can't even set foot in the clan's territory. This time Obito learned a lesson, and without waiting for the new bomb to explode, he generated Uzumaki in the air and went straight into Kamui space. The new bomb exploded in the air. But this time, the space-time barrier was not activated. However, the Uchiha clan quickly became alert again. This time, the leader was Itachi, whose methods were different from Fugaku. According to the surveillance footage, Itachi went alone to the place where Obito last appeared. Not far away, a crow cried twice on a branch. Itachi pondered for a moment, then left in an instant, and disappeared from the place. Obito was at ease and rested in Kamui space for half an hour. If he was not afraid of Zetsu being exposed, Obito would have wanted to throw Zetsu out to see if Uchiha would be in chaos again. Exhaustion tactics. Zetsu whispered. Obito was full of confidence. Even if Uchiha is fully prepared, I want to see how much material they have to activate the space-time barrier. He. Zetsu laughed inwardly. Obito calculated the time, thinking that the Uchiha outside had been tossed by him enough. The time is ripe. Uzumaki reappeared in front of Obito. This node can be opened, which means that the outer space-time barrier has failed and Kokuchiya has not set up a barrier. Obito drilled out from the previous position. I didn't expect it, I still appeared from here. Obito was secretly proud, and the Uzumaki in the air had not dissipated. Amaterasu. A figure flashed behind a tree nearby, and the Sharingan turned into a triangular windmill. Blood and tears flowed from his right eye. The black flames instantly covered Obito's whole body. Amaterasu. Itachi used all his pupil power to apply it to Amaterasu the moment it touched Obito. Black flames flew like sparks, and the black flames exploded. Obito screamed, endured the severe pain, and escaped into the Kamui space again. But he caught Itachi's figure from the corner of his eye. How is it possible? Itachi coughed several times, his face flushed, and hurriedly took the medicine he carried with him. After a few breaths, the discomfort was slightly reduced, and the pain in his right eye gradually dissipated. Itachi had fought with Obito before, and knew that his physical form only appeared when he entered and exited Kamui space. The only time he could launch an attack was at this moment. Based on his experience, Itachi overdrew his pupil power and released Amaterasu. Let Obito never dare to set foot on the Uchiha land again. Itachi recovered a little, and took out a new bullet and fired it into the sky. Advertisement. The crisis was resolved. Zetsu in Kamui space was waiting quite bored. Since Obito suffered a loss in Uchiha a few days ago, he has been trying to get back at him. He was repeatedly used as a tool to help him scout the Uchiha territory. In terms of intelligence gathering, no one can match Zetsu, who has mastered Mayfly technique. But Zetsu's goal is far more than that. Knowing that Uchiha is a dangerous place, he still let Obito go. The purpose is to make Obito understand the limitations of a Mangekyō. Of course, if Obito can make a big fuss in Uchiha and get a few spare Sharingan, it would be a good idea. Anyway, Obito may not gain, but Ju will never lose. Unexpectedly, Obito returned to Kamui space screaming after just 2 seconds of disappearance. Ominous black flames wrapped around his body, and he let out a shrill wail. Oh, 4. In just 3 seconds, Obito was swallowed alive by the black flames. Ju felt his scalp tingling. This black flame is not Amaterasu. In the transition between reality and illusion, Obito reappeared beside him. Obito pulled off his mask and threw it aside. His left eye Sharingan was scrapped again. He activated Izanagi again. Itachi is in the clan. Itachi's pupil technique is Amaterasu. Obito, who was burned by Amaterasu once, remembered the feeling of being burned alive. He never thought that he would be burned twice. It's just repeating the same mistake. After Fugaku was injured, he immediately recalled Itachi to his clan. The last time he encountered Itachi's illusion, he suffered a lot. Unexpectedly, this time was even worse. Before he could face Itachi head-on, he was baptized by Amaterasu. Why are Kawasaki and Itachi's eye techniques both Amaterasu? Or is it copied through the transcription seal? Obito's first thought was to transcribe the seal. After all, Kawasaki and Itachi are not related by blood, and the probability of sharing the same eye technique is very small. It is just unknown whether the real owner of the eye technique is Kawasaki or Itachi. Obito suddenly felt a strong sense of uneasiness. Not only did Uchiha thoroughly understand his ability, but Mangekyō Sharingan was even more powerful against him. Kawasaki's eye technique can devour space, and hiding in Kamui space is useless. No matter whether Amaterasu comes from Kawasaki or Itachi, it can ignite him the moment he materializes. Itachi and Fugaku's illusions are equally threatening to him. For many years, he has never felt such a strong sense of crisis. You were hit by Amaterasu? Zetsu asked with a firm tone. Obito clenched his fists, the burning pain still seemed to echo in his mind. One Mangekyō is too limited. Zetsu tempted. Obito regarded the Sharingan given to Kakashi as his last attachment to the world. Of course, the entanglement between him and Kakashi cannot be easily explained with words. Even if he betrayed the whole world, he and Kakashi still showed mercy in the end. In the original world, Obito carefully kept his secrets from the beginning. The Nine Tails Rebellion was not leaked, and only Itachi knew of his existence when the Uchiha clan was exterminated. Obito can be said to have played the entire ninja world in his hands with the help of Kamui eye technique. Until the final confrontation with Kagaya, he also lent it to Kakashi for a while. Therefore, it didn't matter whether Kakashi had a left eye at the beginning, maybe he had some mental cleanliness in his heart. But now the situation is different. The Uchiha clan was not exterminated, and a strange man like Kawasaki emerged. In the Land of Water, it was first exposed that he could not be Uchiha Madara. Then in the battle, his identity, the mastermind behind the Nine Tails Rebellion, was also revealed. Before, Obito still had some luck, but it seems that his secret has been leaked inadvertently. The Land of Water is far away across the ocean, but no one knows if there are spies from other villages lurking there. Perhaps Kurigakure's ninjas will bring out this information in the future. Obito even suspects that Kawasaki may have guessed who he is. Now, he must improve his combat ability, otherwise Project Tsuki no Mi will not be realized. Speaking of Zetsu, Obito has always been on guard against Zetsu because he wants to abandon Madara and use the Eye Project alone. But now it seems that he can only use Kakashi's left eye. In Konoha village, next to the memorial, Kakashi put a bouquet of flowers in front of Lin's grave. He cleaned Lin's grave spotlessly. Kakashi always likes to stand in front of the grave and talk to himself, sometimes he can stay there for a whole day. Lin, someone attacked Konoha 2 days ago and almost captured Naruto, and the Uchiha clan also suffered. Even Konoha can be attacked, I'm afraid it will not be peaceful in the future. Kakashi has deep emotions, but he has been experiencing losses throughout his life. He lost his father when he was a child, and Obito when he was a teenager. He ended Rin's life with his own hands, and lost his master and mother a few years later. Kakashi was originally gifted, but a series of blows made him close his heart and become negative. Although Guy often challenged Kakashi to competition, Kakashi seemed to have recovered some normality on the surface. But Kakashi was always depressed, and he was not really relieved until he communicated with Hitaki Tsukumo in his previous life. After resurrection, he gradually showed the demeanor of the heir of the Hitaki family. He even became the sixth Hokage in the end. Kakashi now feels a little comforted by Naruto, but his habit of wandering around the memorial stone has not changed. He has been talking to himself for many years. If he hadn't leaked the news of Uzumaki Kushina's childbirth, it would be hard to say whether Obito could successfully attack Konoha. But Kakashi didn't know about this. After all, these were all internal affairs of Konoha. Who could have expected that there was a person who was not completely dead behind the scenes to control it? Kakashi not only cleaned Lin's grave, but also Obito's grave and the graves of the fourth-generation couple. He spent a lot of time doing this every day. In the eyes of others, Kakashi was simply wasting his talent. Advertisement. But for Kakashi, this was the only way for him to find peace of mind. Even though he wasted time like this, his strength was still steadily improving compared to his peers. Except for the lack of Sharingan chakra, he was far superior to his peers in other aspects. Without motivation, there was no way to talk about hard work. Not far behind Kakashi, Obito, wearing a single-eye Uzumaki mask, was staring at him. For Obito, he knew all the various reconnaissance barriers in Konoha very well. Coming to Konoha was like visiting his own backyard, without any scruples. Since he had made up his mind, Obito immediately found the memorial. He knew that Kakashi would most likely be here. Kakashi recently felt that Sharingan was often abnormal, especially on the day when Konoha was attacked. Sharingan was unusually agitated. This has not happened for many years. Kakashi plans to go to the hospital for a checkup or go to Uchiha to ask why Sharingan has this problem. While thinking, Kakashi did not notice that a hand was quietly approaching him. In front of the memorial stone in Konoha village. While thinking, Kakashi suddenly felt something was wrong. Sharingan fluctuated, and Kakashi suddenly realized that there was someone behind him. The person's hand was on his shoulder. Snap. Before he could react, a vortex formed in the air. Kakashi and Obito were sucked into Kamui space. Kamui space is an otherworld. When Obito catches people through time and space, the target's body and soul will be affected by the distorted space and become stiff. Over the years, Obito has used this trick time and again. Once he touches the opponent, it is almost equal to victory. Unfortunately, Obito miscalculated today. When traveling through time and space, the Kamui eye will protect the owner, and Kakashi's left eye also protected him. Kakashi was slightly stunned when he was sent to another space, and then he took out a kunai and fought back. Obito was careless for a moment and his arm was scratched. Kakashi jumped away suddenly and examined the enemy in front of him and the surrounding space. Seeing the opponent's attire and the time and space ninjutsu he used, Kakashi's heart sank. Who are you? What do you want to do? Are you his accomplice? Your target is Naruto. When Kakashi was brought in, Ju was next to him. Zetsu's appearance is very recognizable. Naruto just told him, so Kakashi recognized him immediately. Kakashi's heart sank, thinking of how many people died in the village on the night of the Nine Tails Rebellion, and even the teacher died that day. The murderer has not been found, and it is very likely that this person knows time-space ninjutsu. This person knows time-space ninjutsu. Could he be the real murderer of the Nine Tails Rebellion? At this moment, Sway didn't even have time to perform Mayfly technique and escaped underground. 400 inches. Oh my, you seem to be in a little trouble. Ju said in a joking tone. He was familiar with Obito's routine of catching people, but he didn't expect to meet someone who could travel through time and space without being stiff today. Obito was silent for a while. Kakashi quickly observed the surroundings and tried to convey information. Why did this masked man catch me, or did he have intentions towards the village? But Kakashi looked around and couldn't figure out where this place was. This place doesn't look like the human world, it's more like an alien space. Obito chuckled at this time. Forget it, it doesn't matter. Obito rushed straight to Kakashi, and Kakashi's eyes fixed. He took out the kunai, and saw that the yin-yang mask didn't move at all, and he was slightly relieved. Concentrate on dealing with the masked man in front of him. As Obito rushed closer, he swung his hand back and condensed a black stick. Kakashi put aside his distractions and rushed forward directly. Bang! Kakashi held the black stick on the opposite side with his hand. He instantly felt a huge force coming. Kakashi could not support it and retreated while resisting. Obito used both fists and feet, and his attack was fierce. But in Kakashi's eyes, every blow and every move of the opponent became more and more familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere. Kakashi's Sharingan was spinning rapidly, accurately capturing the trajectory of every attack of the opponent. But the opponent's strength and speed were obviously much higher than his. Kakashi could only keep parrying and retreating step by step. Bang! Kakashi's punch missed, and Obito turned and kicked him to the ground. Obito then turned over and jumped up, holding the black stick and was about to thrust it down. Just when the black stick was about to touch Kakashi, Kakashi suddenly turned into a lightning clone and disappeared. The electric current of the lightning clone hit Obito, and Obito groaned. At this time, the ground suddenly exploded, and Kakashi's body flew out from the ground, with lightning flashing in his hand. Reikiri. Obito waved his hand, and a thick tree stump flew out of his hand. Fortunately, his body was slightly stiffened by the lightning clone. Kakashi dodged sideways in a dangerous way, so that the wood style that pierced through his heart and abdomen only scratched his left arm. Who are you? How can you be wood style? Kakashi just felt that the other party's skills were familiar, and gradually overlapped with a certain image in his memory. But the other party suddenly used wood style again, which surprised Kakashi. As far as he knows, after the first generation, only Tenzo and the Onmyoji can do wood style, how can others do it? Obito turned over and jumped back, pulling away from Kakashi, without responding to Kakashi's question. Obito felt uninterested, he was just reminiscing about the duel with Kakashi in the past. He didn't expect that after so many years, Kakashi has made almost no progress. What has he been busy with all these years? Kakashi, you disappoint me so much. In this case, your eyes are not worth keeping. He knows me. He wants my Sharingan. Kakashi was shocked. Obito quickly made a seal. Kakashi's Sharingan turned and immediately recognized that it was the gesture of fire style. Kakashi made a seal at the same time. Fire style, great fireball technique. Earth style, earth flow wall. Chapter 89. The man of the ninja world. Uchiha Kawasaki dominates the overall situation. Obito's chest swelled, and a huge fireball whizzed over. Kakashi slapped the ground with both palms. Amid the rumbling sound, a huge earth wall rose from the ground, and there were several lifelike dog heads on it. Boom! The earth wall broke with a sound, and the earth scattered and dust flew, but Kakashi was gone. Obito sneered, and threw the black stick in his hand casually, aiming at the stone pieces blown away by the earth flow wall. Bang! The stone pieces instantly turned back to the image of Kakashi, and Kakashi kicked the black stick, and the black stick flew to the side. Boom! The ground under Obito's feet suddenly exploded, and a Kakashi rushed out. His expression was stern, and he condensed the black stick again and stabbed it. Bang! Kakashi suddenly turned into lightning and exploded. Another thunder clone. Hiss! Obito was instantly paralyzed. Kakashi in the distance is the real body, lightning flashes, Reikiri. Kakashi rushed towards the king with lightning. Obito looked at Kakashi coldly, the light of Mangekyō Sharingan flickered slightly, and he disappeared in Kamui space in an instant. The moment Obito appeared in front of the memorial. With a slight move, Uzumaki opened again. Obito returned to Kamui space and appeared behind Kakashi. Kakashi remembered that Reikiri hit Obito's previous position, but it missed, and his body couldn't help but sway. Obito behind him lost the intention to play, put his hands together, and in an instant, countless twisted tree roots emerged from the ground. The ground roared continuously, and the branches turned into giant trees and rolled towards Kakashi. Kakashi was instantly entangled by the branches. Kakashi struggled hard, but found that he was tied up tightly. No matter how hard he tried, the tree did not move. Kakashi, are you going to attack Konoha again? You should worry about yourself first rather than the village. As he said that, Obito loosened his wrist and reached out to take Kakashi's left eye. My eyes, I have waited too long. Kakashi realized that the enemy was staring at his Sharingan. Kakashi used up all his remaining chakra. A wave of energy came out of the Sharingan and directly hit Obito's mind. Obito's senses were slightly distorted, and were immediately suppressed by the Mangekyō Sharingan. Oh, still want to use illusion. Boom, boom. Kakashi only felt the Sharingan beating strongly, and it felt like a common feeling with Obito's exposed right eye. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration came to Kakashi's mind. Your eyes belong to Obito. Kakashi shouted angrily, struggling madly. The branches squeaked because of his pulling. Obito's hand reaching out to Kakashi paused, looking at Kakashi's crazy appearance. Coldly asked, how did you know? Kakashi struggled in vain, panting and looking at Obito, wishing to cut him into pieces. Kakashi did not answer, but asked, where did you get Obito's eyes? What did you do to Obito's body? Obito stood up. Is Obito really that important to you? His tone was cold and terrible. Kakashi panted. You will never understand how important Obito is to me. After hearing this, Obito slowly straightened his body and covered his right eye. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. The laughter became crazy. It contained pain, despair, and anger. Obito pulled off the mask. Kakashi, since I am so important to you, why did you break your promise to me? Kakashi was stunned, his brain roared like thunder. That wrinkled face, that familiar and unfamiliar half of the face. No, 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 impossible. How could you be Obito? Kakashi's emotions surged, his eyes full of disbelief. Why can't it be me? Obito said hatefully. Kakashi's mind went blank, and suddenly he thought of a more shocking guess. Did you do the Nine Tails Rebellion? Ha ha ha. Obito saw Kakashi's dull expression, and a little pleasure rose in his heart. So what? Isn't the teacher very powerful? He is known as the fastest in the ninja world, but he couldn't save Lin. He couldn't save the village either. Obito laughed crazily. Impossible. Impossible. It must be an illusion. Kakashi was unwilling to accept the reality and desperately operated the Sharingan, which spun wildly under his control. However, the surrounding scene did not change at all. Quote. Quote. Kakashi cried out in pain and fainted. Hoo. Looking at the unconscious Kakashi, Obito calmed down for a long time and his emotions slowly returned to calm. Ju poked his head from the side. You actually exposed your identity like this. Quote. Obito reached out and went deep into Kakashi's eye socket without hesitation and took off his left eye. It doesn't matter. The identity of Uchiha Madara is no longer usable. Who I am doesn't matter. As long as I have 2 Sharingans, hiding my identity is not important. Quote. Ju watched the whole process. Advertisement. Exit. Maybe I just couldn't hold it back. Then again, Kawasaki did know in advance that Nine Tails had gone berserk. And the impersonation of Uchiha Madara was also exposed on the spot. It seemed that Obito could no longer use the identity of Madara. Ju spread his hands and let Obito do whatever he wanted. Obito reached into his eyes and dug out the eyeball that had been blinded earlier, and threw it on the ground. Then, Obito held his left eye and pressed it directly into the eye socket. Swish. A line of blood immediately flowed down the corner of his eye. Under the repair of Hashirama's cells, the optic nerve was quickly connected, and Obito slowly opened his left eye. Ju asked on the side. How about it? How long will it take to open Mangekyō? Because Obito's right eye is already Mangekyō, it will only take some time to open the left eye's Mangekyō. Obito's left eye keeps changing, Main Tomo slowly turned. It gradually transformed into a triangular-shaped Mangekyō Sharingan with a hook. Obito said inexplicably. It's already Mangekyō. I didn't expect that Kakashi's eyes are already Mangekyō. Obito's words were mixed with many complex emotions, which could not be heard clearly. Obito opened his eyes and spread his hands. Sure enough, 2 eyes can see things more clearly than 1 eye, and the pupil power is also continuously increasing. As Madara said, Sharingan needs both eyes to exert its true power. The ability of the left eye gradually emerged in Obito's mind. This left eye is also called Kamui, but it focuses on different things. The left eye can twist, tear, or teleport anything in sight to Kamui space without contact. He can activate the Kamui ability without getting close. And after the 2 eyes merged, the hollow time has been extended, and the hollow time of Dai Wang has exceeded 10 minutes. Compared with the past, this is a huge leap. Feeling the steady increase of his pupil power, Obito smiled. Then, next. Both Mangekyō were activated at the same time, and 2-eye techniques were used together to unlock the third power of Mangekyō, which is called the power of God. Susanoo. The huge chakra condensed and formed, and the blue Susanoo broke through the ground. Boom. Susanoo gradually unfolded from the skeleton. Growing flesh and blood, and wearing armor. The first time Susanoo is activated, it can be opened to the 3rd level. Up to 100 meters. Ha 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 ha. Obito laughed happily this time. The laughter was full of joy, and he finally had Susanoo. After a while, Obito's chakra was not abundant to begin with, and now he is fully driving Susanoo, and soon his chakra will be in danger. The blue Susanoo dissipated in the air, and Obito was confident that the future Susanoo would be stronger as he felt the growth of his pupil power. It was just that the pupil power consumed by using Kamui before was not much, but now that he had Susanoo, he realized that it would take such a large amount of pupil power to open Susanoo. The joy when he just opened Susanoo, but now his eyes are aching. Ju looked at Obito's huge Susanoo coldly, and he was not sure if this was Obito's limit. If it was Obito's limit, he could still control it. If not, it might be more difficult. Ju kicked Kakashi who had fainted on the side. What should we do with Kakashi? Kill him. Obito looked at Kakashi lying on the ground with cold eyes. Kakashi broke the original agreement. It's too easy for him to be killed like this. I want him to live in pain forever. I want him to witness the destruction of the ninja world with his own eyes. I want him to spend the rest of his life in regret. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Obito laughed wildly with a distorted face in despair, and his heart trembled. Do Uchiha laugh in such a distorted way? In front of the memorial, a group of Uzumaki appeared. Obito appeared in front of his own grave carrying Kakashi. The speed of entering and exiting Kamui space is faster than before. Obito stroked his left eye. It turned out that double eye and single eye are 2 different things. There was no one around, and Obito threw Kakashi on the ground. He looked at his and Lin's graves again. Then he disappeared. Konoha village, memorial in front of the memorial. Kakashi has been lying on the cold ground. Fortunately, people come to pay tribute to the memorial every day. Soon, a villager who came to pay tribute to relatives and friends found the unconscious Kakashi. As Konoha's chief Jonin, most people knew Kakashi and rushed him to Konoha Hospital. The 3rd Hokage arrived as soon as he received the news. How is Kakashi? Why was he injured? The doctor who treated Kakashi said, Kakashi has traces of fighting, and the Sharingan has been dug out. The 3rd generation's heart tightened. Kakashi's Sharingan was originally exchanged from the Uchiha clan at a high price. Who attacked Kakashi? Moreover, as an elite Jonin, Kakashi couldn't even send a distress signal. The 3rd generation looked solemn. When will Kakashi wake up? The doctor shook his head. Kakashi's spirit has suffered a severe blow. I'm afraid he has been hit by an illusion. He will not wake up for at least 3 days. Are there any signs of fighting? The third generation had a vague guess in their hearts. Advertisement. Anbu next to him quickly replied. No signs of fighting were found. Kakashi was already seriously injured when he was found. Time-space ninjutsu. The third generation was experienced and immediately thought that only time-space ninjutsu could cause this situation. He first thought about whether the person who attacked Kakashi was the same person who attacked Naruto before. The person who attacked Jinchuriki before has not been found out, and now someone has been attacked in Konoha village again. The third Hokage felt a headache. Can the news be blocked? Anbu whispered. Hokage, Kakashi was discovered by ordinary villagers. The villagers lacked a sense of confidentiality and the news has been leaked. Hokage closed his eyes and waved his hand to signal Anbei to retreat. Cloud Shinobi Village. It belongs to the Land of Lightning, one of the 5 strongest hidden villages, and has a unique geographical environment. All buildings are built on the top of the mountain that reaches the sky, as if they were built in the air, and are surrounded by clouds all year round. Thunder often echoes here. Most of the residents in the village have darker skin, are good at swordsmanship and lightning style, and are popular with ninjutsu. The military strength of Cloud Shinobi Village has always been the top of the ninja world, and the technology is also very advanced, and is mostly used in war research and development. The daimyo of other countries is separated from the village, but the daimyo of the Land of Lightning lives in Cloud Shinobi Village and often discusses cooking with the Raikage. As a village that rose by force, it is militarily strong and ambitious. During the Third Ninja World War, Cloud Shinobi fought against Konoha and Rock Shinobi, and in the later period, he was entangled with Konoha for more than 10 or 20 years. In the end, Konoha relied on the vast land and rich resources of the Land of Fire to force Cloud Shinobi to make peace. Even so, Cloud Shinobi still planned the Hinata kidnapping incident. Although the incident caused a lot of chaos at the beginning due to Kawasaki's incident, Cloud Shinobi Village did not suffer much loss. Since the incident at Hinata's house, Cloud Shinobi has been secretly working hard over the years, especially Killer Bee, who has practiced martial arts several times more fiercely. Just to save face and avenge the previous shame. The Raikage office building of Cloud Shinobi can be said to be the most exquisite and magnificent among the 5 major ninja villages. This building is built against the mountain, and the height is incomparable to other villages. The top of the building is surrounded by clouds and mist all year round. From a distance, it looks like it is piercing the sky, which is particularly shocking. The current Raikage is listening to the report. The person reporting is handsome and cold, with fair skin, short yellow hair, and a hot body. She is Samui, who is as good looking as Tsunade. Quote. There is news about the secret line of the Fire Country again. Quote. I raised his head, his eyebrows twisted into a ball, and his deep face showed some impatience. The line of the Fire Country again. Tell me about it. Samui said calmly. The Uchiha family was attacked, and the clan leader Fugaku was seriously injured. Ai's thick fingers tapped the table. This line of the Fire Country was left when the previous generation of Raikage was still there, and it has been around for a long time. The other party has been providing information to the Raikage, allowing Cloud Shinobi to take advantage of Konoha on the battlefield and save a lot of trouble in lurking. The information is always accurate, and Cloud Shinobi trusts this line very much, even though he has never met, and the price is not a sin. But last time, Cloud Shinobi suffered a great loss in the Hyuga family. Even with the patrol map of the Hyuga clan, Cloud Shinobi's men sneaked in as planned, but the plot went awry. Uchiha Kawasaki showed up halfway and messed up Cloud Shinobi's plan. Kawasaki was even more rude and started fighting directly. What's even more outrageous is that Cloud Shinobi didn't even fight. Killer Bee, the 8-tails Jinchuriki, was stepped on the ground without a single move, unable to move, like a bug. Uchiha Kawasaki, a strong man of Mangekyō Sharingan, what the hell, has since become famous in the ninja world. Now, Killer Bee has become a stepping stone for others. Killer Bee's injury is a minor matter, the key is that Tenen's political layout failed. The initiative in the post-war negotiations was lost, and a lot of supplies were lost. Cloud Shinobi's face was also greatly hurt, and he was beaten instead of his plan. So, when I heard that there was news from that line, his first reaction was to get angry. What about our own intelligence? Samui nodded. Just received it today. The Uchiha family was indeed attacked last week. And after the attack, Uchiha Fugaku has not shown up again, and the possibility of injury is very high. The latest news is that Hitaki Kakashi was attacked in the village a day ago, and Sharingan disappeared. Quote. I sat up straight. It is normal for the 5 major ninja villages to infiltrate each other. After all, there are so many people and it is too difficult to check. Of course, if you want to climb to a high position, you can't escape the background check. Ordinary people can only know some information that everyone knows. Combined with other information, it can sometimes play a role. But today's news surprised I. Kakashi was attacked in the village and his Sharingan was taken away. The amount of information here is not small. To be able to attack the elite Jonin in the village, either you are familiar with Konoha's defense route or you know space-time ninjutsu. Or both. Kakashi's Sharingan is more famous than that of the Uchiha family. In recent years, Kakashi's activity has been much higher than that of the Uchiha family. Since Itachi left with his tribe to go to the Sound Village, the missions he took almost all bypassed the Fire Country. And the Uchiha who stayed in Konoha rarely took missions. Kakashi is smart and has high martial arts skills. He is already the third a fierce general under the Hokage. I didn't expect to suffer such a heavy blow. Master Raikage, what are your plans? Seeing I looking thoughtful, Samui asked. The Kingdom of Thunder has developed well in recent years, it's time to take action. I thought about it and remembered Uchiha Kawasaki. Let's check Uchiha Kawasaki's whereabouts first. Other things, we'll talk Chapter 90 Tsunade. Nine Tails Rebellion. The Truth. Wood Style. Project Tsuki no Mi. Iron Country. After taking a hot spring bath, Kawasaki began to summon Summoning Beast to check the news. After knowing that Itachi returned to the family, Kawasaki was quite relieved about the family. Finally, Tsunade was dealt with. After 2 days of continuous travel, he took a break. Unexpectedly, Konoha had problems again in such a short time. First, Obito attacked for the second time and was caught by Itachi. Then Kakashi was attacked. No need to guess, Kawasaki's first reaction was that Obito did it. Obito was familiar with Konoha like his own backyard. He knew the nodes of various ceiling reconnaissance techniques like the back of his hand, and with the help of Zetsu's reconnaissance, he was almost omnipresent. If Obito really wanted to catch someone, it would be quite easy. However, Kakashi's eyes were suddenly retracted by Obito, which surprised Kawasaki. He wondered if Obito had to retract his eyes because he had suffered losses repeatedly at Uchiha. After all, the battle between Kawasaki and Obito in the Land of Water attracted a lot of viewers, and Madara's best fell off before it was used. According to the timeline, Obito has not yet shown his face in front of other members of Akatsuki. After that, he can no longer pretend to be Uchiha Madara. Kawasaki even directly exposed Obito's past in front of Nagato. The original plot was that Nagato was dead, and Obito raised the banner of Madara to deceive the members of Akatsuki to pledge their loyalty. Now it may not be that simple. After all, Kakuzu and Sasori were both dealt with by Nagato and Konan. It's just that the Land of Water is too far away from the Land of Fire, and the news has not yet been passed on. It's a pity that Kawasaki didn't turn against Konoha when he left, and didn't take back Kakashi's left eye, which resulted in Obito taking it first. Obito took back his Kamui eye, and Kawasaki was a little surprised, but not too nervous. Even if Obito gets back the 2 Kamui eyes, he can't be as invincible as he was at the end of the 4th war in his previous life. That's after becoming 10 Tails Jinchuriki, reaching the 6 Paths realm, and improving in all aspects. After all, Itachi and Shisui are still alive, and the Obito Chia clan is complete. In the past, because of his mysterious ability, Nagato had always been on guard against him. Now that Nagato knows everything about him, he will probably be more wary of Obito. Since Obito has taken back Kakashi's eyes, he might as well expose Obito this time. Uchiha has already severed its relationship with Konoha, and the previous black pot must be thrown away before it can support Orochimaru. So, first of all, where is Tsunade? Kawasaki came to Tsunade's place, but Shizune was the only one in the room. And Shizune was not in a good state. Shizune said weakly, Master Tsunade went out and didn't let me follow him. Where's the money I gave? Kawasaki's heart skipped a beat. Tsunade didn't let Shizune follow him, maybe he went gambling again. Shizune said with a sad face, all of it was taken away by Master Tsunade. 460 Kawasaki. Really awesome. The gambling ghost really didn't cheat me. Kawasaki said nothing, opened the window and jumped out. Tsunade had a full 60 million in banknotes in his hand. If he lost all of them, how could the Uchiha medical team be trained? Although Kawasaki was rich, he was not a fool. Fortunately, there was only one casino on the street. Kawasaki identified the direction and ran straight. Big, 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 small, small. In the brightly lit casino, the gambling table was surrounded by people. Tsunade sat at the table, holding a bottle of wine in one hand and pushing 100,000 chips into the big area with the other. This round is definitely big. She was betting against others. There were circles of gamblers around. Many people looked at Tsunade, their eyes almost glowed green, as if they had seen some rare treasure. I don't believe this. After Tsunade placed her bet, the gambler on the other side quickly threw the corresponding amount of chips into the small area. Hiccup. You have no vision. You have opened 5 small numbers in a row, this time it must be big. Tsunade was drunk and her speech was unclear. The casino staff quickly shook the dice and slammed them on the table. Bet on it. 1, 2, 3, 6 points, small. What the hell? Small again. Tsunade slammed the table angrily. The gamblers around her burst into a deafening roar. Wow, really good, wrong 27 times in a row. Is this the legendary fat sheep? As long as you bet against her, are you still afraid of not winning money? Who is the next one? Ever since Tsunade showed up tonight, she has been losing. She bet 27 times in a row, and she didn't bet right once. After being recognized, even the dealer dared not to act. No matter what Tsunade bets, someone would always bet against her. The dealer lost everything, and now he has to change to person betting. The casino staff just shakes the dice and takes a commission. Tsunade looked at the money she lost again, and she was furious. Next round. I will definitely win the next round. Wait until another gambler comes on stage. Tsunade grabbed a few more stacks of money, about 300,000, and prepared to bet. A hand reached out from the side and snatched the money from Tsunade's hand in an instant. Advertisement. Tsunade was immediately furious. Who dares to snatch my money? Tsunade turned her head angrily. Kawasaki stared at her with a stern face. Ahaha, ahaha. Tsunade's momentum was extinguished in an instant. The other party was the sponsor. Kawasaki, why are you here? Kawasaki's face was ugly. This rotten gambler. Really, he would send money to the casino as soon as he had money. Where's the money? Tsunade looked embarrassed. Although Kawasaki paid the money in advance, the money was theoretically hers. But Tsunade always felt a little uneasy. Hey, are you still going to gamble? The gamblers next to him started to make a noise. Kawasaki saw that next to Tsunade's seat, there was still a box of money. He pulled it over. Back at the hotel, Kawasaki sat opposite Tsunade with a gloomy face. Tsunade looked embarrassed and didn't dare to say a word. Mr. Tsunade, you just went out for a short time and you lost more than 8 million. Do you think the money came from the wind? Kawasaki was really confused. He knew that Tsunade loved gambling, but he didn't expect that he loved gambling to this extent. He started to spend the money within 2 days of getting it. In order to prevent Shizune from stopping him, he directly drugged Shizune. If Kawasaki didn't have something to ask Tsunade, he would have lost the whole box of money in one night. Tsunade was embarrassed. Well, wasn't the money advanced to me? Kawasaki was really furious. I advanced it to you because I trusted you. Is this how you repay me? You're planning to lose half of the money before the work is done, right? Tsunade looked embarrassed. Well, that's just bad luck. I won't keep losing. I can win it back in the next round. Really? Kawasaki was speechless. He couldn't communicate with such a gambler. His logical thinking was totally different from that of a normal person. Forget it. It's impossible to reason with such a gambler. Please write a letter for me about the Nine Tails Rebellion. I have something urgent to do back in Konoha. Quote. Kakashi was attacked. Even his eyes were dug out. You and Shizune should not delay the journey. Kawasaki didn't want to say more. After explaining to Tsunade, he took out another 2 million from the cash box and gave it to Jingji. Shizune, take this money. You have always taken care of Master Tsunade. If Tsunade takes this money, you will be in trouble. As for the remaining money, Kawasaki carried the box and said, I have to go back to the organization first, and I won't go with you. I will pay it in installments when Master Tsunade arrives. Tsunade was still shocked that Kakashi's eyes were dug out, but Kawasaki was actually leaving with the money. Hey, Kawasaki, leave more for us. Tsunade followed Kawasaki out the door. Kawasaki ignored Tsunade, went back to his room, and slammed the door. Tsunade was instantly turned away. Suddenly the door opened again, and Kawasaki stuck his head out. Give me the letter quickly. Bang. The door closed again. Tsunade was left with an embarrassed look on her face, and she turned to look at the money in Shizune's arms. Rubbed her hands. That, Shizune. Shizune immediately hugged the money tightly in her arms. Master Tsunade, we can't gamble anymore, we have no money. Fire Country border. Obito and Zetsu appeared from Kamui space. Why don't you continue to retaliate against Uchiha? Zetsu asked puzzled. Obito rubbed his hands. My Mangekyō is complete, I need time to master Susanoo. Uchiha's preparations are still unclear, I don't want to take risks. Obito's recent eye power growth rate has exceeded Zetsu's expectations. And Obito seems to have changed a lot. He used to be very cautious, but now without Madara's disguise, Obito is even more careful. In fact, you can also transplant Sharingan to your right body, which will be safer. Zetsu means to implant Sharingan into the body like Danzo did. In that way, you will have a Zanagi and can open Susanoo, isn't it safer? Obito said lightly. I don't want to see those eyes of my tribe. Obito's star half-body was transformed, but he has always adhered to the belief of being a human being over the years. This makes him feel that he is still a living person, not a vengeful demon. Therefore, even if the technology is feasible, Obito has only installed a Sharingan in his left eye for so many years. Besides the fact that it is faster to activate a Zanagi in the eye socket, he also does not want to become neither human nor ghost. After all, those eyeballs have been soaked in the petri dish for who knows how many years. After several days of experiments, Obito has discovered. When Susanoo is activated, Kamui cannot be used to penetrate, and the body entering the different space will interrupt the energy supply to Susanoo. Unless his eye power is strong enough to penetrate the entire Susanoo Kamui. But this is not a problem for Obito, because he plans to use Susanoo only at critical moments. No other meaning, just feel that Susanoo consumes too much eye power and chakra. In the past, Obito used Kamui to travel through time and space every day to consume eye power, but Hashirama cells can always help him recover. Therefore, despite years of use, Obito's eyesight has not declined, but Susanoo is not. Once Susanoo is used, it will consume a lot of eye power and chakra. The loss of eye power cannot be restored by Hashirama cells in a short time. Especially after evolving to the third stage of Susanoo, Obito's unique skill, Kamui Shuriken. It only takes a few shots to exhaust the power of his eyes. So for now, Obito can't do whatever he wants. After 5 consecutive setbacks at the hands of the Uchiha clan, Obito has become extremely cautious. After getting Kamui's left eye, he did not go to Uchiha for revenge at the first time, but decided to endure it first and retaliate after his strength increased. Kakashi was injured, Konoha's security became more stringent, and the nodes and frequency of the defense barrier were changed. All my previous preparations were ruined. As for the Uchiha clan, after Itachi came back, I always felt that they still had some tricks hidden. Advertisement. When I master the Sharingan, I will start to capture the tailed beasts directly. Completing Project Tsuki no Mi is the top priority. Now, Obito's desire for Project Tsuki no Mi is even stronger, and he is tired of this rotten world. In Konoha village, Konoha hospital, Kakashi, who had been in a coma for 4 days, finally woke up in the middle of the night. The third Hokage rushed to the hospital to visit immediately after hearing the news. When the third Hokage arrived, Kakashi was lying on the bed, being examined by a doctor. His head was wrapped in bandages, and his left eye was tightly wrapped. The only eye that was open was empty and lifeless. The doctor came to the third generation and reported, Hokage, Kakashi's mind was severely stimulated and he might have been under a genjutsu. If you want to ask, please avoid stimulating him. The third Hokage nodded to show that he understood. Kakashi. The third generation sat by the bed and called Kakashi. But Kakashi took 3 seconds to slowly turn his head. TL. Kakashi blinked and slowly opened his eyes, and his eyes seemed to have regained some focus. Kakashi, who attacked you? The third generation saw that Kakashi was in a very bad state, so they could only speak briefly. The image of Obito taking off his mask reverberated in Kakashi's mind. His eyes suddenly widened, and then he shook his head slowly. No. No, it's an illusion. That masked man. Kakashi's voice gradually became clearer from a whisper. It was the masked man. It was the masked man who attacked me. The third generation frowned. What masked man? Kakashi's thoughts were confused for a moment. That man wore a mask, he knew time and space ninjutsu, took me to another dimension, and knew wood style. Then Kakashi muttered to himself. Nine Tails Rebellion. Nine Tails Rebellion was also done by him. Nine Tails Rebellion. The third generation's eyes widened. Wasn't the Nine Tails Rebellion done by the Uchiha clan? And wood style. How come another person who knows wood style appeared? The third generation had a headache. They didn't expect Kakashi to bring such a big surprise. Just the real culprit of the Nine Tails Rebellion was shocking enough. I didn't expect this person to know wood style. In the past, Konoha invested a lot of manpower and resources but still couldn't copy wood style. So many people sacrificed and only one Tenzo was left. Now, the yin-yang face that attacked Naruto appeared, and this one jumped out again. The yin-yang face described by Naruto that day was also with him. I suspect that the person who attacked Uchiha was also this masked man. That person must not be you, right, Obito? After self-suggestion and persuasion, Kakashi told the third Hokage the cause and effect of the attack. At this moment, inside the Uchiha clan, Itachi, Sasuke, the 4 elders Hinata and Kiming all gathered under the summoning platform. Fugaku was resting in the house because of an eye injury. Iori faced the gaze of the crowd without any stage fright. Summoned crows to the formation, bit his fingers and made seals with both hands. Reverse summoning technique. With the cry of the crow. Iori slapped the ground with one palm, and the summoning formation lit up instantly. Bang! The dust settled, and Kawasaki, who had been away for many years, was called back. As soon as Kawasaki was pulled back, he saw so many people, looking at him with burning eyes. Hey, it's so late, you all come to pick me up. Kawasaki laughed and turned over and jumped off the high platform. Back. The people around him shouted one after another, and it was lively. After Kawasaki came down, he nodded to several elders, and then walked towards Kiming and Sasuke. Not bad, homing. I really didn't expect you to be capable. Kawasaki patted Kiming on the shoulder. Come to me tomorrow, let me see. Kawasaki turned his head and looked at Sasuke, who had gradually become thinner and became a handsome boy. Little Sasuke, don't you miss me? As he said, he reached out and ruffled Sasuke's hair. Hey, teacher. Sasuke twisted his body awkwardly, but couldn't avoid Kawasaki's hand. In the end, he could only let Kawasaki rub his hair into a bird's nest. In the end, he could only puff up his cheeks to express his dissatisfaction. How is Naruto recently? Who will win or lose in your competition? According to Kawasaki's arrangement, Sasuke and Naruto should practice together every day. Sasuke finally fixed his hair, and after hearing this, he said with some displeasure. I haven't seen Naruto since the last time I was attacked with Naruto. When it comes to competition, Sasuke can't help but think of whether Naruto let him win in the competition before. And the last competition with his brother, as long as his brother is serious, he has no room to fight back. There are enemies invading Uchiha, and his brother has to come forward to solve it. Thinking of this, Sasuke was a little depressed for a while. Kawasaki didn't know these entanglements in Sasuke's heart, but only saw that Sasuke was a little unhappy. He took off the Kusanagi sword he was carrying and threw it to Sasuke. Here, this is the gift that the teacher promised to give you. Sasuke looked up and caught the Kusanagi sword thrown by Kawasaki in a panic.